2 days passed swiftly. At the city lord's mansion gates, a crucial evening gathering was underway. The place was already teeming with people, with many renowned Saint King powerhouses from the Saint King ranking already present. As Chu Xiu arrived at the mansion entrance, his eyes swept across his surroundings. He wondered silently. Jiang Poquan mentioned Su Wanqi possessed a strange disposition, preferring to wander alone, forging no alliances. Would she truly grace this gathering tonight? As Chu Xiu pondered, he presented his invitation to a female cultivator. With a beautiful smile, she respectfully stepped forward to greet him. "Honored guest, please enter." Moments later, Chu Xiu was guided by the female cultivator into the main hall. The hall glowed with brilliant lights and torches. All the powerhouses present had suppressed their auras, seating themselves formally at long tables. Spirit fruits, fine wines, and various delicacies adorned every tabletop. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was incredibly lively. Soft, ethereal singing harmonized with melodious zither and flute music, accompanying the graceful dances of beautiful female cultivators, easing the hearts of all. Chu Xiu strode in with an air of unhurried ease. His appearance immediately drew numerous curious gazes from the assembled powerhouses. Who is this man? Why does he seem unfamiliar? We don't know. But to be invited here, he must be no ordinary individual. Jiang Poquan stood up and, with a hearty, polite laugh, addressed Chu Xiu. "Brother Chu, you've finally arrived. Please take a seat." Chu Xiu gave a slight nod, paying no mind to the surrounding stares. He casually seated himself at the long table beside Jiang Poquan. Chu Xiu reached out and took a radiant spirit fruit, slowly savoring its essence. His eyes subtly swept the hall, his thoughts lingering. "Su Wanqiwei, oh Su Wanqiwei, where are you now?" Jiang Poquan then clasped his hands and introduced to everyone. "Esteemed guests, this is Taoist Chu Xiu, the one who has just claimed the 3rd spot on the new king's ranking." Upon hearing this, everyone's gaze toward Chu Xiu became even more peculiar. Many Saint King powerhouses secretly exchanged whispers via spiritual transmission. "So it's him. He is Chu Xiu. They say he's not from this era, and possesses the desolate ancient saint body. Who knows if it's true or false? It's rumored he defeated Yao Guangde with no resistance, and drove the Zhao family patriarch from Mengsing City. He is truly a fierce devil. It's best not to provoke him." While being scrutinized by the multitude of Saint Kings, Chu Xiu was also secretly assessing them. He continued to search for Su Wanqi's figure, hoping to find her among the assembled crowd. Alas, after a full sweep, he found no suitable match. Powerless, he could only eat his spirit fruit and wait. As time elapsed, the number of powerhouses entering the grand hall steadily grew. Ultimately, the gathering comprised a staggering 43 Saint King realm experts. 43 Saint Kings gathered in one place truly felt like an immortal family's grand assembly, a sight that subtly astonished even Chu Xiu. Among them, Chu Xiu spotted a few familiar faces. One was Yao Guangde, the old ancestor of the Yao family. Yao Guangde's face was utterly grim. He sat silently to the side, uttering no words. The tale of his defeat by Chu Xiu had already spread across the entire world. How could he possibly maintain a pleasant expression upon meeting Chu Xiu again? As for Zhao Changshu, the Zhao family patriarch, he sat beside a Saint King from the Ji family. Zhao Changshu lowered his head, concealing the vicious glint in his eyes, his body trembling slightly. Gritting his teeth, he seethed with resentment internally. "Chu Xiu, I truly cannot contend with you alone, but tonight, with so many masters here, I refuse to believe my Zhu family cannot reclaim justice. I shall turn this mansion's evening feast into a hongmen banquet for you, and you alone, Chu Xiu." With that thought, Zhao Changshu abruptly rose to his feet. His gaze, sharp and cold, fixed directly on Chu Xiu as he spoke in a loud, agitated voice. "Esteemed Taoists, surely you've all heard how I obtained a supreme treasure that year. I won't hesitate to speak of it, even if it invites your ridicule. Without the aid of this treasure, with my talent, I would at most reach the great saint realm in my lifetime." As he spoke, Zhu Changshu raised his hand, pointing directly at Chu Xiu's face. His usually honest face was now flushed crimson, as if bearing immense injustice. His voice, filled with indignation, continued. "Originally, I intended to gift this supreme treasure to the Ji family, to forge a good relationship. Who knew this man would intervene, relying on his powerful strength to forcibly seize my treasure? I beg all esteemed Taoists present to judge this matter for me. As Zhao Qingshu spoke, he bowed deeply to the dozens of Saint Kings present, clasping his hands in a plea for justice. The Ji family Saint King, seated beside Zhao Qingshu, finally spoke. With a smile that held no warmth, he calmly addressed Chu Xiu. Indeed, Taoist Chu should offer an explanation to my Ji family and the Zhao family, shouldn't he? This man was Ji Ruju, a sinister-looking elder whose appearance alone betrayed a deeply cunning mind. Zhao Qingshu and Ji Ruju played off each other, choosing this precise moment to confront Chu Xiu. It was clear this had been meticulously orchestrated. The moment Ji Ruju's words fell, all eyes in the hall converged upon Chu Xiu. A cold, disdainful smile curved Chu Xiu's lips. He addressed both Zhao Qingshu and Ji Ruju. You demand an explanation? Very well, I shall give you one. The words had barely faded, their echoes still ringing, when Chu Xiu activated his movement secret art, his figure vanishing from his spot instantly. In a mere blink, he reappeared directly before Zhao Qingshu. Such an ethereal movement technique left every powerhouse present stunned. In their eyes, Chu Xiu seemed to have stood there all along, never moving. Chu Xiu extended his right hand, seizing Zhao Qingshu by the throat and lifting him effortlessly. Zhao Qingshu's face turned ashen, gasping for breath. Terrified, he tried to shriek at Ji Ruju, "Taoist Ji, save me!" But before the words could fully escape his lips, Chu Xiu's hand tightened its grip. Chu Xiao's voice was low and chilling, his face etched with contempt as he spoke. "You fat, bushy-browed fool, if you hadn't jumped out today, I wouldn't even bother noticing you. I never intended to concern myself with you, yet you insisted on provoking me. Who gave you such courage? Who gave you this audacity?" Crash! Ji Ruju slammed the table and sprang to his feet, his face grim as he roared. "Chu Xiu, you truly are audacious. Do you intend to commit murder in front of everyone here?" Ji Ruju had never imagined Chu Xiu would be so ferocious, daring to strike out right before so many Saint Kings. Did he not fear incurring the wrath of all present? Chu Xiu's eyes flickered, briefly glancing at Ji Ruju. He sneered. "Did you not seek an explanation from me? This is my explanation for you." As the words left his lips, Chu Xiu's left hand erupted with blood flames, radiating boundless killing intent. He directly swung his fist, aiming for Zhao Qingshu's glabella. Ji Ruju's pupils contracted as he roared, "Chu Xiu, you dare?" In that instant, everyone was utterly dumbfounded. In their eyes, only a blazing golden flame remained, along with Chu Xiu's heaven-shattering killing intent. Zhao Qingshu's pupils seemed to bulge from sheer terror, his eyes streaked with blood. He gritted his teeth, struggling to force out two words. "Save me!" Just as all Saint Kings present believed Zhao Qingshu was about to be struck dead, a sudden sword hum echoed, shaking the entire grand hall. A late-stage Saint King from the Wujin sword domain had intervened. He was a middle-aged man, over 40 years old, with an imposing aura, clad in a golden Qiankun Taoist robe. He raised his hand to form a sword seal, and immediately above his head, 10,000 streams of sword ki manifested in the void. He pointed directly at Chu Xiu and bellowed, "Myriad swords return to origin!" Sword ki rained down from all directions, assaulting Chu Xiao, forcefully attempting to prevent him from killing. Chu Xiao perceived the locking killing intent. His eyes blazed with golden radiance, his long black hair billowed, and a golden aura of qi and blood surged skyward like a towering sun. The suppressive might of his saint body quelled all directions, causing the entire city lord's mansion hall to violently tremble. The powerhouses were filled with endless dread. Ji Ruju, being closest, was pressured until his face turned deathly pale, forcing him to retreat thousands of steps. He immediately spat out mouthfuls of fresh blood, his body so weakened he almost collapsed to the ground. Chu Xiu completely disregarded the 10,000 streams of incoming sword ki. His left hand, blazing with golden flames, slammed directly into Zhao Qingshu's glabella with a thud. Zhao Qingshu's expression froze, his face overcome with utter terror. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but not a single word escaped. Only regret remained in his eyes. He's mad. He's truly gone mad. Had I known Chu Xiu was this insane, I absolutely would not have listened to Ji Ruju's instigation, nor provoked this madman. Bang! Zhao Qingshu's body instantly exploded into a bloody mist. His very soul dissipated along with it. Simultaneously, the myriad swords returned to origin attack, with its bone-chilling killing intent and awe-inspiring might from the Wujin sword domain Saint King, struck. Yet, Chu Xiu seemed not to notice it at all. He stood motionless in mid-air, his back turned to everyone present. Boom, boom, boom. 10,000 streams of sword ki, carrying boundless sharpness, converged into a torrential river of sword energy, raining down and striking Chu Xiu's body directly. Inside the Grand Hall, all the Saint Kings directed their gazes towards the area engulfed by sword Qiao, the atmosphere thick with tension. A Saint King couldn't help but sigh softly. The sword intent of the Sword Sovereign is indeed growing more terrifying by the day. These words were no mere flattery. Having reached their realm, they had no need to fawn over anyone. The power of the Sword Sovereign of the Wujin sword domain was truly immense. Though this myriad swords return to origin move was not his strongest divine technique, among those present, how many would dare boast they could easily withstand it? Another Saint King shook his head. I truly don't know if this Chu Xiu is exceptionally skilled and bold, or simply too arrogant to choose to block this Sword Sovereign's strike with his bare body, just to take Zhao Changshu's life. Alas, why must it be so? A perfectly good gathering has been turned into such a chaotic situation by him, we don't even know if he can withstand it. The Saint Kings watched intently, murmuring softly among themselves. Whatever the outcome, the name Chu Xiu was now deeply etched into all their minds. A madman, who acted without restraint, striking with such ruthless decisiveness. If he didn't die here, it would be best never to provoke him in the future. Ji Ruju, with eyes full of venomous hatred, watched Chu Xiu engulfed in the sea of sword ki. He curled his lips into a triumphant smile and muttered, "That oppressive sword ki. Even if Chu Xiu doesn't die, he'll be heavily crippled. Sword Sovereign, well done. This man deserves to die." If one were to ask, who here most wished for Chu Xiu's demise, it would undoubtedly be Ji Ruju. The fact that Zhuju Chengshu dared to challenge Chu Xiu tonight was, in truth, entirely instigated by him. This was because Zhao Changshu's supreme treasure was originally intended to be offered to Ji Ruju. He had been anticipating this for a very long time, but in the end, the treasure was snatched away by Chu Xiu. Naturally, hatred bloomed in his heart, which was why he arranged for Zhao Changshu to confront Chu Xiu before so many Saint Kings. He intended to use his status as the Ji family old ancestor to force Chu Xiu to hand over the supreme treasure, and simultaneously make Chu Xiu apologize before everyone. Who could have expected Chu Xiu to be so utterly insane? Without a single word, he directly struck and killed Zhao Changshu. This act was no different from a direct slap to his face in front of the entire world. Very quickly, the title sword Qiu receded. Vision in the Grand Hall was restored. All present powerhouses immediately looked forward. They saw only Chu Xiu, still standing perfectly in his original spot. From beginning to end, he had not moved even half a step. But that was not the most terrifying part. What truly horrified them was that Chu Xiu's entire body was utterly unharmed. Not even a single corner of his robe was damaged. A rogue Saint King couldn't help but rub his eyes. He even doubted if he was seeing things. What? Am I seeing things? That was a strike from the Sword Sovereign himself. Chu Xiao not only withstood it, but emerged completely unscathed. This is truly beyond belief. Chu Xiao is simply too powerful. Not just him. Almost everyone in the hall fell silent. Their gazes toward Chu Xiu were filled with deep apprehension. Truly, a figure from the ancient era, his reputation well-deserved. Only by witnessing it firsthand today did they realize the rumors were no exaggeration. Everyone was shaken by Chu Xiu's formidable power. Ji Ruju, his eyes wide with horror and disbelief, blurted out, "How can this be? Why is he not dead even after that?" He even began to doubt the Sword Sovereign's true strength. Could the Sword Sovereign actually be too weak? At that moment, in a corner of the Grand Hall, a veiled woman with long, flowing blue hair silently observed Chu Xiu. Could this be Su Wanqiu, the Grand Ancestor Emperor Venerable whom Chu Xiao was searching for? The Grand Hall was plunged into absolute silence, the very air thick with the acrid scent of fresh blood. With a casual sweep of Chu Xiu's right hand, every trace of blood mist and vital essence on the floor vanished, obliterating Zhao Changshu's existence as though he had never been. Turning, Chu Xiu's icy, death-laden gaze swept across the assembled cultivators, sending an involuntary chill down every spine. But then, Chu Xiu's eyes narrowed, and a radiant smile blossomed on his face. Addressing the assembled Saint King experts, he declared, Esteemed Taoist friends, my sincerest apologies. As you all know, I have always been renowned for my benevolent heart, my eagerness to aid others, my humble nature, and my gentle, thrifty disposition. Yet this individual dared to publicly accuse me of plundering his treasures. Senior Fuzi once remarked that I possess a rare, truly benevolent heart. His slander, therefore, is not merely an affront to me, but a direct insult to Fuzi's unparalleled judgment.
Who is Fuzi?
He is the most revered, grand Confucian scholar of our human race. An insult to this Chu Xiu I could perhaps endure. But to insult Senior Fuzi? That I simply cannot tolerate. Chu Xiu's voice, sharp and resonant, overflowing with indignant fury, reverberated throughout the entire hall. The assembled experts exchanged uneasy glances, their eyes betraying a strange mixture of disbelief and amusement. How utterly brazen, they thought, to fabricate such an excuse to act. He truly casts all decorum aside. He even dared to drag the esteemed Fuzi of Zulu Academy into his charade, claiming Fuzi once hailed him as a rarely benevolent person. After witnessing his recent savagery, if he can still claim benevolence, then wouldn't everyone in this hall be considered multi-generational paragons of virtue? Chu Xiao's utter shamelessness left the cultivators in the hall momentarily unable to utter a single rebuttal. Did they truly intend to journey to Zulu Academy simply to inquire if that Fuzi had ever praised Chu Xiu's benevolence? How utterly farcical. They were all saint kings. Who possessed such boundless idleness? It was merely one Xiao Changshu. Dead was dead. More crucially, they had all personally witnessed Chu Xiu's terrifying strength, his malevolent ruthlessness, his insidious cunning, and his utterly unbridled temperament. A man like this, even if one could not befriend him, must never be provoked. Otherwise, the future ramifications would be limitless. Thus, the other Saint Kings remained perfectly silent. But Jiruju refused to let the matter rest. The spiritual treasure remained unrecovered. Just moments prior, he had been utterly suppressed by Chu Xiu, humiliated before countless witnesses. He simply could not swallow this profound indignation. Enraged, Jiruju pointed a trembling finger at Chu Xiu and bellowed, "You, with the surname Chu, do not dare to twist black into white and mislead the masses." Upon hearing this, Chu Xiu merely tilted his head, his gaze settling upon Jiruju. A faint, gentle smile played upon his lips as he drawled, "Brother Ji." "Ah no, Taoist Ji, what precisely do you imply with such words? When has this Chu Xiu ever sought to mislead the public?"
"Do not spout blood slander against me." Jiruju felt his blood boil.
His face instantly flushed crimson, and Jiruju gnashed his teeth, his voice a furious growl. You dare to claim you did not seize Xiao Changshu's spiritual treasure? How utterly shameful for a Saint King to commit such an act, yet refuse to acknowledge it."
Jiruju's sharp accusations reverberated throughout the grand hall.
Yet, the other Saint Kings remained impassive, silent. They merely sat, leisurely sipping their wine, content to observe the unfolding drama.
Confronted by Jiruju's vehement accusations, Chu Xiu's face remained a mask of pristine innocence. "What spiritual treasure?" he feigned. "Why would I be unaware of such a thing?" Jiruju gritted his teeth, simmering with barely contained fury. "I have never witnessed a Saint King expert so utterly shameless," he spat. "Do you still intend to resort to sophistry?" Chu Xiu's expression slowly darkened, his gaze turning sharp and cold as he stared directly at Jiruju. "Sophistry?" he questioned, his voice a chilling whisper. "What sophistry am I employing? Taoist Ji, acting so aggressively, so menacingly. Do you truly believe this Chu Xiu is so easily intimidated? Do you seek to frame me, to force a confession from my lips? Xiao Changshu claimed I plundered his treasure. Does a mere accusation automatically equate to truth?" Chu Xiao's voice, laced with a subtle hint of righteous indignation, continued as he cupped his hands towards the assembled Saint King experts. "Then, if I were to declare that Jiruju stole an imperial armament from me, would all of you believe that as well?" "If you believe it," he challenged, "then very well. Simply return the imperial armament you purportedly stole from me, and I shall hand over the spiritual treasure. With an imperial armament in my grasp, why, forget one spiritual treasure, I would willingly relinquish 5. As he spoke, Chu Xiu offered a faint, unsettling smile, his eyes locking onto Jiruju. Jiruju recoiled, his entire body trembling with unconcealed fury. He stammered, You are merely employing sophistry." Chu Xiao merely smiled, a picture of nonchalance. "Sophistry?" he mused. "What sophistry? Do you possess any proof? Any witnesses?" As he spoke, Chu Xiao casually raised a hand to stroke his chin. A light chuckle escaped his lips.
I hear Zhao Changshu still has a son. Perhaps you could summon him to act as a witness? Upon hearing Chu Xiu's chilling suggestion, the entire assembly in the Grand Hall, from the highest Saint Kings and Grand Saints to the very dancing girls, were utterly dumbfounded. Zhao Changshu had just been brutally slain right before their eyes, and now Chu Xiu proposed summoning his son as a witness?
This was nothing short of sending a man to his grave.
Killing the father wasn't enough. Now he sought to murder the son as well?
Could one truly descend to such a depth of viciousness and utter shamelessness? At that precise moment, a late-stage Saint King of the Ji clan frowned deeply. His gaze, colder than frost, fell upon Chu Xiu, before he snapped a sharp command at Ji Ruju. Enough. Your behavior is no different from a common market woman squabbling. Let this matter conclude here. Ji Ruju, though indignant, began to protest, but only to be cut off. Silence. That late-stage Saint King of the Jia clan, while seemingly reprimanding Ji Ruju, was in truth subtly mocking Chu Xiu, implying his actions were no better than those of a common street ruffian. Indeed, most within the Grand Hall instantly grasped the veiled insult within his words. Chu Xiu, of course, understood. A crimson glint flashed in his eyes, his heart surging with potent murderous intent. The Ji clan, he mused inwardly, truly a vexing lot. This Chu Xiu has slain countless late-stage Saint Kings before, yet at this moment I must temper my impulse to strike. This is Zhongzhou, the hallowed ground of the ancient Ji clan. Zhu Changzhu was a mere rogue cultivator, without backing. His death carries no significant weight. But if I dare to move against a Ji clan member here, even if I were to eliminate 2 Saint Kings,
I fear a Ji clan quasi-emperor, wielding an imperial armament, would instantly appear to suppress me. This Chu Xiu possesses boundless confidence, yet I am not so arrogant as to believe myself absolutely invincible. To strike does not necessitate a direct, open confrontation to seize the Huangtian Pagoda. No, there will be countless other opportunities to deal with these despicable dogs. With this thought, Chu Xiu allowed a gentle, spring-like smile to grace his lips.
The fierce light that had momentarily flashed in his eyes now softened, blending with his handsome, pale face, causing many female Grand Saints in the hall to feel their hearts flutter, their spirits stirred. Chu Xiu calmly cupped his hands. Esteemed Taoist friends, he stated nonchalantly, the Grand Hall is quite thick with the scent of blood. This Chu Xiu fears he has quite disturbed everyone's elegant enjoyment. He continued, one must understand, the vital essence and blood of a Saint King expert are incredibly potent. Even if their body perishes, their Dalio dissolves, and their very bones are ground to dust, the lingering scent of their blood can persist for a full millennium. With those words, Chu Xiu's lips curved into a subtle smile. With a swift, practiced hand seal from his left hand, a verdant branch instantly materialized on it. Buds visibly condensed at an astonishing rate, bursting into full resplendent bloom in the blink of an eye. A cluster of glistening begonia flowers, their intoxicating fragrance permeated the entire Grand Hall. With a casual flick of his fingers, 10,000 begonia petals swirled and danced through the air, instantly dispelling every last trace of blood energy, replacing it with nothing but a cool, refreshing floral fragrance that gently wafted through the hall. Across the Grand Hall, staggered gasps of indrawn breath filled the sudden quiet. The delightful floral aroma brought an unexpected sense of peace to their agitated minds. How utterly fragrant, they marveled. This seemingly simple act left several lower-ranked Saint Kings utterly perplexed by Chu Xiu's intent. What's so remarkable about making a branch bloom, they wondered. Even a Grand Saint could achieve such a trivial feat. Yet this very scene caused the expressions of several late-stage Saint Kings to subtly, yet distinctly, change. For Chu Xiu had not simply made a flower bloom upon a branch. He had created the branch itself, and the blooming flowers upon it, from nothingness. This was the true realm of creation. Though merely vegetation, the ability to conjure something from nothing was a feat beyond the reach of just any Saint King. It was an undeniable testament to profound power, and an exceptionally deep comprehension of the Tao. This Chu Xiu was truly, utterly, unfathomable. The veiled woman, however, remained transfixed, her eyes never leaving Chu Xiu and the begonia in his hand. Within her gaze, an unspeakable light of profound bewilderment flickered. At that moment, Chu Xiu flashed a casual smile. Very well, he announced. Zhao Changshu's bloody stench has been cleansed. You may all resume your affairs. The begonia branch in Chu Xiu's hand then dissolved into countless motes of shimmering light, scattering into the air and vanishing without a trace. Was Chu Xiu's display, using the Taisu imperial scripture to conjure a mere floral branch, purely for ostentation?
He conceded there was a certain element of showmanship, yes, but primarily, Chu Xiu firmly believed that a true expert must know precisely when to bare their fangs. Anyone foolish enough to provoke him would be taught a brutal lesson. In his eyes, those who possessed formidable strength yet chose to play the pig to eat the tiger were nothing but utter fools. There was, of course, another, more subtle reason. The banquet was already half finished, and Taisu Dizun, also known as Su Wangqi, had still not made an appearance. Given her notoriously eccentric personality, Chu Xiu suspected she had already altered her identity, cleverly concealing herself amidst the bustling crowd in the grand hall. Taisu Dizun cultivated the profound Tao of life. Her title, Taisu, was well earned. Though she has yet to ascend to emperorhood, she undoubtedly comprehends her Tao with absolute clarity. Chu Xiu's deliberate display of the Taisu imperial scripture, with its resonating Tao intent, would inevitably capture her attention. If she was indeed present within the grand hall, she would undoubtedly seek out Chu Xiu after the banquet, and at that point, all matters would be easily resolved. For as the ancient saying goes, a true hunter often assumes the guise of the prey. Chu Xiu was the patient fisherman, merely awaiting the willing bite. As the banquet drew to a close, the distant horizon began to glow with a soft, orange hue. Chu Xiu and Jiang Pojun exchanged their farewells, and then Chu Xiu departed, alone. Old Chu, radiating an aura of serene contentment, strolled leisurely through the awakening streets. Already common mortals shouldering their street stalls had begun their daily trade. Along the roadside, steaming baozi stalls lined the path, wisps of hot vapor curling upwards. The mingled aroma of freshly steamed buns and rich mutton soup permeated the crisp morning air. Baozi and mutton soup, hot fragrant buns fresh from the oven. Chu Xiu casually chose a small, unassuming stall by the roadside. He settled down at a simple wooden table and ordered a steaming cage of baozi and a hot bowl of mutton soup, slowly savoring each bite. As he ate, old Chu observed the stream of people passing by, a silent thought echoing in his mind. Su Wanqiwan never revealed herself throughout the entire night. Given her peculiar temperament and cautious methods, it's highly probable she disguised herself, blending in among the crowds within the grand hall. Though she has yet to ascend to emperorhood, she undoubtedly comprehends her Dabo with absolute clarity. The floral branch I conjured using the Taisu imperial scripture would have certainly captured her attention. Just as Chu Xiu was deeply immersed in his thoughts, a clear, crisp voice suddenly broke the morning stillness, emanating from the table directly opposite him. Owner, 1 cage of baozi and a bowl of mutton soup. Before Chu Xiu now sat a woman cloaked in coarse black fabric. Her face was plain, unremarkable, yet her eyes. Those eyes were extraordinarily unique, seemingly capable of piercing directly into the minds of those she observed. Her posture was entirely uninhibited, legs casually crossed, utterly unconcerned with her public image. After taking in her appearance, Chu Xiu's lips curved into a faint smile, his voice chilling as he murmured, "You are truly audacious." Hearing his words, the woman in the black coarse cloak met Chu Xiu's gaze directly, her voice calm as she inquired, "Why do you say that?" Chu Xiu calmly lifted his bowl of mutton soup, taking a slow sip. A faint, knowing chuckle escaped him. "I met you at the City Lord's mansion banquet last night," he revealed. "Surely you know precisely who I am? Yet, you dare to sit directly opposite me like this. Is that not the very definition of audacity?" The woman in the coarse cloak froze almost imperceptibly, a fleeting flicker of astonishment in her eyes. She had not anticipated being recognized by Chu Xiu so swiftly. She then gently bit her lower lip, her eyes shimmering with feigned innocence, adopting a pitiful tone. "Senior Chu," she murmured, "could you truly be so heartless as to kill me?" Chu Xiao burst into a laugh, shaking his head. "Do I appear to be a bloodthirsty maniac?" The woman in the coarse cloak immediately nodded. "Is that not precisely it? Last night, your brutal methods of ending lives within the grand hall were utterly terrifying." Chu Xiu's voice dropped, a dangerous growl in his throat. "If you truly know fear, yet still dare to sit across from me, then speak. Who are you, and what precisely is your business with me?" At that moment, the woman in the black, coarse cloak slowly lowered her veil. Her entire form transformed, shifting from an ordinary-looking girl to a statuesque figure, with perfectly proportioned curves, a blossoming chest, and a more abundant physique. Her once plain face blossomed into an ethereal beauty, a captivating oval face, skin as pristine as jade, a delicate, perfectly sculpted nose, lips red as blooming petals, and eyes as clear and bright as the waters of autumn. This woman was undeniably a peerless beauty, truly capable of rivaling even Sister Hua. Only, she lacked the delicate vivacity and gentle warmth of Sister Hua, possessing instead an untamed, devil-may-care aura, a smile that was not quite a smile, played on her lips as she declared,
"This one is Su Wangqiu, and indeed I have come to seek you."
Chu Xiu cupped his hands, a faint smile on his face. "Very well. Let us find a more private location to converse."
Su Wangqiu nodded without the slightest hesitation, a faint, knowing smile playing on her lips.
"Very well," she agreed, "but it appears someone holds a deep grudge against you. I sense they are quite eager to claim your life."
No sooner had Su Wangqiu's words faded than three ominous figures materialized directly behind Chu Xiu. At their head was none other than the Ji clan Saint King, Ji Ruju himself. Beside him strode a man and a woman.
The man, a scholar in white and blue Confucian robes, held a folding fan, appearing to be in his 30s. He was known as the white-robed scholar. The woman, clad in a revealing red ensemble that accentuated her fiery figure, was Princess Honglian. Upon closer inspection, one would realize her hair was, in fact, countless miniature serpents, flicking their dangerous tongues. Both were at the 7th level of the Saint King realm, ranking alongside formidable experts like Lin Xiaoxu and Kumai.
Their power was not to be underestimated. Chu Xiu's expression flickered, a subtle shift in his usually placid demeanor. He turned his head, his cold gaze sweeping over the trio. "Brother Ji," he stated, his voice a chilling whisper, "will you truly never learn? I have already made myself clear. I am a man of benevolence, most unwilling to unleash a massacre. If you are wise, you will depart immediately. Otherwise, do not blame this Chu Xiu for acting without restraint."
Ji Ruju's face was contorted into a smirk of utter self-satisfaction as he stared at Chu Xiu, his voice dripping with venom. "Ha ha ha! Insolent youth, do you honestly believe I would cower before you? Today I shall deliver a most painful lesson, for excessive arrogance inevitably leads to but one fate: death."
Su Wanzhao's delicate brows furrowed slightly, a hint of playful mockery in her voice as she calmly addressed Chu Xiu. "These two 7th-layer Saint Kings are both renowned figures on the Saint King rankings. You must be careful."
Chu Xiu shook his head lightly, a bitter smile gracing his lips.
"Fellow Taoist Su Wanzhou, this matter does not concern you. Please, depart swiftly. This place, leave it to me."
Su Wanzhao remained unperturbed, her gaze resolute as she countered, "What if I refuse to retreat? What do you intend to do about it?" Upon hearing this, Ji Ruju let out a cold snort, declaring in a frigid tone, "Refuse to retreat? Then you shall remain here with him." In Ji Ruju's eyes, Su Wanzhao and Chu Xiu were mere rogue cultivators with no backing. Killing them was utterly inconsequential to the Ji clan.
Su Wanzhao turned her gaze towards Ji Ruju, a faint, chilling laugh escaping her lips. "Heh, the outcome of who perishes here is far from decided."
At this moment, Princess Honglian suddenly spoke, her voice laced with a seductive allure. "Such a handsome young man, it would truly be a pity to kill him. Perhaps we should leave him a breath for me to amuse myself with?" The white-robed scholar standing beside her gently waved his fan, his voice mild.
"Fellow Taoist Honglian, a strong cultivator can be killed, but never humiliated." Princess Honglian glared at him in annoyance, then pouted, softly rebuking him. "You detestable scholar, why do you always spoil my fun?" Ji Ruju interjected. "Esteemed fellow Taoists, is there something more you wish to discuss? It will not be too late to speak after we've had our celebratory wine." He then cast a profound, chilling glance at Chu Xiu, snarling, "Chu Xiu, weren't you supremely arrogant just moments ago? Continue that arrogance then. Now, I shall observe just how long you can maintain such pride." Chu Xiu remained expressionless, facing two 7th-layer Saint Kings and Ji Ruju, a 5th-layer Saint King, a precarious 2-against-3 situation. Had Su Wanzhao not been present, he would have undoubtedly turned and fled. His pupils flickered slightly as he transmitted a message to Su Wanzhao. "Fellow Taoist Su Wanzhao, you should go first. My personal grievances should not implicate you. You know my speed. They cannot do anything to me." Su Wanzhao's delicate brows furrowed, a flicker of surprise in her eyes.
She transmitted her reply. "You still intend to fight them? And did you not have something more to say to me? Wouldn't it be better if we joined forces for a swift, decisive victory? But if we strike too viciously, injuring Ji Ruju and offending the Jiang clan, your path in the central continent will become exceedingly perilous." A cold smile played upon Chu Xiu's lips as he declared frigidly, "The Ji clan? I do not fear them. When others ride roughshod over my head, must I still endure? Even if the King of Heaven himself sought to kill me, I would still shatter a few of his teeth. Let alone a mere Ji Ruju. Today, this team battle might be lost, but Ji Ruju, he absolutely must perish." As he spoke, a chilling, blood-red light flickered in old Devil Chu's eyes. His face, now etched with unbridled murderous intent, stared directly at Ji Ruju.
Caught in Chu Xiu's death-demanding gaze, Ji Ruju suddenly felt an icy chill snake down his spine. His body couldn't help but tremble slightly, still haunted by the terrifying power Chu Xiu had displayed earlier. Ji Ruju immediately pointed a finger towards Chu Xiu, commanding Princess Honglian and the white-robed scholar. "Both of you, advance! Together seize him!" Witnessing this, Su Wanzhao also made her move. With her right hand she formed hand seals, and from her glabella, a spiritual sword of ice crystal manifested, flying forth to slash directly at Princess Honglian. Su Wanzhao called out to Chu Xiu, "Chu Xiu, I will hold this one back for you. The remaining two, I leave to your capable hands. No problem, yes?"
A smile played on Chu Xiu's lips as he replied, "Then, I offer my profound gratitude."
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the long sword emerged, its resonating sword intent tore through the 9 heavens, flying directly towards Princess Honglian. Princess Honglian let out a cold laugh, her voice laced with mockery. "Oh? What is your relationship with that brat? So eager to throw your life away? You think you alone can stop me? You underestimate me far too gravely."
Genesis, Red Lotus.
Having uttered the command, Princess Honglian immediately clasped her hands before her chest, forming a cross. Verdant spiritual energy violently surged from her body, and the countless small snakes entwined in her hair began to writhe ferociously.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In a mere flash, tens of thousands of verdant, miniature snakes materialized in the air, forming a constricting circle around Chu Xiu and his companions. Standing below, Chu Xiu took a deep breath, clenching his hands into mighty fists. He immediately unleashed the true martial 36 forms. True martial roar. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the heaven-shaking, earth-shattering roar erupted, its reverberations shook the starry sky, causing mountains and rivers to tremble. Layer upon layer of violent sound waves swept forth, instantly shattering tens of thousands of venomous snakes, their shredded bodies raining down like a deluge. Against a single roar from Chu Xiu, the so-called Genesis Red Lotus instantly became an absolute mockery. Concurrently, Chu Xiu activated the kanji, travel, secret art, and in a mere flash, he bypassed the wall of snakes, reappearing directly before Princess Honglian. Witnessing this impossible feat, Princess Honglian's complexion turned utterly unsightly. A hint of fear flickered in her eyes as she softly cursed. "This monster truly counters me too perfectly." The white-robed scholar saw this and roared, "Let me step in!" Having declared, he lunged forth at his fastest speed, appearing before Chu Xiu, and swung his left hand, aiming a devastating strike directly at Chu Xiu's chest. As that palm strike descended, its power could only be described as earth-shattering and heaven-rending. Even a Saint King, if unable to evade in time, would surely perish on the spot. On her side, Princess Honglian's eyes glowed with verdant light. Wielding the 9 snakes whip, she fiercely clashed with Su Wanzhao. Though she unleashed her full might, she still found herself unable to suppress Su Wanzhao. Boom! Chu Xiu's fist met the white-robed scholar's palm, instantly shattering the very fabric of space around them. A ferocious voidstorm erupted, threatening to devour all existence. At that precise moment, Su Wanzhao swiftly circled behind Princess Honglian. Princess Honglian instantly sensed the looming danger, but it was already far too late. Su Wanzhao, quick as a bolt of lightning, slashed her ice crystal longsword horizontally. Swoosh! Princess Honglian was sliced across her body by the strike. Though she narrowly avoided a fatal blow, she was still grievously wounded. At the very same instant, Chu Xiu unleashed a heaven-descended human emperor first, smashing it directly into the white-robed scholar's face. The terrifying blow sent fresh blood gushing from all 7 of the scholar's orifices. "You two, buy me 3 breaths of time." Ji Ruju bit his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of vital blood that transformed into a crimson mist, sinking into the void. His hands continuously conjured seals within the empty space, as the blood mist gradually condensed into a golden, circular mirror, the size of a wash basin. Seeing this, the white-robed scholar and Princess Honglian's faces instantly blanched. Astonishment flashed in their eyes. The white-robed scholar softly exclaimed, "The Void Emperor Scripture, a secret art of the Ji clan, the Mirror of the Void." The Void Emperor possessed extraordinary talent. His innate imperial artifact was rumored to be the Void Mirror. Wherever that mirror shone, even ancient stars could instantly dissipate. If a cultivator is directly struck by its light, even a half-step pseudo-emperor would be reduced to dust. The Mirror of the Void is a divine ability that imitates this supreme artifact, and though only an imitation, its power is terrifying beyond measure. The white-robed scholar looked at Ji Ruju with utmost solemnity, saying in a low voice, "Fellow Taoist Jian, rest assured and unleash your divine ability. We will buy you the precious time you need." Princess Honglian let out a cold laugh. "Indeed?
Once the mirror of the void is unleashed, Chu Xiu is bound to suffer utter defeat. Ha ha ha! She then continued to summon countless venomous snakes, forming a dense defensive layer to impede Chu Xiu's advance. In the hearts of Ji Ruju, the white-robed scholar, and Princess Honglian, it was now an absolute certainty. Once the mirror of the void appeared, Chu Xiu would surely be vanquished. But immediately after, all three couldn't help but gasp in a collective breath of cold air. Ji Ruju's eyes bulged, staring at Chu Xiu as if he had seen a ghost, exclaiming in horrified disbelief, "How? How can this be?" They watched in utter disbelief as Chu Xiu, too, bit his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of golden vital blood. This vital blood transformed into a crimson mist, using the vast starry sky itself as a canvas to outline a circular mirror, brimming with the very aura of the void. This was unmistakably the mirror of the void, and what's more, he executed it with greater mastery and speed than Ji Ruju. Ji Ruju was momentarily lost in a daze, the mirror he was condensing in his hand nearly collapsing. His voice utterly lost all composure as he stammered, "How? How can this be? How does he know my Ji clan's secret art?" Princess Honglian and the white-robed scholar were equally petrified. They immediately recalled how Chu Xiu had previously imitated Su Wanzhao's divine ability. Now, he could even unleash the Ji clan's Mirror of the Void. Both instantly recognized it. This was one of the legendary 9 secrets, the Du secret art. Why an art capable of replicating all techniques in the myriad worlds? A cold, predatory smile twisted Chu Xiu's lips. A smile like a hungry wolf spotting its prey. This is precisely one of the 9 secrets. The Dao secret art, capable of imitating all techniques in the myriad worlds. Have none of you truly heard of it? Many thanks, this divine ability. I quite like it. No sooner had the words left his mouth than the mirror in Chu Xiu's hand completed its formation. It soared above his head, continuously rotating, aiming its devastating power directly at the trio of Ji Ruju and his allies. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! A blinding, golden divine light shot forth. Wherever that light passed, the very void collapsed, and in a mere flash it completely engulfed the three. Struck by the divine light, Ji Ruju, the white-robed scholar, and Princess Honglian watched in horror as their very forms began to disintegrate. Their flesh, their blood, even the surrounding void, all dissolved into nothingness. Old Devil Chu let out a cold laugh, his face brimming with triumphant satisfaction. The battle between Chu Xiao, Su Wangqi, and Ji Ruju's group had not long concluded. At this moment, within the highest pavilion of a mysterious tower, a meeting was underway, attended by Saint Kings, who had participated in the Saint Kings Gala. Leading them were 3 sword venerables from the boundless sword domain, Ji Hongbo of the Ji clan, the very Saint King who had mocked Chu Xiu at the gala, and Jiang Pojun of the Jiang clan of the ancient wilds. All 3 were late-stage Saint King realm powerhouses, their might nearing the very peak. Ji Hongbo's face was grim. He clenched his fists, stating coldly, "I have just received news. Ji Ruju's fate tablet has shattered. The residual images confirm that the one who slew him was none other than Chu Xiao. Not only that, Princess Honglian and Scholar Bai Yi have also fallen by his hand." As Ji Hongbo's words fell, the entire assembly was instantly shaken. What? Ji Ruju was killed by Chu Xiao? Didn't he lead an ambush against Chu Xiao, yet he was counterslain? How could Chu Xiao alone slay 3 Saint Kings? As expected of the ancient desolate sacred body, this battle prowess is truly terrifying. This Chu Xiao, so young, yet so ruthless in his methods. These 2 Saint Kings clearly sought to manipulate public opinion, intentionally slandering Chu Xiao and shifting all blame onto him. Ye Huangyu scoffed, a cold laugh escaping his lips. 3 against 1, only to be counterslain in the end. And now they shamelessly blame another for their ruthless heart and cruel hand? Truly laughable. Jiang Pojun, sitting nearby, nodded faintly. He remarked indifferently, "Taoist Ye is absolutely correct. Those who seek to kill will eventually be counterslain. No one else is to blame. If Ji Ruju led men to slay Chu Xiu, then his counterslaying is nothing to speak of." As he spoke, Jiang Pojun's gaze subtly swept across the gathered individuals. With a solemn expression, he declared, "All right, everyone, disperse. The Huangtian Pagoda is about to open. I hope some individuals will not continue to cause trouble over petty personal grievances, thus affecting the unity of the human race." Though these words were addressed to all, everyone understood that Jiang Pojun was speaking directly to Ji Hongbo. Ji Hongbo merely let out a cold HMPH. He flicked his sleeves forcefully, transforming into a streak of flowing light and soaring straight towards the Tiangqiang continent. The remaining Saint Kings exchanged glances, then departed one by one. The bustling starry void swiftly reverted to its initial profound silence.
Millions of miles away from the Tianqiang continent, within the boundless starry expanse, lay a ring of celestial bodies formed from countless shattered stars. At the center of this ring was a colossal, parched, dark brown planet, utterly devoid of any trace of life force. Its surface was covered in endless, desolate deserts, where sandstorms howled and gigantic tornadoes swept across the land in succession, an awe-inspiring might, as if the apocalypse itself had descended.
Chu Xiu and Su Wanqi were currently concealed deep underground. Inside a newly opened cavern, Su Wanqi had adorned the rock walls with numerous radiant spirit stones.
The brilliant spirit stones illuminated the entire cavern as if it were day. Chu Xiu and Su Wanqi sat facing each other. Su Wanqi's brows furrowed slightly, her gaze intently observing Chu Xiu. She quickly noticed that his complexion was off, pale as if he were ill. She spoke up. "No way? Are you injured?" Chu Xiu shook his head, cupping his hands towards Su Wanqi, replying, "I am fine. A few days of rest, and I will recover. Still, I must thank you this time. If you hadn't held back Princess Honglian, it truly wouldn't have been easy for me to slay that detestable old man, Ji Ruju, alone." Chu Xiu had not been injured at all while facing Ji Ruju's group. It was solely to counteract the suppressive Tao laws of this world. The Realm Gate had absorbed a vast amount of his essence blood. Losing so much essence blood in such a short time, a poor complexion was only natural.
Su Wanqi smiled, letting out a soft hum. Her autumn-like eyes fixed on Chu Xiu as she said,
"Thanking me cannot just be empty words. Tell me, what exactly is going on with your cultivation technique? Last night, your demonstration of conjuring begonia branches from thin air. Your methods strongly resemble the cultivation technique I am currently creating. I refuse to believe it is mere coincidence. Who exactly are you?"
Chu Xiu offered a faint smile. Just as he was about to speak, a sudden, earth-shattering explosion reverberated from outside.
The entire planet shook violently. Fierce winds howled, the heavens and earth changed color, and dark clouds frantically converged from all directions. Rolling thunderclouds amassed, as if a terrifying tribulation was about to descend.
Su Wanqi's delicate brows knitted slightly. Her eyes, filled with doubt, fixed on Chu Xiu as she questioned, "Did you cause this?"
Chu Xiu sighed deeply, rubbing his temples. Helplessly, he admitted, "Indeed, I am responsible."
As his words finished, Chu Xiu raised his hand, forming a cultivation seal.
From the center of his spiritual platform, a 2-meter-tall, half-meter-wide golden stone tablet emerged, radiating an ancient aura. What he was about to reveal would profoundly alter the course of history in this time and space.
The Realm Gate, hidden within his spiritual platform, could no longer conceal the laws of this world. Chu Xiu had no other choice but to unveil it and activate it himself. Su Wanqi gazed at the stone tablet before her and the radiant immortal gate behind it, her eyes instantly blazing with astonishment. She exclaimed, "What kind of treasure is this?" With just a glance, Su Wanqi recognized the extraordinary nature of this artifact. Chu Xiu clutched the Realm Gate, concealing it behind him. His eyes, filled with wariness, fixed on Su Wanqi as he mused inwardly. "This item concerns my very life. I absolutely cannot allow this woman to snatch it away." Seeing Chu Xiao's defensive posture and wary gaze, Su Wanqi's head nearly fumed. She placed her hands on her hips, indignantly retorting, What kind of person do you take me for? In your eyes, am I truly the type who would immediately seize any treasure I lay my eyes on?" Chu Xiu nodded without hesitation, replying, "It's not what I think. You are precisely that kind of person." Su Wanqi was left speechless, her mouth twitching slightly. "You heartless rascal, you certainly know how to infuriate someone. Just moments ago, I lent you my aid, and this is how you repay me?" Chu Xiu waved his hand. All right, let's get to the main point." Golden, dragon-shaped Saint King essence energy surged from Chu Xiu's palm, pouring into the Realm Gate. The Realm Gate vibrated gently, and strands of immortal light slowly descended, enveloping his body. After sensing it for a moment, Chu Xiu's complexion finally eased somewhat. The fluctuations of the heavenly Tao laws were clearly much weaker than before, at least still within the range he could withstand. Su Wanqi asked in surprise, "What are you doing?" Chu Linju let out a soft breath, replying, "What I am about to say next defies the heavenly Tao law, so I require this artifact for protection." As he spoke, Chu Xiu raised his head to look at Su Wanqi. His eyes reflecting utmost seriousness, he slowly uttered each word. "I am not from this era." Su Wanqi's brows furrowed slightly, a puzzled expression on her face. She glanced at Chu Xiu, asking, "Is that all? Aren't you merely stating the obvious? In this entire world, anyone who has heard the name Chu Xiu knows you are not from this era." Chu Xiu shook his head. "I do not belong to this era, because I come from the future." The instant Chu Xiu's words finished,
thunder boomed outside the ancient planet, and the heavens and earth erupted in fury. Lightning bolts swept across half the planet, causing space to violently convulse. Fortunately, Chu Xiu was protected by the realm gate. Otherwise, the mere pressure of the heavenly Tao laws would have instantly reduced him to dust.
Su Wanqi silently watched Chu Xiu, her eyes revealing a thoughtful expression, compounded by the celestial anomalies outside. She now believed his words 7/10 of the way. Chu Xiu then broke the silence, asking, "Don't you feel that the cultivation technique I use is very similar to the one you are creating?" Su Wanqi's beautiful eyes flickered. "So, the cultivation technique you use is the very one I am creating?" Chu Xiu nodded in affirmation. "Indeed. The cultivation technique I wield is precisely the one you created." Su Wanqi's lips curved into a slight smile. She raised a hand to rub her chin, a look of smug triumph on her face as she eyed Chu Xiu and asked, "In other words, you are my descendant, and I am your ancestor?" Seeing Su Wanqi's self-satisfied demeanor, Chu Xiu's eye twitched slightly. He nodded helplessly. "One could say that. I have inherited the Dao lineage you left behind." Su Wanqi immediately grew even more intrigued. Her eyes, full of curiosity, fixed on Chu Xiu as she asked, "What era do you hail from? How far into the future is it?" Chu Xiu slowly replied, "I come from 100,000 years in the future, the age of fallen emperors, an era where no would-be emperors manifest, and saint kings reign supreme." Su Wanqiwai leaned back against the rock wall, her eyes distant as she softly murmured, 100,000 years into the future? So far away, to think that even after 100,000 years, my Dao lineage would still have an inheritor. At this she turned to Chu Xiu, asking further, "Then, did I become an emperor?" Chu Xiu nodded. "You are known as the Taishu Emperor Venerable, the founder of the Taishu Sacred Land. The cultivation technique I cultivate is the Taishu Imperial Scripture, which you created. Do you wish to see the Taishu Imperial Scripture? After all, you are its creator. It wouldn't be considered passing it on to an outsider." Upon hearing this, Su Wanqiwei shook her head. With a voice full of confidence she replied, "There is no need. When creating an imperial scripture, the most crucial aspect is never the outcome, but the process. If I were to examine the imperial scripture now, it would be akin to taking a shortcut, which might not necessarily be beneficial for my Dako." As her words finished, Su Wanqiwan suddenly rose to her feet. She looked at Chu Xiu, her gaze now carrying a trace of familiarity, and said, "No wonder. The first time I saw you, I sensed an incredibly familiar power within your body. So you are my disciple and descendant. Everything makes sense now." As Su Wanqi spoke, she reached out and ruffled Chu Xiu's hair. Her eyes narrowed, and she chuckled delightedly. "You crossed the river of time, traversing 100,000 years to reach this era. You must have endured countless perils and hardships. Tell me, what exactly do you intend to do?" Chu Xiu nodded, his gaze gradually growing solemn as he looked at Su Wanqi. "I came specifically to find you." Su Wanqi's expression showed surprise. Her eyes filled with confusion. "Find me for what reason?" Chu Xiu let out a soft sigh, replying, "Because I have encountered an insurmountable foe. I could only come to you for aid." Upon hearing this, Su Wanqi's expression instantly shifted. She stared intently at Chu Xiu, asking, "With your strength, you still had to cross the river of time to seek assistance? Just how terrifying is the enemy you encountered?" Chu Xiu stated calmly, "A peak quasi-emperor." Su Wanqi gasped in alarm, then scolded him with a hint of anger in her voice. "Young man, when it comes to stirring up trouble, you truly have no equal. A mere saint king dares to provoke a peak quasi-emperor?" As she spoke, Su Wanqi let out a soft breath. "Alas, I am currently only at the 7th layer of the late Saint King realm, still too far from quasi-emperor. I fear I cannot help you." Chu Xiu's lips curved into a faint smile as he replied, "It's fine. I will cultivate you. Once you achieve quasi-emperor realm, we will journey together to the Taiji ancient star in this very era to thoroughly eradicate Heaven's slave and eliminate this future threat." The moment Chu Xiu finished speaking, Su Wanqi delivered a powerful pat to his shoulder. Already weakened from the depletion of his essence, his body nearly crumbled to the ground from her single strike. Su Wanqi stood with her hands on her hips, an indignant expression on her face as she chided, "A mere junior, yet you dare to boast about cultivating me?" Su Wanqi rubbed her chin, her eyes subtly moving as she glanced at Chu Xiu behind her, musing inwardly. "You can deceive people, but cultivation techniques do not lie." In other words, he was not lying at all. He came from the future. He truly is my disciple and descendant. HMPH. This descendant truly lacks respect for me.
I must properly teach him a lesson.
Catching Su Wanqi's sly gaze and cunning smile, Chu Xiu felt a chill run down his spine. A guilty dread stirred within him as he wondered, what exactly is she planning? What was this wolfish, tigerish glint in her eyes?
7 days later, on the Tiankong continent, in Zhongzhou, within Yanhuang City, at the heart of Yanhuang City, the Huangtian Pagoda stood towering amidst the clouds, its very spirit seemingly vibrating. The great clans had united to maintain peace in the city's core. Unrelated individuals were forbidden entry, and those who defied the decree were executed without mercy. Below the Huangtian Pagoda, a bustling scene unfolded. All who stood here were formidable figures of the Saint King realm. They hailed from the desolate ancient world, from great sacred lands, immortal sects, and imperial dynasties, each a cultivator of immense power, much like Su Wanqiu. Everyone conversed and greeted each other, their numbers surpassing even previous Saint King gatherings. A total of 76 human race powerhouses accounted for over half of those on the Saint King ranking. A Saint King could not help but exclaim in awe. The Huangtian Pagoda's opening this time presents a truly magnificent spectacle. Standing beside him, an elder in white robes stroked his beard and chuckled. With the Huangtian Pagoda's rules changed, a supreme treasure is certain to appear, so a greater influx of people is only natural. At this, the elder let out a sigh. Alas, with so many entering to seek fortuitous encounters, who knows how many fellow cultivators will forever remain within. An elegantly dressed Saint King slowly approached, his voice brimming with imposing presence as he declared, Elder Wang need not worry. We cultivators must bravely contend for supremacy. How can we cower and retreat? Even if death finds us along the path, it is our own choice. This individual was a prominent literary master among cultivation scholars. Currently ranked 9th on the Saint King ranking, the second master of the Chasing Deer Academy. A faint layer of shimmering white light emanated from his body, akin to an ancient sage. At this very moment, high above, 2 golden dragon beasts flapped their colossal wings, pulling an opulent divine chariot forward, causing the very heavens to tremble. This spectacle seized the attention of several Saint Kings, expressions of astonishment appearing on their faces as they exclaimed, That is the Jina clan Saint King, showcasing such grandeur. Could it be that individual? In mid-air, a slender jade-like hand from within the chariot slowly drew aside the pearl-studded curtain. A woman in a resplendent golden gown, her long, graceful legs stepping out delicately. Her beauty was peerless, her figure tall and lithe like an ethereal maiden. Surrounded by various celestial phenomena, she stood there, as if she were the very center of the world. The Saint King powerhouses were startled, whispering amongst themselves, Ji Rushuang. Indeed, it is she. Unexpectedly, she has appeared in person this time. Rumor has it, this woman has reached the 9th layer of the Saint King realm, possessing immense power, enough to contend for a spot in the top 5 on the Saint King ranking. Her aura is even more potent and terrifying than it was years ago. Her true strength is unfathomable. Who knows whether Ji Rushuang or Su Wanqiu is stronger? Are you joking? Time. How could Su Wanqiu ever be a match for Fairy Ji? One cannot underestimate Su Wanqiu either. Just last week she battled Princess Honglian in the Starry Void, with neither side gaining the upper hand. A Saint King curled his lips into a sinister smile and said, There will be a grand show to behold. Perhaps some of you do not know this. Ji Ruju was Ji Rushuang's paternal clan uncle. Ji Ruju was killed by Chu Xiu. If Ji Rushuang encounters Chu Xiu, how could she ever spare him? I wonder if Chu Xiu will even show up today. He most certainly will. Just wait and see. At this moment, Chu Xiu and Su Wanqiu arrived, one following the other. Old Chu curled his lips into a smile and remarked, Ho ho, so many people! What a lively scene! All eyes around them turned towards Chu Xiu and Su Wanqiu, and expressions of astonishment appeared on every face as they murmured, Chu Xiu, and Su Wanqiu too. They actually appeared. The Huangtian Pagoda's opening is a grand event. But for most Saint Kings, only those who have reached the level of a scholar master or are close to the quasi-emperor realm can withstand the pressure or enter the Huangtian Pagoda without peril. Hearing these words, Chu Xiu smiled. As he cast a friendly gaze towards everyone, he suddenly let out a soft exclamation. Oh, that Ji clan Saint King's gaze feels off. Truly terrifying. Su Wanqiu could not help but smile, reaching out to pat his shoulder as she said, Come now, stop prodding their sensitive nerves. Chu Xiu clicked his tongue, then looked at the crowd before him and asked, How can the human race have so many Saint Kings? In the era of fallen emperors, even hegemonic powers only possessed 1 or 2 Saint Kings. Yet today, over 70 have arrived. Su Wanqiu gently shook her head, raising a hand to stroke her chin as she casually stated, The true peak Saint Kings have yet to appear. Moreover, the genuine peak powers of this era,
are those quasi-emperor old monsters. Should I encounter those quasi-emperor old monsters wielding emperor artifacts, I too could only flee. Chu Xiu pouted, his voice tinged with sarcasm as he said to Su Qiu, "You speak as if, without an emperor artifact, you could contend with a quasi-emperor." Su Qiu glared, retorting, "When your sister here was clashing with a quasi-emperor, you were probably still playing in the mud somewhere." Sensing Su Qiu's imminent action after her words, Chu Xiu immediately raised his voice in warning towards her. "Hey, just talk, don't get physical." No sooner had he finished speaking than a sharp smack echoed, and Chu Xiu's shoulder was instantly seized by a searing pain. The force from Su Qiu's hand was considerable. Even with his robust physique, Chu Xiu cried out in agony, "Hey, that's too much, such a heavy hand again." Chu Xiu and Su Qiu thus continued to tease each other, his face distorted as he rubbed his shoulder, only able to glare angrily at Su Qiu, utterly helpless. Standing not far away, Ji Rushuang's gaze swept past Su Qiu, then settled upon Chu Xiu. Sensing the murderous intent directed at him, Chu Xiu and Su Qiu immediately grew serious, both looking towards Ji Rushuang. Ji Rushuang, seeing this, instantly turned her head away, initially presumed she would directly unleash an attack to avenge Ji Ruju. Yet, unexpectedly, she merely glanced at Chu Xiu once more before closing her eyes to meditate. Su Qiu warned, "This woman is not to be trifled with. You should be careful." Chu Xiu subtly nodded. This woman exerted far greater pressure on him than Princess Honglian. She clearly would not be easy to deal with. The two said nothing more, quietly awaiting the Huangtian Pagoda's opening. As time continued to pass, the sun gradually descended westward. Just as it was about to dip below the horizon, a sound echoed from within the Huangtian Pagoda, like an ancient bell reverberating. All Saint Kings present trembled simultaneously. Everyone gazed towards the first level of the Huangtian Pagoda, as its 1,000-jang-tall gate, previously sealed shut, slowly began to open. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A blinding white light surged forth from within the Huangtian Pagoda, causing many Saint King realm cultivators to nearly be unable to open their eyes. A group of Saint Kings, seeing this, roared with joyous laughter. "The Huangtian Pagoda has finally opened. Come, fellow Taoists, let us go deal with those monstrous geniuses, haha." With these words, they soared directly into the Huangtian Pagoda. Chu Xiu and Su Qiu also followed the surging crowd inside. The moment they stepped through the main entrance, the scene before their eyes abruptly shifted. The group was instantly teleported into a grand hall, where an ancient voice resonated. "Welcome, esteemed guests, to the Huangtian Pagoda. I am the spirit artifact of the Huangtian Pagoda. Now, I shall declare the rules. The place you now stand is the first level of the Huangtian Pagoda. Each of you will be assigned a random opponent. Defeat your opponent or force them to concede, and secure victory to earn the qualification to advance to the second level. Of course, if your luck is exceptional, you may be granted a bye, and directly advance to the second level." "Very well, let the battles commence." No sooner had the spirit artifact finished speaking, than streaks of crimson light immediately descended from above the palace hall, enveloping most of the cultivators present in the array, including Chu Xiu. Old Chu tilted his head to glance beside him, only to find that Su Qiu was not enveloped by the crimson light. Su Qiu shrugged and smiled. "It seems my luck isn't bad. I've been granted a bye this round. I'll wait for you here." Chu Xiu subtly nodded. Before he could even utter a word, he was instantly teleported away. When his vision recovered, he found himself standing on a white dwarf planet. This was a celestial body, with low light intensity but high density, boasting extremely high temperatures that could reach tens of thousands of degrees, emitting a dazzling radiance. Chu Xiu trod upon the ground, disregarding the planet's terrifying heat. He swept his potent divine sense across all directions, and instantly locked onto his opponent. His foe was a barbarian Saint King, standing 7 meters tall, his body robust and muscles bulging, wielding a wolf fang club. His name was Man Long, regarded as a great warrior of the barbarian tribe, always ready to live or die protecting his clan. Man Long had come to the Huangtian Pagoda solely to gather resources, to nourish his tribesmen, and cultivate young warriors. Man Long fixed his eyes, bright as two searchlights, down upon Chu Xiu, his voice laced with icy coldness as he declared, "Brat, you are my opponent. Prepare to die." No sooner had he spoken than Man Long instantly leaped, his entire body like a cannonball, hurtling towards Chu Xiu. The tens of meters long wolf fang club, shimmering with baleful qui, swung out with terrifying might, distorting the very light of the white dwarf planet. Man Long had fully expected Chu Xiu to be utterly crushed by his single strike, but then, what happened next, left him utterly astonished. Chu Xiu did not dodge. He calmly raised his right hand, 2 fingers, effortlessly clamping onto Man Long's wolf fang club. Man Long tried to retract his wolf fang club, but it was immovable.
Chu Xiu stood as steadfast as a colossal mountain. Man Long's eyes flashed with disbelief as he stared at Chu Xiu, his voice trembling as he uttered, "You! How can your strength be so immense?"
Chu Xiu's left hand ignited with crimson flames, while a layer of blood-red lightning enveloped his entire body. He curled his lips into a smirk and declared, "There is nothing I cannot accomplish, only what you cannot conceive." The instant his words faded, Chu Xiu launched a decisive punch, striking directly into Man Long's midsection. His entire form contorted into a grotesque arc, sent hurtling backward. His internal organs were utterly pulverized, and fresh crimson blood gushed from his 7 orifices. Old Devil Chu executed his movement's secret art. His figure blurred, instantly reappearing behind Man Long. Holy flames erupted across his entire being. Above him, a celestial king's terrifying apparition descended from the 9 heavens, standing like an apex demon god before all. Behind him, a colossal phantom of a human emperor, thousands of Zhang Tao, manifested. The human emperor's first, imbued with horrifying might, unleashed waves of divine power, relentlessly crashing down upon Man Long. The human emperor's first lashed out before his opponent could even react. Man Long's formidable, hardened horns were instantly shattered by Chu Xiu's single blow. His wounds compounded, leaving him gravely injured, teetering on the precipice of life and death. Man Long, clinging to his last vestiges of life, bowed in desperate surrender. He clasped his hands towards Chu Xiu, pleading frantically, "Ah, stop! I concede! I surrender!" The moment Man Long's plea died, the voice of the spirit artifact within the Huangtian Tower resonated directly in Chu Xiu's mind. "Congratulations! You have completed the selection and earned the right to continue ascending." As the spirit artifact finished speaking, 2 torrents of crimson light instantly cascaded down from the heavens, enveloping both Chu Xiu and Man Long. The very fabric of spatial laws rippled. In a mere instant, both were dimensionally displaced. The white mist realm once again reclaimed its profound, intrinsic serenity. Chu Xiu once more returned to the Grand Hall. Only a sparse handful of figures now remained around him. Each was a cultivator who, by cruel twist of fate, had been granted a bye in the initial round. Chu Xiu quickly found Su Wangqua and slowly walked towards her. Su Wangqua's gaze meticulously scrutinized Chu Xiu, from his head to his feet. A flicker of doubt crossed her features as she spoke. You actually spared that man-tribe brute?" Chu Xiao shook his head, his tone understated. "It was beneath me. You, of all people, should understand my current circumstances. Rashly taking a life would only invite calamity, offering no benefit whatsoever." Hearing this, Su Wangqua nodded slightly, a slight smile gracing her lips. She conceded, "Very well. The true trial now begins." As she finished speaking, she raised her right hand, pointing towards the left. At some unknown point, the Grand Hall's immense doors had already swung open. Outside, a vast expanse of hazy white mist stretched endlessly, visibility severely impaired. Faint, indistinct figures could be discerned moving within, among them both humans and demonic barbarians. Su Wangku slowly explained, "The true challenge of ascending the Huangtian Tower hinges on 2 critical factors. First, the pervasive influence of formidable experts from both the demonic and man tribes. Second, the relentless crushing pressure exerted by the laws of heaven and earth. This time, humans, demons, and barbarians are ascending the tower together. If they encounter each other, an inescapable battle to the death will erupt." The Huangtian Tower comprises a staggering 88 levels. The higher one climbs, the more horrifyingly oppressive the crushing force of the heaven and earth's laws becomes. Fail to withstand it, and you shall be forcefully expelled. Persist in resistance, and certain death awaits. Naturally, the higher one climbs, the greater the profound blessings bestowed by the spirit artifact. The spirit artifact will grant rewards based on the height each individual reaches. The extent of benefits reaped rests solely upon each individual's intrinsic talent and power. Chu Xiu gave a slight nod, then turned to Su Wangquo with a question. The Huangtian Tower has stood towering in the central continent for untold tens of thousands of years. Has any soul ever reached the 88th floor to behold the true spiritual marrow? Su Wangquo's eyes narrowed slightly, a sardonic laugh escaping her lips. "Ha ha! The 88th floor? Do not let the whispers and legends of the martial world mislead you. From time immemorial, no one has ever truly stepped upon that ultimate summit. Even the 70th floor is nothing more than a whispered myth." A profound shock registered on Chu Xiu's features. He pressed on. "If the apex remains untouched, then from whence did this knowledge of the spiritual marrow originate?" Su Wangquai's exquisite eyes subtly shifted. "That is merely a piece of information divulged by the spirit artifact itself. It is rumored that the 88th floor not only houses the divine artifact, the spiritual marrow,
but also conceals countless other ultimate treasures. As she uttered these words, Su Wanqua let out a sigh, shaking her head resignedly.
Alas, in this world I fear no living being can ever hope to survive setting foot on the 88th floor. It is insurmountable, truly insurmountable. The sheer, obliterating pressure of the heaven and earth's laws on that level is fundamentally beyond what any mortal flesh and blood body can possibly withstand. No words can adequately convey the sheer impossibility. Only through direct experience can one truly comprehend its horror. Amidst their discussion, Chu Xiu and Su Wangku followed the open door, exiting the grand hall,
stepping into the heart of the swirling mist.
Chu Xiu extended a hand, immediately sensing the ambient spiritual energy of heaven and earth. A glint of astonished admiration sparkled in his gaze. The spiritual energy here was utterly pristine, so dense and refined that it had nearly crystallized into a tangible mist. Su Wangqi took a deep breath. A sharp glint appeared in her beautiful eyes as she articulated, "It's not just the pure spiritual energy in them. The very laws of heaven and earth here are exceptionally lucid and utterly complete. If one could cultivate in seclusion here for 1,000 years, then even a mere swine, I fear, could cultivate its way to the Saint King realm."
Chu Xiu gave a slight nod. Indeed, the Huangtian Tower lives up to its name, a true grotto heaven of unparalleled fortune. Yet, how are we to ascend to the next level? As Chu Xiu spoke, he cast his gaze around him, observing with sudden realization that both human and demonic barbarian cultivators all were seated in profound meditation, seemingly engrossed in some deep epiphany. He then turned to Su Wangqui, his voice laced with confusion. "What are they doing?"
Su Wangqui offered a subtle smile as she answered,
"They are perceiving and integrating their very own great Tao. When their great Tao fully materializes, the staircase leading to the higher level will automatically manifest." Saying this, she gracefully flicked her wrist, and a profound surge of life energy rippled outwards in all directions. Moments later, a resplendent white jade staircase abruptly solidified beneath her. "Observe. Simply ascend these steps, and the next level awaits."
Chu Xiu gave a brief nod, his tone understated.
"Is that truly all there is to it?" Without another word, old Chu instantly activated his own unified Tao. A surge of formidable life energy unfurled in all directions. In the very next breath, a staircase of blood-red jade, radiating an ominous hue, manifested beneath his feet. Su Wangque's gaze fixed upon the crimson staircase beneath Chu Xiu's feet. Her delicate, willow-like brows subtly knitted together. "Your Dadao is profoundly singular. It exudes an aura of infinite, boundless immensity, spanning 10,000 zangs."
Chu Xiu lifted his gaze, tracking the stairs as they soared into the heavens. His and Su Wangque's staircases paralleled each other, reaching upwards for tens of thousands of zang. Plunging deep into the impenetrable mist, their apex remained utterly unseen. Chu Xiao offered a rare, slight smile as he commanded, "Let's go, let's ascend." Su Wangquan nodded, her foot already meeting the steps of her own radiant staircase. With so few people now, it is surprisingly tranquil. Once the masses converge, it will become quite irksome. Side by side, the two ascended. In mere moments, their figures dissolved from view, leaving the first level behind. Far below, on the ground level, not distant from where Chu Xiu and Su Wangqua had just been, an ape clan Saint King from heavenly demonic city observed them in hushed silence. His eyes tracked their receding forms. The ape clan Saint King turned to a fellow Saint King standing behind him, his voice hushed and urgent. "Fellow Taoist Shen Ya, why did you restrain me earlier? Why did we not strike before those two departed?" Those two human cultivators appeared so soft and vulnerable. Taoist Shen Ya, a figure of the Shen Ya clan, cloaked in profound black Taoist robes, raised a hand to his face, exhaling a deep sigh, his voice laced with a hint of powerlessness. "Great heavens! Do you truly not recognize those two?" The ape clan Saint King's face displayed a bewildered naivete as he responded, "No, I don't." Could it be they possess truly formidable backgrounds? Taoist Shen Ya fell into a stony silence, inwardly lambasting, "This one is truly a monumental fool." Nonetheless, his faction held significant sway. Thus, Taoist Shen Ya, with a measured breath, patiently elaborated, "That woman is Su Wangqua, who commands the second position on the new king's ranking. Mere days ago, she fought Princess Honglian to a complete standstill. Her power can only be encapsulated by two harrowing words: utter terror. She is a literal mobile harbinger of slaughter. And that man is Chu Xiu, occupying the third spot on the new king's ranking. His reputation eclipses even Su Wangqui's, his true strength utterly unfathomable. Even our venerable city lord himself personally surmised his cultivation
to have attained, at the very least, the 8th layer of the Saint King realm. He is a force absolutely not to be trifled with. The Ape Clan Saint King's jaw sagged, his entire frame convulsing with terror. He sucked in a ragged breath, cold sweat cascading relentlessly down his spine. The Ape Clan Saint King stammered, his voice thick with dread.
An 8th layer Saint King? Fellow Taoist Shen Ya, it was a divine mercy you restrained me. Otherwise, my very life would have been utterly extinguished.
Taoist Shen Ya pivoted to face the Ape Clan Saint King, his voice imbued with solemn gravity. This opening of the Huangtian Tower has drawn an assembly of formidable powerhouses. We must not act rashly. Keep your senses keen, lest you meet your demise without comprehension. The Ape Clan Saint King nodded fervently, meticulously imprinting Taoist Shen Ya's every word. Taoist Shen Ya then muttered to himself, I wonder just how many levels these two peerless heavenly talents can truly conquer.
The 60th floor poses no challenge, yet anything beyond that might prove an insurmountable feat. The Ape Clan Saint King, brimming with curiosity, inquired, Why not?
Is their cultivation inadequate?
Taoist Shen Ya irritably retorted, Forget them! Even a quasi-emperor from ancient times failed to achieve it. Legend dictates that the demonic emperor Zhuge Jing, in his desperate need for the divine spiritual marrow to prolong his existence, brazenly assailed the Huangtian Tower, only to ultimately return in utter, shattered defeat. This was a grand emperor. If even a grand emperor could not breach the 88th floor, do you truly believe our mere Saint Kings stand a ghost of a chance?
The Ape Clan Saint King swallowed audibly, shaking his head with fervent denial. If a grand emperor himself could not achieve it, then our Saint Kings are even further beyond the realm of possibility. At the 27th level of the Huangtian Tower, a stunningly beautiful, 9-tailed fox Saint King revealed herself. Her name, Lingmeng Venerable.
She was the singular Saint King, shouldering the very destiny of the entire Tushan Fox clan. Lingmeng Venerable, her heart surging with unyielding resolve, silently affirmed, I must ascend even further, for only then can I secure more resources. Only by reaching the pinnacle will I be able to bring forth enough invaluable resources to nurture our future generations. The instant Lingmeng Venerable's foot touched this new level, a majestic, crushing force of heaven and earth's laws immediately descended, pressing down upon her with overwhelming power. Her form reeled precariously, almost losing its footing, on the verge of being violently ejected. Lingmeng Venerable gasped for air, her teeth gritted tightly as she vehemently resolved within herself, I absolutely refuse to collapse here.
Lingmeng Venerable instinctively tilted her head, sweeping her gaze across the surroundings. A look of profound shock flashed in her eyes as she mused, What? Someone has outpaced me? Yet I distinctly received a bye in the initial round. I have scarcely paused for rest on this entire journey. I had assumed none would surpass me. Lingmeng Venerable's gaze intensified, locking onto Chu Xiu and Su Wangku. At last she clearly discerned their forms. Two formidable human cultivators, a male and a female. The man possessed an extraordinary handsomeness, while the woman's beauty was capable of toppling kingdoms. A profound jolt rippled through Lingmeng Venerable's eyes as she inwardly exclaimed, And they actually dare to cultivate in this very spot?
This terrifying pressure. Do they truly feel nothing at all?
Monsters. Both of them are absolute monsters. I would not dare disturb them. Lingmeng Venerable sought out a secluded corner, settling into a cross-legged position, slowly acclimating to the crushing force of the heaven and earth's laws. Once fully accustomed, she would press on towards the 28th floor. Lingmeng Venerable exhaled a faint sigh, her eyes gently closing as she mused, HMPH. With my meager strength, I fear the 30th floor will already mark my absolute ceiling. Just then, Chu Xiu abruptly opened his eyes, his gaze darting towards Lingmeng Venerable. He had detected her presence the instant she materialized. Yet, since she harbored no hostile intent towards them, Chu Xiu saw no reason to gratuitously instigate conflict. Moreover, from this woman's very being, he perceived a familiar trace of aura.
Oh, this aura! It is of the Tushan clan. It appears she is an ancestor to Tian Mian and Tushan Yu. Trisk. To see her in such a state of exhaustion. Those two truly owe their ancestor several profound kowtows. As he was lost in these thoughts, Su Wangkua had already completed her meditative adjustments. Chu Xiu, incapable of further cultivation here, lingered solely to act as Su Wangkua's protector. He directed a small smile towards Su Wangkua, then inquired, How goes it? Su Wangku rose gracefully, declaring, Further cultivation here holds little efficacy for me now. Let us proceed. The time to ascend to the next level has arrived. Chu Xiu gave a brief nod, assenting, All right. The two stepped onto their respective jade staircases, resuming their tireless ascent.
Witnessing Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi's nonchalant, seemingly effortless progression, a spark of profound envy inevitably ignited within Ling Meng Venerable's eyes. She mused internally. Such potent strength, it is truly a magnificent thing. Time flew by in a flash. Chu Xiao and Su Wangqi had been within the Huangtian Tower for 4 years. The rules of the tower dictated that cultivators could not remain on a single floor for too long. When their time elapsed, they were forced to ascend, or face immediate expulsion. Currently, few remained within the tower, with a mere 20 powerful cultivators, combining both human and demonkin, still present. At this moment, below the Huangtian Tower Plaza, whether Saint Kings or existences beneath the Saint King realm, none could maintain their composure. They were all driven into a frenzy. A Saint King pointed a trembling finger at the 70th floor of the Huangtian Tower, exclaiming in shock, "Everyone, look! The 70th floor is too outrageous. A new historical record has been broken. Who is it? Who on earth is it? Who could possess such monstrous talent?" Because the 2 points of light gave no clear identity, no one knew who had ascended to the 70th floor. But it could be affirmed that these two were undoubtedly human. The cultivators below the Huangtian Tower Plaza couldn't help but wildly speculate on the duo's identities, and the scene immediately erupted into a clamor. The Ji clan's genius has not yet emerged. It must be Ji Rushuang. The sword venerable of the endless sword domain has also not appeared. I'd wager it's him. Haha, our human race has reached the 70th floor. The demonkin must be utterly enraged. Meanwhile, within the demonkin territory, at the base of Wang Mountain, the human cultivators' suspicions were perfectly accurate, igniting a furious rage among the demonkin. They cursed incessantly. A dog-headed demonkin clenched his fists, his face filled with barely contained fury, declaring, "I told you long ago, we should have annihilated any humans on sight. Now look what happened. They have already breached the 70th floor. We can no longer stop them." A feathered chicken demon shrieked, flapping its wings wildly, cursing furiously, "You wretched human curs! May your entire race be exterminated!" Before the words even left its beak, the dog-headed demonkin's fist slammed into its face. He growled, "Thank you. I find myself deeply offended." Reeling from the colossal blow, the chicken demon shrieked in agonizing pain. A hulking barbarian Saint King, arms crossed over his chest, spoke in a booming voice. "Rest easy. The 70th floor is the absolute limit for any human." The other demonkin powerhouses sneered, their eyes filled with utter contempt. "Man Long, you were eliminated by humans in the very first stages? Do you truly have the audacity to speak of limits here?" Man Long roared, his fury erupting. "What do any of you fools know? That human, he is a monster, powerful beyond all reason." The other powerhouses, with indifferent looks, merely nodded in feigned agreement. Indeed. Your opponent was impossibly strong." Man Long slammed his colossal 10-meter wolf-tooth club into the ground, shaking the very earth. Where the club struck, stones pulverized, leaving a deep crater. He bellowed, "HMPH! If those humans dare to surpass the 70th floor, this old man will run naked around Wang Mountain 100 times. His boast immediately seized the attention of all present. Seeing their gazes fixed upon him, Man Long jutted out his chin and pounded his chest, declaring with supreme confidence, "A barbarian god warrior's word is as solid as the mountains." The instant Man Long's declaration ended, 2 flashes of crimson and azure light blazed forth, reaching the 71st floor in the blink of an eye. Witnessing this impossible sight, the entire scene plunged into a terrifying silence. All the demonkin powerhouses simultaneously turned their stares upon Man Long. Man Long himself stood utterly frozen, eyes wide and jaw slack, an inner lament already echoing within his soul. With the Guiyi Dao paving their way, Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi advanced, as if effortlessly cheating the very tower itself. Their ascent was unimpeded, encountering not a single obstruction. In a breathtaking display, they swiftly reached the 75th floor. Su Wangqi smiled, her voice tinged with genuine awe as she gazed at Chu Xiu. "You can actually assimilate the very heavenly laws of this place. It is truly beyond belief." Chu Xiu chuckled softly. "Cultivating alongside you these past years, I have not been idle. I've constantly researched the heavenly laws here, and, quite by chance, discovered a critical flaw." Su Wangqi clapped Chu Xiao's shoulder, her eyes narrowing playfully as she smiled. "Young man, you truly exceed my wildest imaginings. And does this mean we can ascend to the 88th floor and claim the spiritual marrow and other supreme treasures?" Chu Xiao's lips curved into a faint smile. "Indeed, my friend, your destiny is truly heaven-defying. To have met me is to be destined for immense wealth in this life." Hearing this, Su Wangqi's voice filled with delight. She winked, a playful smile gracing her lips. "Hehe. To great fortunes together, Chu Xiu. Let us witness the magnificent view from the very peak." Chu Xiu replied.
Go. But the higher we climb, the more arduous it becomes to assimilate the heavenly laws. Stay right behind me. With those words, Chu Xiu and Su Wangqiu channeled their great Tao, manifesting their own ethereal jade steps. One leading, one following, they steadily advanced. They walked and rested, cultivated and ascended, a relentless pursuit. 2 more years vanished in the blink of an eye, and at last, they set foot upon the 86th floor, just 1 more level from the ultimate peak. Whoosh! 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 Chu Xiu's face remained impassive as his right hand formed a sword finger, unleashing wave after wave of searing sword qi, frantically devouring the heavenly laws of this terrifying realm.
Over the years, this motion had become pure instinct. As expected, at this extreme altitude, he was forced to continuously manifest his Gi sword. The sheer drain on his power was an immense trial. Yet the 88th floor shimmered tantalizingly close before his eyes.
Following closely, Su Wangqiu couldn't help but marvel. If not for you paving the way, I would never believe anyone could reach this point. Her gaze swept across the surrounding space, her beautiful eyes filled with profound shock.
Legend holds that even the snow spirit emperor of the demon race only reached this far before being forced to retreat from the Huangtian Tower. For us to stand here, it is a miracle in itself.
Chu Xiu took a deep,
steadying breath. Do not grow complacent. The precipice of success is often the moment of greatest peril. The 87th floor will undoubtedly be terrifying. The closer we approach the summit, the more vigilant we must become. Su Wangqi nodded gravely, and the two continued their ascent along the ethereal steps, heading towards the 87th floor.
Primordial chaos. The instant they set foot upon the 87th floor,
Chu Xiu's expression suddenly contorted. Without the slightest hesitation, he ignited his vital essence blood, golden flames erupting around his body, illuminating the entire cosmic void. Boundless, majestic heavenly power bore down from every direction, crushing all beneath it. The heavenly laws here had almost materialized into physical form. Even the great Tao itself showed signs of being pulverized. This floor exuded an overwhelming sense of primordial chaos, as if one stood before the very moment the heavens and earth were first forged. All things were submerged in a state of utter pandemonium. The Tao patterns, laws, and imprints of heaven and earth were nearly visible, as if one could reach out and grasp them. That boundless pressure felt like the entire universe was crumbling. An ancient, pervasive might now focused entirely upon Chu Xiu. He thought to himself, the suppression of the heavenly laws on this floor is too immense, and the aura so much more chaotic.
Put!
The bones throughout Chu Xiu's body groaned and cracked under the strain, fresh blood continuously spewing from his mouth. His body, beyond his control, was forced violently backward. Witnessing this, Su Wangqiu immediately ignited her own vital essence blood. She surged forward, pressing both hands onto Chu Xiu's back, barely managing to keep him from being blasted out of the Huangtian Tower.
Su Wangqiu shouted towards Chu Xiao, "Hold on a little longer!" Chu Xiao gritted his teeth, painstakingly forcing out each word.
All right, stay close to me. Chu Xiu's left hand performed the Jiazhi secret art, rapidly healing his grievous injuries, while his right hand formed a sword incantation. He frantically unleashed his Gi sword, slashing wildly at the heavens and earth, desperately striving to cut away the surrounding chaos and carve a path to the 88th floor. Fortunately, I have the Jiazhi secret art to mend my wounds, he thought.
Whoosh!
Su Wangqi let out a deep breath, following closely behind Chu Xiu. Their ascent was excruciatingly difficult. Each step was akin to climbing the very heavens themselves.
Even with Chu Xiao shouldering the brunt of the pressure from the front, Su Wangqi's body was slowly, inexorably, accumulating damage. Witnessing her struggle,
Chu Xiao's sword-like brows furrowed. He turned his head to look at Su Wangqiu behind him. I will transmit the Jiazhi secret art to you. What Chu Xiao didn't expect was for Su Wangqi to shake her head. She softly closed her eyes and spoke, her voice faint. My Tao is the supreme Tao of life. Without facing death, how can one truly comprehend life? The ultimate culmination of life is death itself. To throw oneself into the jaws of death, to find a path to life. My Tao is Taisu Wuji. To seize the grand creation of heaven and earth, to comprehend the cycles of life and death within endless reincarnation. As she spoke, Su Wangqi's eyes grew hazy, as if countless spirits were slowly fading away. A surging Tao sound swept across the chaotic cosmic void of the 87th floor. Immortal light enveloped Su Wangqi's entire being, and she broke free from Chu Xiu's protective embrace.
She stepped onto the ethereal white jade steps, advancing relentlessly. Under the crushing might of the entire universe, her body rapidly disintegrated, seizing the grand creation of heaven and earth, comprehending life and death within reincarnation. Witnessing this horrifying spectacle, Chu Xiu couldn't help but curse under his breath. Mad woman!
Watching Su Wangqi comprehend the Tao right there, Chu Xiu recalled her words. If one understands the Tao in the morning, one can die content in the evening. This was the path she had chosen. As an outsider, Chu Xiu could not, and had no reason to, intervene. He could only clench his jaw, silently following behind, bearing witness to her audacious journey. Precisely at this moment, Chu Xiu suddenly sensed something. Unbeknownst to him, the skull-shaped pendant on his person had begun to stir. It pulsed with a faint, eerie glow, like a living entity breathing, as if responding to some ancient call. Chu Xiu's eyes widened in profound shock. Why is this pendant reacting now? He wondered. The Taisu Emperor Venerable once left a message, instructing me to bring this very item back 100,000 years into the past. Could this truly be the destined moment? Chu Xiu's eyes flickered. He grasped the pendant, cradling it within his palm. The pendant, without warning, instantly transformed into a dazzling stream of light. It shot like an arrow, piercing directly into Su Wanqi's back. Su Wanqi's body trembled, and the skull-shaped pendant seamlessly merged into her very being. Chu Xiu's eyes stretched wide in utter disbelief. He had researched this pendant for an eternity, yet never once discovered anything truly special about it. But now, it had, of its own accord, merged directly into Su Wanqi's body. After merging with the skull-shaped pendant, the disintegration of Su Wanqi's body visibly, significantly slowed. Just as Chu Xiao believed the ordeal was finally over, an unexpected, profound transformation erupted. A boundless, surging tide of energy fluctuated, radiating outwards in all directions, with Su Wanqi as its absolute epicenter. In that singular moment, the entire heaven and earth fell into an eerie, profound silence. Countless heavenly laws vanished. Tao patterns and regulations dissipated into nothingness. All became strangely, unnervingly still. Su Wanqi halted, slowly lifting her head to gaze forward. Less than 0 hours 8 minutes and 33 seconds. 880 greater than, less than C greater than. A trace of astonishment flickered in Su Wanqi's eyes as she fixed her gaze upon Xingwang, and layers of crimson Tao runes began to manifest. Boom! The void abruptly ruptured, nebulae scattering like resplendent fireworks across the starry expanse. They swiftly reformed, coalescing into a colossal, heaven-piercing crimson barrier that stood imposingly before the two. Within this barrier, illusory images flickered into existence. Su Wanqi, clad in white, wielding an ice crystal longsword amidst the boundless void. Her appearance remained unchanged, yet her aura was profoundly different, as if she were no longer herself. Before her stood a man whose face was shrouded in obscurity, cloaked in a black robe, his long black hair fluttering as if stirred by an unseen wind. Chu Xiu intently observed the man with the obscured face, his own expression subtly shifting. It was the man draped in black robes. He gazed silently at Su Wanqi, a faint, enigmatic smile playing upon his lips. He spoke softly. The Tao is not the Tao. Humanity is not humanity. We endure endless torment. The path is flawed, leading only to an impasse. These words were imbued with boundless sorrow, as if they transcended countless eons, echoing from the distant reaches of time and space. The voice, though seemingly Su Wanqi's, was not entirely her own. Upon hearing these words, Su Wanqi's eyes widened, fixing directly upon the man before her. Her face clouded with profound confusion as she questioned, "Are you claiming my Daguio is flawed?" As she spoke, Su Wanqi's eyes slowly closed. A wry smile twisted her lips, and she murmured to herself, "Su Wanqi, I have toiled in cultivation my entire life, yet you dare claim my Daguio is flawed." The man with the obscured face remained utterly silent, simply standing there, his gaze fixed upon her. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu's pupils constricted as he stared intently at the man with the obscured face. An indescribable sense of familiarity surged within his heart. Old Chu's face registered astonishment as he whispered, That is me." The moment Chu Xiu's words faded, the scene within the crimson barrier abruptly shifted. Su Wanqi drifted alone through the starry void, traversing desolate star sectors and countless worlds. Time silently flowed, perhaps a century, a millennium, or even 10,000 years. Through that vast expanse of time she pressed onward in solitude. She entered a pitch-black passage, overcoming countless perils and hardships, eventually setting foot upon a boundless world. Gray bones carpeted the ground, and everywhere lay scenes of utter desolation and ruin. Countless colossal, mountain-like corpses floated suspended in mid-air. Despite the passage of unknown eons, they remained utterly incorruptible. Su Wanqi's eyes subtly shifted, and her voice, filled with joy, echoed her internal thought.
This is Tianweishan.
Have I finally reached Tianweishan? Yet, that joy was short-lived, for within the gray bone mist, countless grotesque monsters began to appear. They swarmed from across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, their endless hordes ferociously surrounding and attacking Su Wanqi. Relying on her formidable power, Su Wanqi fought and retreated simultaneously. her ice crystal longsword sweeping across the heavens and earth. She slayed an untold number of monsters. Yet no matter how powerful, exhaustion would inevitably claim her. Countless eons passed as she fought, until the desolate heavens and earth faded into obscurity. Facing the endless monstrous army, in the end, she still fell. An indescribable desolation and loneliness enveloped her. Amidst the vast expanse of heaven and earth, it seemed only she remained. Su Wangqi was drenched in blood, her face etched with profound weariness. Her eyes closed, she sighed softly, murmuring, "In the end, fate could not be altered." The moment her words faded, Su Wangqi began to dissolve into the Tao. The heavens and earth trembled, and crimson rain fell from the sky in torrents, as if bidding farewell to a peerless, supreme expert. The surrounding monsters ceased their assault, merely watching in silence as the supreme expert slowly vanished.
Suddenly, as if realizing something, the horde of monsters roared savagely and charged forward frantically, intent on utterly crushing her on the spot. Su Wangqi subtly raised her head, and her originally dim eyes blazed with brilliant divine light. Her ice blade swept across, using the last vestiges of her strength to repel the monstrous horde. She raised her hand, forming a peculiar Tao seal, and her voice echoed throughout heaven and earth. To perish in the past, to be born in the present, to be interred in the future. Only by defying the great Tao can one return to the starting point of samsara and achieve eternal life. As each word resonated, the great Tao Bamako, her life force, her spirit, and all that comprised her began to merge, ultimately transforming into a black, skull-shaped pendant and a monster's eye. These two artifacts erupted with blinding divine light, tearing open a colossal rift. In that instant, the barrier between Tianweichen and the ancient lands vanished. The skull-shaped pendant and the monster's eye instantly shot into the rift, vanishing without a trace. Su Wangqi's figure also completely dissipated between heaven and earth, and immediately afterward, the rift sealed shut. The monsters charged forward in unison, but it was already too late. Returning to the present, Su Wangqi's beautiful eyes gently opened. It was but a blink. Yet in reality, 10,000 years had passed, and a vast tapestry of memories and experiences had been imprinted upon her mind. Su Wangqi reached up, lightly touching her chest, where a black skull-shaped pendant hung. A chilling sensation spread to her fingertips. She smiled, thinking to herself, what had just transpired was not an illusion, but undeniable reality. In the distance, Chu Xiu stood silently. At this moment, he finally understood everything. Old Chu mused inwardly. So that's how it is. The rift in the heavens and earth, that Lin Xiaoqiao's father witnessed back then, was forcibly torn open by Su Wangqi. The black skull-shaped pendant he found was not a mere coincidence, but an inevitability. The crimson pupils within Ming Yaozi's body were but one of the tens of thousands of eyes belonging to that multi-eyed monster. I brought the black skull-shaped pendant back 10,000 years, merging it with her, thus forming a closed time loop. She clearly used this method to distort future destiny. Chu Xiu furrowed his brow in deep thought. What I cannot comprehend is this. Taisu Emperor, before her demise, uttered those final words. To perish in the past, to be born in the present, to be interred in the future, to achieve eternal life within samsara. What profound realization did she attain? Perhaps only she herself truly knows. With this thought, Chu Xiu looked towards Su Wangqi. After that recent profound epiphany, her aura had grown even more formidable, having already reached the peak of the Saint King realm. He spoke up, asking, Old Su, are you all right? Hearing Chu Xiu's voice, Su Wangqi regained her focus. She turned her head to look at him and replied, I am fine. Chu Xiu walked over and stood beside her, a smile gracing his lips as he said, Before the pressure of the heavenly Tao rules descends, let us quickly proceed to the next levels. Su Wangqi nodded slightly and replied, Very well. The path from the 87th to the 88th floor is exceptionally long. When Chu Xiao and Su Wangqi finally set foot upon the final floor, half a month had already passed. What utterly surprised them was that the 88th floor possessed no pressure whatsoever. Thus, both entered this place with exceptional ease. Chu Xiao and Su Wangqi exchanged glances, surprise and doubt flickering in each other's eyes. Old Chu subtly furrowed his brow and exclaimed, This place, it has no pressure at all. Their divine senses immediately swept across the entire floor of the pagoda. They quickly discovered that its area was not large, roughly the size of a basketball court. In its center sat a stone basin, into which endless starlight poured down from above like a magnificent waterfall, converging within. Suspended amidst the flow of starlight was a fist-sized spherical object, emitting a faint, ethereal white glow. No one knew its composition, yet a single glance revealed it was certainly no ordinary item. Chu Xiu's gaze paused on the spherical object. After a careful observation, his pupils suddenly constricted, and with a voice filled with astonishment he exclaimed, "A celestial star divine stone! This is precisely the primary material Taisu Emperor used to forge the Taisu Divine Pagoda back then. This kind of divine artifact is exceedingly rare in the world, yet here it stands before us."
Su Wanqi suddenly raised an eyebrow. A celestial star divine stone? I can sense its aura is intricately linked to the Huangtian Pagoda. If we take it, I fear the Huangtian Pagoda will experience unforeseen complications.
Chu Xiu disregarded Su Wanqi's words.
Why overthink it? Let it be. Our arrival here signifies our fated connection to it. Everything here belongs to us. The two exchanged a strange, knowing smile, then hurriedly advanced. Their gazes simultaneously fell upon the stone basin. This basin looked no different from an ordinary washing basin, yet it was filled with a liquid condensed from starlight. This, too, was a divine artifact. This was starlight marrow, its essence akin to Daguo essence, capable of assisting cultivators in comprehending the Daguo. Not only that, starlight marrow could revive the dead and reconstruct bodies. Just a single drop was enough for a cultivator in battle to instantly replenish all expended primal energy.
To call it a cultivator's second life would be no exaggeration. Should such a supreme treasure appear in the outside world, it would drive countless powerful experts into a frenzy of contention. Yet, before the two of them, was an entire basin full, approximately 10 liters. Su Wanqi's eyes blazed brightly. She could not conceal her excitement at this rare, monumental opportunity. "We're rich! We're rich! So much starlight marrow falling into our hands. This is truly a massive fortune." Chu Xiu flashed a radiant smile at Su Wanqi and said, "There's about 10 liters here. 5 liters each for us, how about it?" Su Wanqi nodded and replied, "No problem." The two swiftly divided the starlight marrow in the stone basin, leaving not a single drop behind. Chu Xiao suddenly reached out and grabbed the stone basin. Seeing this, Su Wanqi asked in surprise, "What are you doing?" A wicked smile played on Chu Xiu's lips, the familiar grin of a true villain. "Haha, this stone basin can gather starlight marrow. It's absolutely a treasure. I'll see if I can take it with me." Su Wanqi was speechless upon hearing this. She did not stop his actions. "Then go ahead and try."
Unfortunately, even with his utmost effort, Chu Xiu could not budge the stone basin. After a period of strenuous effort, Chu Xiu realized he fundamentally could not move it. His face beaded with sweat, he grit his teeth and said, "I can't do it."
As he spoke, Chu Xiu reluctantly released his grip. He raised a hand to wipe the beads of sweat from his forehead.
A look of deep regret on his face, he sighed and said, "Alas, this item is fundamentally linked to the Huangtian Pagoda as one entity. It cannot be separated."
Su Wanqi reached out and lightly patted Chu Xiao's shoulder in comfort.
"Then, let it be. We've already taken every last drop of the starlight marrow. One cannot be too greedy." As she spoke, her gaze fell upon the celestial star divine stone. "Moreover, there's still this celestial star divine stone. It is a supreme material for forging emperor artifacts, its value in no way inferior to the starlight marrow. Will you take it, or shall I?"
Hearing this, Chu Xiao shook his head, smiling at Su Wanqi. He said, "I already possess a divine artifact. This one is for you. In the future, you can use it to forge a Dao-proving artifact."
Su Wanqi nodded softly, murmuring, "Then I shall not be polite." As her words fell, she reached out and seized the heavenly star divine stone.
Everything proceeded more smoothly than anticipated. Su Wanqi effortlessly clutched the heavenly star divine stone, then sealed it within a jade box.
The moment the heavenly star divine stone was claimed,
the Huangtian Tower instantly underwent a drastic change, its massive structure violently trembling.
Chu Xiu's face showed a hint of astonishment as he declared,
"The heavenly star divine stone's removal has indeed stirred the very foundation of the Huangtian Tower. We must leave." Su Wanqi nodded, and both quickly departed the tower, the scene shifting.
Outside, the Huangtian Tower was now violently shaking, drawing the gaze of all cultivators. Whether from the Zhongjiao human domain or the Yao Manqiang region of Wangshan, every eye fixed upon the towering structure. No one knew what transpired within. After Chu Xiao and Su Wanqi ascended to the 80th floor,
their 2 points of light vanished.
Everyone outside the tower assumed they succumbed to the immense pressure of heaven and earth, thus being teleported out. In truth, reaching the 80th floor was already an astonishing feat. The record of reaching the 80th floor was unprecedented in history. As for whether anyone would ever surpass it, no one could foretell. In the Zhongju human domain, within Yanhuang's city, streaks of white light descended from the Huangtian Tower. Spatial energy surged everywhere, teleporting all cultivators within the tower to the outside. Saint Kings gathered in unison, eager to discover which two powerhouses had scaled the 80th floor of the Huangtian Tower. Cultivators below the Saint King realm, though intensely curious, dared not approach, only observing from a distance.
Look! The points of light are vanishing!
Those inside are being teleported out.
Hurry, go ask who reached the 80th floor. Tell me, who among them shattered this ancient record? I bet it's Ji Shuang and the Sword Venerable from the Boundless Sword Domain. Yes, I also suspect it's them. If so, it makes sense. They are far too powerful. Bye. Just reaching the 80th floor guarantees them colossal benefits. It's truly enviable. If only I could ascend to the 80th floor and persevere to the end in the Huangtian Tower.
The strength of these individuals spoke for itself. Each was a powerhouse among powerhouses. Naturally, the most attention was drawn to those ranked at the top of the Saint King ranking. The moment they appeared, a throng of cultivators surrounded them.
Amidst the clamor of discussions, Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi emerged one after another from the streams of white light. The two exchanged glances, secretly transmitting their thoughts. We were both seriously wounded on the 87th floor. This place is bustling with people. It's inevitable that some will be blinded by greed and harbor intentions of killing us for our treasures. We should remain discreet, revealing nothing. Chu Xiu's voice was low, laced with caution. He harbored no trust for these Saint Kings. If they were besieged by this crowd, no matter how powerful he and Su Wangqi were, they might very well be left to perish permanently in Zhongzhou.
Su Wangqi nodded slightly, replying with a faint smile through sound transmission. Understood. Let them speculate. While Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi were exchanging transmissions, a cultivator shifted his gaze towards them.
Chu Xiao and Su Wangqi's joint actions had been witnessed firsthand by many Saint Kings. A rogue Saint King approached, cupped his hands in greeting, and asked, "May I inquire, esteemed fellow Taoists, to which floor you ascended? I hope you can satisfy my humble curiosity." Chu Xiao's eyes flickered as he observed the man before him. He thought to himself, "I know this fellow. Yang Tianfeng, a rogue Saint King of the 4th layer. His strength is ordinary, but he excels at social maneuvering, always cultivating an image of valuing righteousness over wealth. He holds considerable prestige among rogue cultivators. Even immortal great sects and dynasties are reluctant to offend him." With this thought, Chu Xiu let out a subtle sigh. He cupped his hands in a respectful gesture, a hint of helplessness on his face as he slowly replied, "My strength is not bad, but alas, my youth and limited cultivation time only allowed me to reach the 61st floor. It's shameful. I hope I haven't brought disgrace upon our human race." Hearing this, Yang Tianfeng quickly laughed and said, "Fellow Taoist Chu, you speak too modestly. To ascend past the 60th floor already surpasses the vast majority of cultivators. How could you possibly lose face?" At this point, Yang Tianfeng's gaze shifted to Su Wangqi, and he asked, "Did fellow Taoist Su also stop at the 61st floor?" Su Wangqi nodded without hesitation, replying, "Indeed, Chu Xiu and I were both halted at the 61st floor." Yang Tianfeng smiled and said, "Congratulations to both of you." With those words, Yang Tianfeng turned and departed. Watching his retreating figure, a trace of deep contemplation flickered in Chu Xiu's eyes. Noticing Chu Xiao's expression, Su Wangqi asked with a hint of suspicion, "What's wrong? Is there something amiss with that man?" Chu Xiao's face was grim, as he gravely stated, "I constantly feel something is wrong with him. I hope it's just my illusion, for I truly do not wish to be forced to kill again." On the other side, Tan Dongyang was startled and horrified after hearing Yang Tianfeng's scheme. Just moments ago, Yang Tianfeng had proposed ambushing and killing Chu Xiao and Su Wangqi. "Fellow Taoist Yang," he stammered, "we are all human cultivators. Doing this, it seems somewhat improper." Yang Tianfeng sneered, "HMPH. I know what fellow Taoist Tan is worried about, but I've just observed them. Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi are severely wounded, their strength less than 1/10 of their peak. If we few Saint Kings join forces, they are certain to perish." Yang Tianfeng stared intently at Tan Dongyang, then continued gravely. "They ascended to the 61st floor of the Huangtian Tower. Do you understand what that means? They must have acquired countless, fortuitous opportunities within. Heaven only knows how many benefits. If we don't seize this chance for a major strike, does fellow Taoist Tan intend to wait for good fortune to simply fall into your lap?" Hearing this, Tan Dongyang took a deep breath. He had already discerned the hidden killing intent deep within Yang Tianfeng's eyes. He knew that at this moment, even if he didn't want to, he had no choice. If he dared to refuse, Yang Tianfeng would surely silence him permanently. This Yang Tianfeng was fundamentally not the righteous person he appeared to be. In reality, his heart was utterly vicious. Thinking thus, Tan Dongyang's lips curled into a wicked smile. He nodded and replied, "All right, I'll do it. But who else will act? Just the two of us joining forces won't be enough to match them." Yang Tianfeng lightly patted Tan Dongyang's shoulder, a smile gracing his lips as he said, "A wise decision.
Rest assured, you won't regret it. Others will aid us. This time, success is inevitable. Just as the cultivators were still searching the plaza for those who had ascended to the 80th floor of the Huangtian Tower, a sudden, drastic change erupted from the tower. Boom! A colossal explosion echoed, shaking heaven and earth. The Huangtian Tower, which had stood majestically in Zhangzhou's Yanhuang city for countless ages, began to slowly ascend. The cultivators were utterly stunned, crying out in alarm, "What's happening? What has happened to the Huangtian Tower?" Even as everyone reeled in terror, the Huangtian Tower shot straight upwards, soaring into the heavens. This sight left everyone wide-eyed and dumbfounded. The Huangtian Tower! It flew away! How is this possible? Is the Huangtian Tower not an ownerless artifact? How can it simply fly off on its own? If the Huangtian Tower is gone, won't our Heaven-Scryer continent lose a vital secret realm? The expressions of all cultivators turned extremely grim. Some even lunged into the void, desperate to pursue the direction the Huangtian Tower had flown. The departure of the Huangtian Tower was absolutely no minor matter. Immediately, some individuals retrieved their 1,000-mile sound transmission talismans, relaying this earth-shattering news back to their family clans and sects.
Chu Xiu's expression subtly flickered. He mimicked others, feigning a look of shock, and whispered, 10,000 years later, the Huangtian Tower will never open again. The fundamental reason isn't that it won't open, but that it has already departed the Heaven-Scryer continent. The tower that has stood majestically in Yanhuang city of Zhangzhou ever since was merely a replica, deliberately erected by the Ji family to display their hegemonic position over Zhangzhou. Su Wangqi's face revealed a hint of doubt as she spoke. I always felt that the Huangtian Tower's disappearance was connected to us. Chu Xiu tilted his head slightly, looking at Su Wangqi. He offered a faint smile and said, "Be a little more confident. Drop the word, felt. Let's go. You and I have suffered severe injuries.
We should first find a place to heal. You also need time to consolidate your soaring cultivation." Su Wangqiu nodded softly and replied, "I have a very secret cave dwelling in the southern region. No one will disturb us there." As Su Wangqi's words concluded, the two flew side by side, silently departing the plaza.
Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi directly traversed the void, swiftly moving away from Yanhuang city at extreme speeds. A day later, as they were about to enter the outskirts of the southern region, they were intercepted by a group of individuals.
100,000 miles ahead, the void suddenly twisted, and 5 figures emerged one after another. All wore bronze ghost masks, blocking divine sense probing and concealing their auras, making their appearances utterly indiscernible. However, based on their physiques, it was clear that among the 5, there were 4 men and 1 woman. To dare intercept Chu Xiu and Su Wangqiu in the opponents' strength was clearly extraordinary, at least at the Saint King realm.
Su Wangqi tilted her head, her expression as indifferent as ever. She spoke faintly to Chu Xiu, 5 Saint Kings. Quite the display of force. It seems your prediction was accurate. These people truly couldn't suppress their greed and intend to strike at us. Being ambushed mid-journey did not surprise Chu Xiu. He had encountered such instances of killing for treasures far too many times to still be astonished. In this world there were always those dominated by greed, who would disregard their own lives for wealth.
At that moment, a blue-robed man, one of the 5 Saint Kings, stepped forward. He spoke to Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi, his voice deliberately disguised, deep and hoarse, like the grating screech of sawing metal, utterly unpleasant. "So hurried, are we? Where do the 2 of you intend to flee?"
Su Wangqi chuckled softly, calmly replying, "Do we need to report our destination to a bunch of faceless cowards like you?" Though injured, she was not one to be casually bullied.
The sole female among the 5 Saint Kings, a woman with a curvaceous figure, spoke with a cold voice. "Enough idle chatter. Let's strike directly, to avoid any complications from a prolonged night."
Indeed, delays breed complications. The blue-robed man nodded, killing intent surging around him, his long hair fluttering even without wind. He raised a hand, forming hand seals.
A pitch-black banner, the soul-summoning banner, immediately flew out from between his brows, growing larger with the wind, finally transforming into a colossal banner that obscured the sky. As the massive banner unfurled, countless spectral souls poured forth from within.
Their numbers were beyond counting. They bared their fangs in ferocious smiles, unleashing mournful wails as a ghostly tide of spiritual energy surged towards Chu Xiu and Su Wangqiu. In a flash, the entire heaven and earth instantly transformed into a ghostly domain. The sun and moon lost their light, as a sinister, murky aura permeated everything. The remaining 4 also unleashed their divine abilities simultaneously. One summoned ice crystals, spreading white snow everywhere,
dyeing mountains, rivers, and the earth in frigid white. The void itself was frozen to the shattering point, sealing off all retreat paths for Chu Xiu and Su Wanqiu. The woman in the green dress swung her right hand, and a massive scythe materialized. She raised the scythe high and cleaved down, its razor-sharp blades slicing through the void as if it were fragile tofu.
Chu Xiu had already roughly guessed the identities of two of them. He burst into roaring laughter. "Ji Hongba, Yang Tianfang, your audacity is truly staggering. To dare attempt to kill for treasures. Very well."
Being called by name, the expressions of the five subtly shifted. The woman in the green dress spoke with a cold voice. "Knowing too much is not a good thing."
As her words ceased, her movement technique, like a ghost, propelled her straight towards Chu Xiu. With a mere flicker of her body, she traversed tens of thousands of miles, appearing directly behind him. Chu Xiu raised his hand and formed hand seals. His index finger lightly pointed out, conjuring blood-red energy vortexes that converged upon the incoming massive scythe. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion reverberated. Sparks erupted in all directions, and terrifying energy radiated, causing the very fabric of space to violently tremble. Chu Xiu's two fingers effortlessly clamped down on the green-dressed woman's massive scythe. He roared softly. "True martial 36 forms. True martial shatters the void." The woman, still clutching her scythe, was flung back tens of thousands of miles by the terrifying shockwave. Her hands went numb, and she stared at Chu Xiu in horror. What formidable physical strength! Chu Xiu's lips curled into a cold smile. A ruthless gleam appeared on his handsome face as he declared, "Do I look very weak? Who gave you the audacity to charge before me?" Demon Lord Chu's smile vanished, utterly devoid of humanity. With eyes as black as the void, he swept his gaze across the massed figures, declaring coldly, "Since you have already come, then none of you shall leave." The very instant the words left his lips, Chu Xiu raised his hand, unleashing a devastating grasp. Within a 1,000-mile radius, dark mists and roiling clouds surged forth, swiftly condensing into a colossal, blood-red bow several thousand zang long, blazing with terrifying divine light. Chu Xiu grasped the longbow, nocked an arrow, and drew the string taut as a full moon. A torrent of blood essence surged, engulfing the heavens, as his heavenly slaughter sword intent permeated all creation, utterly sealing the opponent's every escape. Around his form, rings of crimson light pulsed ceaselessly. Within his eyes, golden and blood-red lights intertwined, his divine nature and monstrous demonic essence reaching their absolute zenith. The woman in green, utterly locked by the heavenly slaughter sword intent's ultimate killing aura, felt her body tremble. Comprehending the sheer terror of this single arrow, her expression turned utterly grave. Without the slightest hesitation, she tore open the void and plunged within, hoping to widen the distance from Chu Xiu and evade this devastating strike. But it was already too late. The arrow, several thousand zang long, flickered with an ominous, dark gray light, carrying a terrifying, unified Tao power. It began to ceaselessly devour the very origin energy of heaven and earth, swallowing all Tao laws caught within its path. Even the life force of the great earth below was sucked completely dry. Killing intent materialized, coiling around the longbow and Chu Xiu's form like undulating crimson silk. The arrow launched from the bowstring, its speed immeasurable. It surpassed the speed of light by untold magnitudes. The arrow shot forth like a miniature black hole, devouring everything in its path. The very void, the fundamental laws of heaven and earth, and all spiritual energy were utterly consumed, transforming into an endless source of power for the arrow. With every devour, the arrow's speed accelerated further, its destructive might growing terrifyingly. The woman in green ceaselessly shifted her direction, desperately attempting to escape, but she despairingly discovered that no matter how she evaded, the arrow relentlessly clung to her. It would not cease until it found its mark. The woman in green shrieked in terror, turning to the man in blue robes. "Fellow Taoist Ji, save me! Quickly activate your soul-summoning banner and command countless specters to block Chu Xiu." Beneath his demon mask, Ji Hongbo's expression was utterly ghastly. He knew, deep in his core, that even he could not withstand this terrifying arrow from Chu Xiu. "It's too late," Ji Hongbo thought to himself. The woman in green shrieked in utter despair. "No, I refuse to die." Her heart was overwhelmed with profound regret. If she had only known Chu Xiu was this formidable, she would never have acted out of avarice for a paltry gain. Alas, there is no medicine for regret in this world. She could only watch, utterly helpless, as the devastating arrow pierced through her very being. A terrifying suction force erupted, madly devouring everything. She struggled wildly, screaming in abject misery, but all her efforts were utterly futile. In a mere instant, the entire body of the woman in green was completely devoured,
leaving behind only a swirling, blood-red void. After a few heartbeats, the void dissipated into a crimson mist that saturated the sky, slowly raining down upon the earth. Thus, a 7th-level Saint King was utterly obliterated by a single arrow from Chu Xiu.
The sheer, overwhelming shock caused the 4 remaining Saint Kings' movements to unconsciously cease for a fleeting moment.
On her side, Su Wangqi coldly roared, "Fighting me, and you dare to be distracted?" Her long hair billowed like a storm. Employing the lineage movement's secret art, in a single step, she materialized directly before the man in dark red robes. She unleashed a devastating punch, its fist intent blazing like a colossal sun hanging high in the heavens, carrying the absolute power to annihilate all.
The man, startled and panicked, hurriedly raised both hands to block. But in that exact instant, emerald Dao patterns flared beneath Su Wangqi's feet. Her figure instantly vanished, and in a blink, she reappeared directly behind her opponent.
Her fist transformed into a palm, unleashing a peerless strike that swept through all time. This single palm exploded with cataclysmic energy, causing 10,000 miles of the void, and countless specters rushing towards her to instantly shatter like fragile glass, collapsing into dust. The man, utterly overwhelmed, stood frozen, lifeless. The demon mask on his face was utterly obliterated by that palm strike, and in that instant, his body was pulverized into countless motes of dust, his very soul scattered to the winds on the spot. Even his bones were flung, obliterated, leaving nothing behind. An annihilation so complete, it was as if he had never existed.
This horrifying spectacle made Ji Hongbo and the others instinctively whip their heads around to stare. Su Wangqi, having broken through to the 9th level of the Saint King realm, now wielded power so immense it far surpassed all their wildest imaginings. The man in purple robes, none other than Tan Dongyang, uttered in a voice trembling with fear, "Fellow Taoist Yang." Tan Dongyang gazed at Chu Xiu and Su Wangqi, a secret terror coiling in his heart. Weren't they said to be heavily injured before, with less than a tenth of their battle power remaining? Yet, in their very first confrontation, they instantly annihilated 2 late-stage Saint Kings? Are you joking with me? Yang Tianfeng, at this very moment, was also utterly terrified, his soul almost scattering.
I believed I had already overestimated their power, he thought to himself. Yet, unbelievably, I still severely underestimated them.
Without even waiting for Ji Hongbo and the others to react, blood-red Dao patterns erupted beneath Chu Xiu's feet, and his entire being shot like a missile, straight into the heavens. Chu Xiu clenched both hands into iron fists, opened his mouth, and drew in a profound breath, immediately unleashing a fearsome technique. The true martial 36 forms. True martial roar. The earth-shattering roar ripped forth from his throat.
The roar echoed like a primal dragon's cry, shaking heaven and earth, reverberating through the vast starry sky, causing mountains and rivers to tremble and fracture. Layers of savage, explosive sound waves swept across, crushing every specter in its path, utterly annihilating them into dissipated yin-qi that vanished into the air.
Tear! The colossal soul-summoning banner was ripped, a gaping fissure appearing across its fabric. Its life-bound Saint King energy was irrevocably damaged. Ji Hongbo's mind was violently jolted, and he instantly spat out a mouthful of fresh, crimson blood. Su Wangqi turned her captivating gaze upon Ji Hongbo, a chilling smile gracing her lips. Ji Hongbo, leave this one to me. Su Wangqi activated the lineage movement's secret art, her movement exploding with unparalleled speed. A terrifying, oppressive pressure swept across heaven and earth, crushing the 3 remaining Saint Kings to the point where they could barely draw breath. In her icy, emotionless eyes, she declared coldly, "You wish to seize the opportunity of my injuries to kill me? Today, I shall show you what it means for a wounded lion to still be vastly superior to a fat horse. To bring me down, you are utterly unqualified." Su Wangqi's life Dao laws erupted, spreading in all directions. Countless vines, imbued with terrifying vitality, grew wildly. From all 8 directions, they spiraled and entwined, snaring Ji Hongbo and utterly sealing off all his retreat paths. A late-stage Saint King had already been instantly obliterated. The 2 mid-stage Saint Kings, Yang Tianfeng and Tan Dongyang, watched as Demon Lord Chu advanced step by step towards them, his figure at this moment indistinguishable from a true descending demon god. They instinctively trembled with fear, their entire bodies shaking. Despite being powerful Saint King experts, when confronted with the precipice of life and death, they could not escape such a pathetic, disheveled state. Reflecting on it, it was true. Saint Kings, in the end, were still mortals. And as mortals, who among them does not fear death? Before the ultimate boundary of life and death, can anyone truly claim to be nobler than another? Tan Dongyang, his voice trembling with sheer terror, whimpered, "What do you intend to do? Do not come any closer.
Fellow Taoist Chu, everything can be negotiated. There is no need for such brutal fighting and killing. Yang Tianfeng let out a bitter, hollow laugh from behind his demon mask. Fellow Taoist Chu, this is all just a misunderstanding. Truly, we never had any intention of ambushing or slaying the two of you.
His heart was consumed by profound regret.
Had he known this man and woman were so utterly terrifying, he would never have agreed to ally with Ji Hongbo to deal with them.
Tan Dongyang's face was deathly pale, stark white with terror, as he hastily explained. Fellow Taoist Chu, this matter has absolutely nothing to do with me. It was all Yang Tianfang who coerced me. If I hadn't agreed, he would surely have killed me. Hearing this, Chu Xiu's lips curved into a faint, chilling smile. He declared coldly, Misunderstanding? Innocent? If it is truly a misunderstanding, then I shall cripple your cultivation as punishment. Hearing the chilling words cripple cultivation, Tan Dongyang and Yang Tianfeng's expressions drastically changed. They had endured countless untold hardships to cultivate to their current realm. If their cultivation was completely crippled, it would be worse than death. Far better to be instantly killed. What's more, they had already offended countless individuals. Once they lost all their cultivation, how could those enemies possibly let them go? Falling into their enemies' hands would truly be a fate worse than death. Yang Tianfeng, outwardly fierce but inwardly a coward, gnashed his teeth and declared, Chu Xiu, we are all from the human race. How can you be so utterly ruthless? My friends are spread throughout all corners of this world. If you cripple my cultivation, are you not afraid of incurring the furious wrath of the entire martial world? Tan Dongyang trembled, then collapsed, kneeling to beg. Fellow Taoist Chu, I am truly innocent. As long as you spare me, I am willing to offer all the assets of the Tan family, to be disposed of as you wish. Witnessing the pathetic, cowardly display of the two, Chu Xiu couldn't help but shake his head. The longer one lives, the more one fears death. If these two had dared to resist with their lives, even if they couldn't win, he would have held them in slightly higher regard. Yet now, before a true battle had even begun, they were already kneeling and begging, even resorting to threats. This pathetic display of begging, threatening, and offering benefits, their true ugliness was exposed to the extreme. Disappointment flickered in Demon Lord Chu's eyes. In terms of the spirit of a true expert, most human cultivators are inferior to even demon beasts. He still clearly remembered his time in the Taishu sacred land, within the desolate demon secret realm, and the great demon leader named Ma. Ma's cultivation was only at the beyond realm, far inferior to Yang Tianfeng and Tan Dongyang. Yet, when facing death, Ma was incredibly calm, utterly fearless. He had never once opened his mouth to beg Chu Xiao for his life. In his eyes, there was only a trace of regret, nothing more. In Chu Xiao's estimation, Ma Sa embodied the spirit of a true expert far more than these two trembling fools. Boom! As Chu Xiu was lost in thought, an earth-shattering explosion ripped through the air, dragging an entire region of the void into utter collapse. Miserable screams of agony reverberated throughout the 9 heavens. Ji Hongbo was utterly no match for Su Wanqi. With just a single, explosive punch, he was blasted apart, his bones pulverized into fine dust, his very soul scattered to oblivion. An 8th-level Saint King expert, the old ancestor of the Ji family, had officially fallen. Su Wanqi's long hair billowed wildly in the wind. Stepping gracefully upon the void, she slowly, deliberately walked towards Chu Xiu and the others. The savage, explosive aura around her had not fully settled, causing the surrounding space to ceaselessly tremble and warp. She stood there, a terrifying vision, like a female war god who had just emerged from a sea of blood, carrying an oppressive might that made heaven and earth itself bow in submission. Yang Tianfeng and Tan Dongyang's breathing grew heavy, ragged, too powerful. The sensation Su Wanqi exuded was truly overwhelming. This feeling was precisely what they experienced when, as great saints, they had first faced a Saint King, an absolute disparity that made them feel utterly insignificant and despairing. Chu Xiu furrowed his brow, looking at Su Wanqi, and asked, Is it handled? Your condition seems somewhat off. Su Wanqi chuckled softly. My cultivation is a bit unstable. A period of secluded cultivation will resolve it. As she said this, Su Wanqi's gaze subtly shifted towards Yang Tianfeng and Tan Dongyang. Her voice carried a hint of playful mockery as she turned a smile towards Chu Xiu. Not dealt with yet? Very well then. Leave the killing to me, Chu Xiu replied nonchalantly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Otherwise, I would have acted long ago. One person to stall for time, one person to reap the harvest. Yang Tianfeng's expression changed drastically. You said you wouldn't kill us, Chu Xiu said with an utterly indifferent expression. You are no longer children. Do you truly not understand what stalling for time means? Tan Dongyang was on the verge of tears. He hadn't anticipated that Chu Xiu was genuinely stalling for time, clearly holding an absolute, overwhelming advantage, yet still resorting to such despicable tactics to draw out the moment. You have no martial ethics. Sensing the surging, palpable killing intent, Yang Tianfang knew that to linger further meant only death. He roared at Tan Dongyang, "Split up and run!" He immediately burned his essence blood, his form transforming into a blazing streak of light as he desperately fled. Tan Dongyang was stunned for a split second, but he swiftly regained his wits. Without hesitation, he unleashed a forbidden blood escape secret art, tearing open the void and fleeing even faster than Yang Tianfang. Alas, it was all utterly in vain. Chu Xiu and Su Wanqi both possessed the peerless lineage movement secret art. Their speed was unmatched throughout the entire world. To allow these two to escape would truly be a cosmic joke. There was no unexpected outcome. Under Chu Xiu's strategic interception, the two were swiftly struck down and annihilated by Su Wanqiu. Though he did not directly engage in the killing blow, Chu Xiu's interference with the laws of heaven and earth still caused him to suffer a slight backlash of qi and blood. However, protected by the mysterious world gate, this minor backlash was insignificant, merely consuming a small fraction of his vital energy. After thoroughly cleaning the battlefield, the two gathered all the spoils of war and departed. Before vanishing, Chu Xiu's eyes subtly flickered towards the distant void, millions of miles away, a faint smile gracing the corner of his lips, as if bidding a silent farewell to an unseen acquaintance. Days later, within a bustling tavern in the central continent, streams of people bustled endlessly through the streets outside. Inside the tavern, countless cultivators were gathered before the Heavenly Secret Gazette. Discussing Chu Xiu and Su Wanqi on the Saint King rankings, they buzzed with excitement. Have you heard? Chu Xiu and Su Wanqi are truly like the black and white twin calamities. 5 attacked 2, yet they were utterly counterslain. One added, "And now, at the heavenly abyss great wall, dark clouds blanket the sky, and blood-red Kwai pierces the heavens." The cultivators within the tavern gazed out, their eyes drawn to the distant horizon. They couldn't help but exclaim in shock and terror, "What in the heavens is happening? Why is it so dark and ominous near the heavenly abyss great wall?" Just then, a deep, ominous thud resounded across the heavenly dome. Demonic clouds surged and roiled, and heaven and earth plunged into an apocalyptic scene. A man in resplendent golden robes, with a magnificent pair of wings on his back, and long hair cascading to his shoulders, stepped through the void. His killing intent saturated the entire sky. His aura was overpoweringly immense. Even with the formidable layers of the Great Wall's restrictions separating them, it crushed the cultivators below the wall, making them nearly unable to breathe. What is that? A Saint King! A Saint King is attacking the heavenly abyss great wall. The cultivators instantly erupted into utter pandemonium. The man in resplendent golden robes stood majestically in the 9 heavens, a towering, terrifying presence. He slowly lowered his head, gazing down at the chaotic human cultivators below, a cruel, predatory smile twisting the corner of his lips. This venerable one is on the verge of a breakthrough. This time, I have come to the heavenly abyss great wall specifically to seek worthy opponents. Is there anyone among the human race who dares to challenge me? Does anyone dare to step forth and fight? Could it be that all of you are too afraid? Ha! A bunch of cowards. A man in luxurious, flowered robes stood with his arms crossed amidst the void, his eerily charming face radiating unparalleled arrogance. This was Shenya Taoist, ranked 3rd on the Saint King board, a peak Saint King realm expert of the demon race. Just then, a chilling, resolute voice pierced the air. "Arrogant fool, allow me to teach you what true swordsmanship is." No sooner had he spoken than the void above the Tianyuan Great Wall warped, and a commanding figure emerged from within. His form was towering, muscles rippling, his rugged face framed by long hair dancing in the wind. A colossal great sword was strapped to his back, radiating an incredibly sharp aura. He stood there like a sword freshly unsheathed, his boundless sword intent tearing through the surrounding void, manifesting countless small cracks. This formidable warrior was Lin Jianyuan, one of the 3 revered guardians of the Tianyuan Great Wall. Hailing from the sacred land of Wujin Sword Domain, his cultivation had reached the 9th stage of the Saint King realm, a mere step from its apex. Ranked 6th on the Saint King board, he stood as the Tianyuan Great Wall's strongest combatant. Shenya Taoist. Lin Jianyuan's voice rumbled low. "Do you truly believe you are the only one making progress?" This old man's sword, it begs to differ. As he spoke, he slowly raised his right hand. He gripped the hilt of the colossal great sword on his back, his entire aura gradually retracting, as if concentrating all his might into the impending moment of drawing his blade. For when this sword was unleashed, the very heavens would quake and the earth would surely crumble. Shenya Taoist's narrow, elongated eyes subtly narrowed.
a cold, mocking smile curling on his lips. Still so self-assured, Lin Jianyuan? Very well. Today, I shall brutally demonstrate the true meaning of disparity. Ha ha! Golden Crow, go! Ignite everything! No sooner had he spoken than Shenya pointed his hand, clenching it towards Lin Jianyuan. Saint King energy surged and coalesced, manifesting into a colossal three-legged golden crow that soared across the sky, its mere presence incinerating all in its path. The three-legged golden crow unleashed a piercing shriek, beating its wings as it plunged directly towards Lin Jianyuan with devastating speed. Wherever it passed, the very void was incinerated, leaving a searing trail of raging flames stretching for millions of miles. Its horrifying temperature scorched the very earth, withering ancient trees and instantly drying up rivers spanning thousands of miles. The cultivators atop the Tianyuan Great Wall watched their faces drain of all color, instinctively raising their hands to shield themselves from the three-legged golden crow's terrifying, overwhelming heat. They cried out in sheer alarm, "Heavens! This temperature is utterly unbearable!" Swoosh! 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 The resonant hum of a sword echoed through heaven and earth as boundless sword intent swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Lin Jianyuan finally unleashed the colossal greatsword from its sheath. He unleashed a single, devastating slash. 10,000 feet of radiant swordlight erupted, its blinding brilliance forcing all onlookers to avert their gaze. The golden crow let out a cry of intense agony, its colossal body instantly bisected by the overwhelming power of the sword. Ha ha! One isn't enough? Then let's add 2 more. Shenya Taoist laughed raucously, and with another defiant flick of his hand, 2 more colossal three-legged golden crows immediately burst forth, blazing with furious, destructive flames, encircling and attacking Lin Jianyuan from 2 merciless directions. Sensing the approaching world-annihilating flames, Lin Jianyuan's expression darkened ominously. His great sword did not retreat, but instead continued to lash out. Swoosh! 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 Swordlight arced across hundreds of thousands of miles, brutally tearing through the heavens. He did not falter, unleashing a second, then a third devastating sword strike, continuously carving out several powerful arcs of swordlight towards the 2 encroaching three-legged golden crows. Each successive strike caused the heaven and earth to tremble violently, threatening to rupture. Shenya Taoist laughed maniacally. Ha ha! 10 suns blot out the sky. Prepare yourself for a fireworks display that engulfs the very heavens. He spread his arms wide as if to embrace the entire world. The 4th three-legged golden crow appeared. Then the 5th, the 6th, until 10 colossal three-legged golden crows simultaneously converged, completely besieging Lin Jianyuan. The entire area within hundreds of miles transformed into a raging, infernal sea of fire, its horrifying temperature as if 10 suns had descended upon the world. The blinding radiance was so immense that no one could keep their eyes open. Shenya Taoist's face was filled with triumphant arrogance as he coldly declared, "HMPH, roasted 10 times over. If he's still not cooked after this, then I shall take your surname." After a few agonizing breaths, the overwhelming light gradually dissipated, revealing a colossal greatsword plunged straight into the ground, piercing deep into the earth itself. The guardians on the Tianyuan Great Wall were stunned into utter silence, their eyes wide with disbelief as they stared at where Lin Jianyuan had once stood, now incinerated into mere nothingness. Only his colossal greatsword remained, piercing the earth amidst the thick smoke and dust. Their faces filled with profound horror, they stammered with trembling voices. "The sword? It's still here. But where? Where is Lin Jianyuan?" "No. The esteemed guardian lord has fallen. The strongest guardian of the Tianyuan Great Wall, Lin Jianyuan. Could he have truly fallen just like that, killed by Shenya Taoist in merely a single exchange? Just how terrifyingly powerful is Shenya Taoist? HMPH, a weak, pathetic quasi-emperor," Shenya sneered. "Unable to withstand even a single move from me. What right do any of you have to obstruct me?" Shenya Taoist's arrogant voice boomed, reverberating throughout the entire Tianyuan Great Wall. "Is there truly no one else from the human race who dares to step forth and fight? Do not make me wait too long." In the face of Shenya Taoist's relentless, cutting provocation, not a single soul spoke, not a single warrior dared to respond. The entire Great Wall fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. Lin Jianyuan, a pillar of their defense, had been defeated in a mere single exchange. If any of them were to act, their fate would undoubtedly be the same. For countless years, the Tianyuan Great Wall had never endured such profound humiliation from the demon race. The cultivators were filled with immense indignation and burning anger, muttering curses under their breath. "This is simply too much. But who dares to step up? Anyone who goes will only be sacrificing their life." Shenya Taoist made no effort to hide his absolute contempt.
A pathetic bunch of cowards. You humans accomplish nothing, only excelling at your petty internal strife." As he spoke, he swept his hand in a dismissive gesture, and Saint King energy coalesced into another formidable three-legged golden crow, its entire body blazing with scorching golden flames. It let out a prolonged, ear-splitting shriek, then plunged directly towards the Tianyuan Great Wall with terrifying force. Boom! The golden crow violently collided with the city wall, unleashing an earth-shattering explosion that ripped through the air. Destructive flames erupted everywhere, and the entire Tianyuan Great Wall shook violently, its protective enchantments flickering ceaselessly under the immense impact. Immediately after, a second golden crow, then a third, and a fourth, launched themselves consecutively, crashing into the barrier. The entire world seemed to be filled only with the thunderous, deafening explosions of the golden crows and the chillingly arrogant laughter of Shenya Taoist. A worthless, talentless bunch that can't even put up a fight. "Do you truly wish for me to shatter your very city gates?" The human cultivators' faces flushed crimson, a tempest of rage and profound indignation swirling within them. This horrifying scene was nothing short of having their collective dignity mercilessly trampled underfoot by the enemy. Just as the seventh golden crow was about to collide with the city wall, a colossal, sky-piercing ancient tree suddenly shattered the void and descended with a thunderous rumble. The golden crow instantly exploded upon impact, transforming into countless scattered fireballs that dispersed erratically through the air. Shenya Taoist's eyes slightly narrowed, a corner of his lip curling into a sneer as he snarled, "Who dares to show themselves? Stop lurking in the shadows, and reveal your pitiful form." No sooner had Shenya Taoist's arrogant words faded, than a figure of unparalleled beauty gracefully stepped out from within the colossal ancient tree. Her long hair cascaded, dancing gracefully with the wind, her figure ethereal, her skin as flawless as purest jade, her beauty capable of toppling nations. In her eyes, like tranquil autumn waters, one could perceive the depths of another's mind, a living manifestation of the great Tao of life. She stood there like the revered Mother of Earth, exuding a profound presence that compelled awe and ensured no one dared disrespect her. Behind her, a 3-foot-long ice crystal sword faintly shimmered, its life-affirming sword intent now spreading everywhere. The ground, previously scorched and scarred by the infernal flames, rapidly restored itself to its pristine, vibrant state under the miraculous power of her sword intent, brimming with renewed vitality. Her gaze fixed directly upon Shenya Taoist, a faint, enigmatic smile curling at the corner of her lips as she spoke. "You seek an opponent, and I also seek an opponent." What a truly delightful coincidence. Shenya Taoist's brow furrowed, and after a moment, he finally recognized the figure who had just appeared before him. "You are Su Wanxiao." As his words echoed, the entire Tianyuan Great Wall erupted into an uproar. Who could not know the grand name of Su Wanxiao? Ranking among the top 10 on the Saint King ranking, and number 1 on the New King ranking, her reputation has been etched deep into everyone's memories over the years. Unexpectedly, she appears at the Tianyuan Great Wall today. What could she possibly intend? Could it be? Does she dare to challenge Shenya Taoist? Impossible. Even the guardians on the Saint King ranking were defeated. How could she contend against Shenya Taoist? She is even weaker than those guardians.
Hush, she might hear you. If you dare not step forward to challenge him, then cease your sarcastic remarks here. Do you truly wish for humanity to have no one left to step forth in battle before you are satisfied?
I did not. Do not speak such nonsense. Su Wanxiu turned her back to the Tianyuan Great Wall, completely disregarding the murmurs behind her. She then addressed Shenya Taoist, continuing, "This place is too small. I cannot fully unleash my power. How about we move to the starry void for our battle?" The arrogant smile on Shenya Taoist's face receded. His gaze fixed intensely on Su Wanxiu, as he clearly sensed an intense pressure emanating from her. Without pressure, how could he achieve a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor realm? Interesting. "Very well, I shall play along, but do not cry if you lose, little girl," he chuckled. As he finished speaking, Shenya Taoist turned, transforming into a streak of golden light, soaring directly into the vast sky, leaving behind only 2 words. "To battle." His battle intent surged sky-high, echoing throughout heaven and earth. Under Su Wanxiu's feet, blue Daoyo patterns spread, and she transformed into a streak of azure light, tearing through the sky and departing. Su Wanxiu sought to confront Shenya Taoist, that seasoned venerable expert, in the starry void, to prove her great Tao, and seek an opportunity for a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor realm. As Su Wanxiu and Shenya Taoist departed, the guardians standing on the city wall conversed in hushed tones. "Who do you think will win? For our human race, victory seems a distant hope. Su Wanxiu is still too young. How can she possibly contend against a seasoned peak expert like Shenya Taoist?" At the Tianyuan Great Wall, in Guard City 7, on the 3rd floor of a purple tower,
Chu Xiu leaned against the corridor rail, his gaze pierced through the void, observing the battle in the starry heavens between Su Wanshu and Shen Ya Daoist. With a wine gourd in hand, he calmly took sips. He fell into deep contemplation, pondering. Su Wanshu had said, "To achieve a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor realm, one must constantly engage in fierce combat and slaughter against others."
In the starry void, the battle between Su Wanshu and Shen Ya Daoist raged on fiercely.
As expected of top-tier Saint Kings, each exchange of blows carried the destructive power to shatter heaven and earth. Nearby stars were continuously crushed by the aftershocks, transforming into dazzling fragments of fireworks across the starry void. Shen Ya Daoist, with a hint of surprise in his voice, declared loudly to Su Wanshu,
"You possess some skill."
Su Wanshu's expression remained impassive, and she calmly replied,
"Such is the way of the Sky Vault continent." At this moment, countless powerful experts fixed their gazes upon the grand battle between Su Wanshu and Shen Ya Daoist. Their faces filled with astonishment, they exclaimed, "Unbelievable! Su Wanshu actually managed to withstand 2 of his moves." Over the past years, her strength had truly advanced at an astonishing pace, allowing her to contend on equal footing with Shen Ya Daoist, even faintly gaining an advantage. Chu Xiu, meanwhile, tilted his head back, taking a large gulp from his wine gourd, thinking to himself, "Once I return to my own era, I too must seek out some formidable opponents for a grand battle. The Sky Vault continent has too few Saint King experts. Even fewer are truly worthy of my intervention. It seems after returning, I must venture to the primordial desolation to clash with the myriad races." As he thought this, a glint of ambition flickered in his eyes. Achieving the great emperor realm was not his ultimate goal. He aspired to become what a certain senior had once spoken of.
"An immortal must surpass even other immortals to witness the true pinnacle of cultivation."
Suddenly, a clamor erupted, pulling Chu Xiu from his thoughts. He frowned slightly, withdrawing his gaze from the starry void. He looked down below, only to see a group of mortal children fighting. More precisely, it was a group of children bullying a pair of siblings. The older brother appeared to be around 6 or 7, while the younger sister was only about 5. The older brother valiantly stood guard in front of his sister, enduring the punches and kicks from the other children. One of the bullies pointed a finger directly at the siblings' faces, shouting loudly, "Bastards with no parents! Beat them to death for me!" Hearing this, the little sister began to sob uncontrollably. "Brother!" The older brother's face was bruised and swollen. Fresh blood seeped from the corner of his mouth, and he was on the verge of collapse. Yet he still forced himself to lower his voice and comfort his sister. "Don't be scared, don't be scared. Brother is here. Brother will protect you." Chu Xiu watched silently, an indescribable flicker of emotion appearing in his eyes. A moment later, he composed himself, flicking a finger, and an invisible gust of profound energy rippled outwards, sending the bullying children flying back more than 10 zang. One by one, they tumbled and crashed to the ground. The children cried out in pain, struggled to scramble up, then scattered in panicked flight.
"Ah, save me!" As the malevolent group had completely fled, the little girl, with long eyelashes still glistening with tears, trembled slightly. Her eyes possessed a truly unique color, as if endowed with some form of ocular technique. It was precisely because of her unusual eyes that she was often scorned as an orphan and a monster. To protect his sister, the older brother constantly fought with other children, gradually fostering deep enmity. The incident just now had also stemmed from this very reason. The little girl softly called out, "Brother, they're gone." But he showed no reaction. She called out a few more times, "Brother, what's wrong with you?" Just at this moment, clack, clack,
footsteps slowly echoed from afar, drawing ever closer. The siblings looked up, only to see a circle of crimson light filling their vision. In that instant, the entire world seemed to be dyed crimson. Standing amidst the crimson circle, a shadowy figure in black was vaguely discernible, stating, "I shall bestow upon you a small gift." As he spoke, the figure raised a hand, and formed a strange hand seal. From his fingertip, 2 Daozo runes shot forth, piercing into the space between the siblings' eyebrows. The siblings couldn't help but be stunned, instinctively reaching out to grasp them but missing. Just as they failed to react, several memories and insights emerged within their minds. Neither sibling fully understood them, but they vaguely sensed their extraordinary nature. The little girl clasped her hands over her chest, smiling softly as she murmured, "So warm, like mother's embrace." As her words faded, the golden light also vanished. The shadowy figure in black simultaneously turned and departed. The boy widened his eyes, watching the retreating back, trying to engrave the sight deep into his mind. He then loudly questioned, Who are you?" The shadowy figure in black was none other than Chu Xiu. He halted his steps, turned his head to look at the siblings, and with a slight smile, replied, "One who shares a karmic connection with you. Time, like a fleeting shadow, slipped through the ages.
A century had passed in the blink of an eye. Even in broad daylight, the denizens of the Tiankong continent could clearly discern the spectacle unfolding in the boundless starry void. Across the vast expanse, a brilliant, boundless sea of azure light, teeming with infinite vitality, clashed violently against a phantasmal inferno, erupting like colossal fireworks. A young boy, pointing at the luminous bursts, asked with innocent curiosity, "Grandma, why do they set off fireworks every day?" The old woman, her voice soft, replied, "Those are no mere fireworks, child. They are the mighty cultivators of our human race, locked in an epic war against the demon clans, raging across the very heavens. This brutal conflict has endured for a full century." Meanwhile, in the grand capital city Xianyang, the imperial examinations were underway, drawing scholars and prodigies from across the lands to compete. Among them was Chu Xiu, who had, for reasons unknown, chosen to incarnate as a mere mortal. His gaze ascended to the boundless void, where the epic clash between Su Wangku and the Shenya Taoist raged. A faint, knowing smile played on Chu Xiu's lips, a silent acknowledgement of the intrigue unfolding. Though their present combat seemed evenly matched, this Shenya Taoist was none other than the legendary quasi-emperor Shenya of future eras, the contemporary city lord of Tianyao City. Yet, for reasons lost to time, he had incurred the wrath of the Taisu emperor. From an inconceivable distance, she had annihilated him with a single, devastating palm strike, right within the heart of Tianyao City. Ultimately, even the quasi-emperor's personal minor world was forcefully claimed by her, forever transformed into the Huangyao secret realm of the Taisu's sacred land. Now the very outcome of their present struggle was rendered meaningless, for the one destined to truly attain the Grand Tao and ascend to emperorhood would undoubtedly be Su Wangku. Suddenly, a clear, melodious voice echoed from ahead, abruptly drawing Chu Xiu from his profound contemplation. "Uncle, is that truly you?" Chu Xiu subtly furrowed his brow, his gaze rising to meet a young man and woman. The young man, clad in black iron armor, stood as tall as Chu Xiu himself, his handsome face radiating resolute determination, his bright eyes gleaming with an indomitable spirit. The young woman wore a simple blue cultivator's robe, her countenance delicate and refined, but it was her profound, tranquil, snow-white eyes that truly drew the eye, appearing as if they could pierce the very depths of one's soul. She, the young woman, was the one who had uttered the word, "Uncle," and now, she fixed her unblinking gaze upon Chu Xiu. Her face brimmed with utter delight and astonishment. Even the usually composed young man beside her, upon seeing Chu Xiu, felt his eyes tremble with profound emotion. Chu Xiu's eyes stirred with recognition, and in an instant he recalled their identities. "So, it is truly you two," he murmured. At this, the young woman's eyes shimmered with renewed joy, and she uttered, her voice thick with emotion, "Uncle, you still remember us, your young wards." The young man beside her broke into a radiant smile, his eyes alight with undisguised elation. "Uncle, it truly is you." Chu Xiu offered a subtle nod, his gaze intently scrutinizing the two siblings. A silent thought echoed in his mind. A century has flown by, and both have reached the pinnacle of the divine ability realm, standing but a single step from the minor saint realm. For rogue cultivators to attain such heights at their age, they are truly exceptional. "Uncle," the young man began, his voice thick with reverence, "your life-saving grace, and the cultivation technique you imparted all those years ago. We, your humble wards, have etched them forever into our hearts. To meet you again today." He bowed profoundly, his voice trembling with overwhelming emotion, unable to complete his heartfelt words. Chu Xiu gently raised a hand, steadying the young man, a warm smile gracing his lips. "Tell me, my young friends, how have you both fared in the years since we last met?" With a faint smile, the young man slowly began to recount their arduous journey. "Thanks to the profound cultivation technique you bestowed upon us, uncle, after more than a decade of relentless struggle, my sister and I finally found our footing in the central continent. Alas, cultivation resources are agonizingly scarce for rogue cultivators. Thus, we resolved to journey to the Tianyuan Great Wall, joining the formidable cultivator army to earn battle merits in exchange for precious resources. Decades have since vanished in a blink, yet through ceaseless effort and our innate talent, both of us have finally ascended to the very pinnacle of the divine ability realm. To encounter you once more today, uncle, can only be described as a karmic connection, a destined fate ordained by the heavens themselves." After a while, Chu Xiu realized with a start that he still did not know the names of the two young cultivators. He smiled gently. "Indeed, I still haven't learned the names of you two," he remarked. The young man, his eyes crinkling in an embarrassed smile, scratched his head. "Uncle, since we were children, my sister and I have been orphans, never knowing our parents, and thus we have no family name." "I am Tianhong, and my sister is Tiangxing." Chu Xiu nodded slowly, his profound gaze sweeping over them both. He spoke in a soft, resonant tone. Indeed. Since fate has bound you to me, then take my family name. From this day forward, you shall be known as Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing. What think you? Upon hearing these words, an uncontrollable wave of elation surged through the two siblings. Both instantly knelt, performing a solemn, respectful, grand obeisance before Chu Xiu. Our profound gratitude, uncle, for bestowing your esteemed family name upon us. From this day forward we, your humble wards, finally possess a true identity. Chu Tianxing's eyes were rimmed with red, tears glistening at their corners. Thank you, uncle, she whispered.
Chu Xiu gently laid a hand on each of their heads, a warm smile spreading across his face. Such is the hand of destiny, he murmured. But tell me, how fares the secret cultivation technique I once bestowed upon you?
Chu Tianhong offered a hesitant smile. Uncle, he confessed, I have indeed mastered all other divine abilities. But the human emperor's fist is simply too profound. Its depths still elude my comprehension. Chu Tianxing, her cheeks flushing with shyness, nodded in agreement.
Uncle, I too struggle with it.
Observing their discomfort, Chu Xiu waved a dismissive hand, a gentle smile gracing his lips. Fear not. The human emperor's fist is a profound secret art, enshrined within the emperor's scripture itself. Its mysteries are unfathomable, and its true essence indeed arduous to grasp in a mere span of time. Come. Follow me beyond the city walls. I desire to witness the fruits of your recent cultivation with my own eyes. Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, their voices united, eagerly affirmed, Yes, uncle. And with swift steps, they followed Chu Xiu towards the city's grand entrance. At that very moment, a sinister figure, shrouded in a dark cloak, stood concealed behind the city gates, his gaze silently tracking Chu Xiu and the two siblings as they departed. A malevolent smirk twisted his lips as he extracted a sound transmission talisman from within his robes. He instantly activated it, and the talisman in his grasp erupted into a blood-red streak of light, tearing through the air like a bolt of crimson lightning, vanishing into the heavens. In but a fleeting instant, the sound transmission talisman streaked across the sky, arriving at a distant military encampment.
Within the inner command tent of Garrison City 7,
a man of grotesque mien, with thin, blood-red lips, reached out to snatch the sound transmission talisman from the air. A sliver of divine sense from the talisman instantly pierced his mind. The man's lips stretched into a ferocious, predatory grin. Excellent, he rasped. They finally ventured beyond the city walls.
But as he spoke, his brow furrowed, and he raised a hand to thoughtfully rub his chin.
A question gnawed at his mind. Who was the enigmatic figure accompanying them?
The intelligence reports emphasized the Tianhong siblings' profound reverence for this individual. This could only mean their companion's cultivation absolutely transcended the divine ability realm. Was it a minor saint, or even a great saint powerhouse? This man, Gong Jiang, strategist of the 3rd Legion, was no fool to have attained his current rank. Caution had always been his paramount virtue. After a brief, intense deliberation, Gong Jiang rose from his seat, exiting his personal tent, and making his way directly to the Grand Central Command Tent. Before the most imposing command tent in the entire encampment, Gong Jiang was instantly halted by 4 stern soldiers, their long halberds raised. With chilling voices they barked, "The command tent is a critical stronghold. Unsanctioned entry is strictly forbidden." A deceptively friendly smile spread across Gong Qiang's sinister features as he cupped his hands in a respectful gesture. "I am Gong Qiang, strategist of the 3rd Legion Staff Department. I bear an urgent matter that demands an audience with Vice Legion Commander Qiwu. I implore you to announce my presence." No sooner had the words left his mouth than a voice, brimming with potent authority, boomed from within the Grand Command Tent. "Admit him." The figure Gong Qiang sought was none other than Chihua Shenshen, one of the 3 Vice Legion commanders of the 3rd Legion, a pivotal force within the Tianyuan Great Wall's formidable garrison. His physique was a towering mass of muscle, clad in intricate black battle armor inlaid with gleaming golden patterns, radiating an oppressive, majestic aura. His enormous, bell-like eyes, sharp as daggers, drilled into Gong Qiang the moment he stepped inside, instantly rendering the chamber's air thick with palpable tension. To even qualify as a Vice Legion commander of the Tianyuan Great Wall, one had to attain at least the Great Saint Realm. Chihua Shenshen, however, was a peak Great Saint Realm powerhouse, standing on the very precipice of the Saint King Realm. In terms of sheer power, he even surpassed the current Legion commander of the 3rd Legion. This stark reality fueled Chihua Shenshen's perpetual dissatisfaction. Despite his obvious superiority in strength, he remained merely a Vice Legion commander. He attributed this injustice to the blatant favoritism of the so-called Guardians. Vice Legion Commander Chiwan's deep-seated resentment toward his superior
was an open secret throughout the entire Third Legion. And this very discontent was the perfect leverage for Gongqiang to exploit.
The interior of the command tent was vast and adorned with breathtaking grandeur.
The moment Gongqiang's eyes fell upon Xu Shenshen, he immediately performed a deep, respectful bow, his hands cupped.
"Lord Commander," he intoned, hearing himself addressed not as Vice Legion Commander.
A subtle softening appeared in Xu Shenshen's eyes. "This young man understands," he mused internally. "He knows better than to use that demeaning title."
With that thought, Chiwai Shenshen gave a slight nod,
his face a mask of calculated indifference. Chiwai Shenshen spoke in a measured tone. "You claim to possess a matter of utmost urgency that required my presence. State your purpose, directly." Gongqiang did not prevaricate. He plunged straight to the heart of the matter. "Lord Commander," he began, "do you truly wish to ascend to the rightful position of Commander of the Third Legion?" At these audacious words, Xu Shenshen's brow imperceptibly furrowed. A predatory glint sparked in his cavernous eyes as he fixed his penetrating stare upon Gongqiang, his voice rumbling with suppressed power.
"Elaborate.
What precisely is your intent?"
Perceiving the subtle shift in Xu Shenshen's demeanor, the smile on Gongqiang's face deepened, becoming almost predatory. "Naturally, my meaning is quite literal. Surely Lord Commander is aware that my elder sister, Gong Ruyu, is a direct, true disciple of the esteemed Guardian Xingyang Taoist, with Guardian Lin Jianyuan having tragically fallen in battle. Guardian Xingyang Taoist now stands as the preeminent power among the Tianyuan Great Wall's protectors. Should I merely persuade my sister to utter a single word to Guardian Xingyang Taoist, then your ascension to the Legion Commander's seat?"
At this pivotal juncture, Gongqiang deliberately ceased speaking, understanding that any further words would be utterly superfluous. Qinhui Shenshen's eyes flickered, and a knowing, subtle smile, heavy with hidden meaning, creased the corner of his mouth. "Gongqiang," he stated, his voice now devoid of pretense, "speak plainly your demands. I have no patience for veiled words or endless circumlocution." Gongqiang's smile widened, radiating an insidious charm. "It is but a trifling request, Lord Commander, a task that, for one of your immense capabilities, will prove as effortless as turning a palm." 1 month hence. Beyond Garrison City 3, 1,000 li into the desolate expanse, lay a sprawling desert. Its terrain, predominantly golden sands interwoven with stark gray rock, was scattered with colossal, oddly shaped boulders, a landscape clearly sculpted and weathered by tens of millennia.
Suddenly, a phantom whip, a colossal apparition stretching over 1,000 zang, ripped savagely across the firmament, coiling and striking with devastating force upon a monumental boulder, hundreds of zang tall. Boom! A thunderous explosion ripped through the air. The monumental boulder instantly disintegrated into an untold myriad of shrapnel, which rocketed outwards in every direction, churning up a blinding maelstrom of sand and dust. Concurrently, a resonant hum, a piercing whirr, tore through the heavens as streaks of brilliant swordlight rent the very fabric of space itself, descending with overwhelming power to cleave the earth, scarring it with fissures thousands of meters deep. Chu Xiu, casually leaning against a solitary tree amidst the desert expanse, silently observed Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing unleash their myriad divine abilities. A knowing thought surfaced in his mind. Compared to just a month ago, their power has undeniably advanced. My month of dedicated guidance, it seems, was not in vain. Chu Xiu nodded with profound satisfaction. "Excellent," he called out. "Come and rest yourselves now." Hearing his command, the two siblings' forms flickered, descending gracefully from the air to land directly beside Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu's right hand swept upwards, conjuring forth a small, exquisite gourd that rested in his palm. He addressed the two siblings. "This is a potent spirit elixir I personally formulated. It will prove immensely beneficial for your continued cultivation." Chu Tianchong respectfully took the gourd, offering a slight, deferential bow. "Our deepest gratitude, uncle," he murmured. Chu Tianchong, usually the picture of composure and solemnity, a man of few words, while his younger sister, Chu Tianxing, was known for her vivacious and quick-witted nature. Yet, ever since their departure from Garrison City, Chu Tianxing had been conspicuously absent-minded, her demeanor suggesting a profound, unsettling burden. Chu Xiao's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly as he turned his gaze to the young woman. "Tianxing," he inquired gently, "is there something weighing on your mind?" Chu Tianxing averted her gaze, her head bowing slightly, words forming on her lips only to be swallowed again. After a strained silence, she finally faltered. "Uncle, we truly should hasten back to Garrison City. I fear there are those who mean us ill will." Chu Xiao's sharp, sword-like brows knitted together, a subtle hint of surprise in his measured, "Oh? What transpired, precisely?" he demanded,
his voice firm yet reassuring. Speak freely, child, and harbor no fear. My strength is far from weak. Safeguarding you both is well within my power. Just as he finished, a group of 8 figures, radiating palpable murderous intent, streaked violently towards them,
swiftly encircling Chu Xiu and the 2 bewildered siblings, Chu Tianchong and Chu Tianxing. These newly arrived assailants were all garbed in the distinctive battle armor of the Great Wall Cultivator Army, their ranks largely comprised of divine ability realm cultivators. Leading them was a man of grotesque mien, his thin lips a vivid blood red, his cultivation soaring to the heights of the minor saint realm. It was none other than Gongqiang. A chilling, venomous smile twisted Gongqiang's lips as he spoke. Tianhong, Tianxing, your audacity truly knows no bounds. Not only did you seize my fated opportunities, but you brazenly dared to depart Garrison City. Do you truly believe I, Gongqiang, am a mere lamb to be slaughtered? This theatrical display of bluster and intimidation, designed to crush the morale of his adversaries, was a tactic Gongqiang had honed to chilling perfection. Tianhong, Tianxing, we meet again. A cold voice, filled with disdain, echoed from Gongqiang towards the siblings Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing. Sorrow clouded Chu Tianxing's eyes as she slowly recounted the entire enmity between her and her brother, and Gongqiang, to Chu Xiu. 2 months ago, we, the siblings, accepted a mission to the battlefield, following an army of over 1,000 to battlefield number 7 to exterminate demon beasts. During the chaotic battle, we fortuitously discovered a cultivation abode left behind by a powerful expert. It was merely a temporary dwelling, holding nothing of great value, only a single cultivation technique, and a small quantity of divine origin stones. Yet, for reasons unknown, news of our discovery leaked out and reached Gongqiang. Initially, he appeared cordial, even inviting us, the siblings, to dine with him. On the surface, it seemed he sought friendship. But in reality, he was probing for information. Since we hadn't truly acquired any significant fortuitous encounter, we had nothing to hide, and thus recounted the entire truth. But Gongqiang adamantly refused to believe us, insisting that we had seized a great opportunity. Mere days later, rumors began to spread throughout the Third Army, claiming that we, the siblings, had stolen his destined fortune. Following this, Gongqiang publicly demanded that we return this supposed fortune, but we possessed no such thing to give. Seeing our refusal, Gongqiang then brazenly demanded we hand over our spatial rings for his personal inspection. For cultivators, a spatial ring safeguards all personal wealth and secrets. How could we possibly surrender it to another for casual scrutiny, especially for me, a woman? Even facing death, I would never, under any circumstances, yield my spatial ring to a stranger for inspection. From that moment, the enmity between us was irrevocably formed. Gongqiang wields immense influence within the Tianyuan Great Wall, whereas we, the siblings, are nothing more than nameless rogue cultivators. In this place, countless cultivators like us exist. If we offend someone powerful and are secretly eliminated, no one would even bat an eye. Thus, our only recourse was to seek refuge within Wei City. At this, Chu Tianhong bowed slightly, cupping his hands towards Chu Xiu, and continued. Uncle, Gongqiang's strength surpasses ours, and his background is formidable. We dared not offend him. Fortunately, Wei City prohibits cultivators from wantonly slaughtering each other, so even his arrogance must respect the laws of the Tianyuan Great Wall. That is why we fled here. Chu Xiu nodded subtly, his brow furrowing as he inquired. His background is truly so formidable? Chu Tianhong replied. We've heard he has an elder sister, who is a true disciple of a protector. A look of deep remorse crossed Chu Tianxing's face. Uncle, I apologize for involving you in this. Her heart was filled with profound regret. Had they not accepted Chu Xiu earlier, he wouldn't be dragged into this predicament today. Chu Xiu merely curled his lip into a faint, disdainful smile. He calmly stated, Only a single protector. Nothing to be concerned about. I am curious to see which is harder, Gongqiang's background or my fist. Chu Tianxing's face flushed crimson with fury. She snapped at Gongqiang. Gongqiang, we, the siblings, never had any fortuitous encounter. Even if we did, it would be none of your concern. Stop slandering us. Gongqiang merely sneered, his eyes openly mocking. Ha, it has come to this, and you still wish to quibble? Chu Tianxing's blood boiled. She gritted her teeth and spat. You're abusing your power to bully others? Gongqiang's lips curled into a scornful sneer. He spoke in a glacial tone. Indeed, I am abusing my power to bully others. So what? If you have the guts, then make a move against me. Ants like you, even if you perish here, will cause no ripples. This is the price for daring to offend me. As he finished, Gongqiang's gaze fixated on Chu Xiu, his narrow eyes subtly narrowing. He found himself unable to discern the young man's cultivation level.
but paid it little mind. In his estimation, anyone associated with the Chu Tianxing siblings, no matter how strong, could at most be at the Grand Saint realm. After scrutinizing Chu Xiu from head to toe, Gongqiang offered a false smile. His voice laced with menace, he warned,
"Friend, I advise you to quickly get lost.
Do not meddle in others' affairs, or else. He.
Chu Xiao's lips curved into a faint, mocking smile. He leisurely replied, "Or else, you intend to kill me as well?"
Gongqiang squinted his eyes, bursting into loud laughter. His voice brimming with smugness, he declared, "Ha ha ha, it seems our friend here knows his place. Commander Chihuahua, what do you think?" No sooner had Commander Chihuahua spoken than the void behind him warped. Chihuahua Shenchen slowly emerged from within.
Chiu Shenchen's eyes swept the surroundings, and instantly, the suppressive aura of a peak Grand Saint realm expert erupted, engulfing the entire space.
Upon recognizing the newcomer, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing's expressions drastically changed. Terror seized the siblings' hearts. It's Chihuahua Shenchen, they thought. We're finished. In their eyes, Grand Saint realm experts were already insurmountable beings. Yet, today, a peak Grand Saint realm master had personally come to deal with them. Despair surged uncontrollably within both their hearts. Chu Shenchen coldly glanced at the three of them, Chu Xiu included. A flicker of killing intent glinted in his eyes as he indifferently spoke to Gongqiang. Don't waste time, I still have official business to attend to. That condescending tone was nothing short of a direct death sentence for the three. In his eyes, they were merely a swarm of ants, easily crushed with a flick of his wrist. Had Gongqiang not offered him an irresistible condition, he would have disdained to act himself.
Gongqiang offered a smile in return. "Commander Chu, rest assured. This will be swiftly resolved."
At this he turned his gaze to Chu Xiu and coldly declared, "You must already understand Commander Chihuahua's strength. If you do not wish to die, then immediately get lost. Of course, if you wish to be buried alongside these two, that is also an option. I grant you 3 breaths to consider."
Chu Tianhong sighed softly, his eyes gradually firming. He urged Chu Xiu, "Uncle, please leave. This matter must not involve you." Chu Tianxing, standing beside him, also implored Chu Xiu to depart. "Yes, uncle, please hurry and go." Both Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing wished not to implicate Chu Xiu because of themselves. In their minds, though Chu Xiu's strength was formidable, he was, at most, merely a grand saint. Absolutely no match for Chu Shenchen, a peak Grand Saint realm expert. Not far away, Gongqiang sneered, beginning his countdown. 3. He relished observing the faces of the Chu Tianhong siblings as they plunged into despair, facing death. That was the price for daring to offend him. Gongqiang. Chu Shenchen stood with his hands clasped behind his back, an air of indolence about him, as if the unfolding events were beneath his notice. 2. Following Gongqiang's countdown, the 7 cultivator soldiers accompanying him smirked derisively, closing in step by step, sealing off every escape route, leaving Chu Xiu and the 2 siblings no chance to flee. Chu Xiao's eyes slowly turned utterly black. He gently stepped his right foot forward. Seeing this, Chu Shenchen's gaze subtly shifted towards Chu Xiu. He let out a cold HMPH. Chu Xiu walked with utmost normalcy, not a single wisp of aura emanating from his body. Yet the 7 cultivator soldiers, who were closing in, suddenly froze stiff in place. The mocking smiles on their faces likewise solidified. The first man's body gradually dissolved into countless specks of light, then vanished into the void. Then came the second, and the third. In but an instant, all 7 cultivator soldiers sequentially transformed into specks of light, completely vanishing without a trace. Chu Xiao's entire being seemed to sink into darkness, with only a single, blazing red eye glowing in the night. It was like the awakening gaze of a demon god. Witnessing this horrifying spectacle, Chu Shenchen's pupils abruptly constricted. He stared fixedly at Chu Xiu, who was slowly approaching, his eyes filled with disbelief and terror. Gongqiang, too, finally realized something was gravely amiss. He hastily spoke to Chu Shenchen with alarm. "Commander Chu, this individual is likely not simple. Quickly, make your move." Hearing this, Chu Shenchen's expression turned utterly hideous. He was so enraged he nearly spat blood, internally cursing, "Is this fool blind? Can he not see that he stands before a true powerhouse? Damn it, this time I've truly kicked an iron plate." With just that single step from Chu Xiu, Chu Shenchen had already confirmed that the opponent was undeniably a Saint King realm expert. As Chu Xiu drew ever closer, Gongqiang cried out in terror, "Commander Chu, what are you waiting for? He's almost here. Make your move quickly." Within his heart, Gongqiang incessantly cursed Chu Shenchen. Chu Shenchen is truly useless. He can't even play the part of a minion correctly.
It serves him right to be a vice commander his entire life.
Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing exchanged bewildered glances, completely failing to comprehend what had just transpired. How did those 7 people suddenly vanish? Both their hearts swelled with astonishment. They thought, "We knew Uncle was formidable, but we never expected him to be this formidable." Cold sweat poured from Chu Shenchen like rain, his face deathly pale. He clasped his hands and bowed deeply to Chu Xiu, respectfully stating, "Senior, this matter has no connection to this junior. I beg Senior for your generous forgiveness." No sooner had he finished speaking than not only the Chu Tianhong siblings, but even Gong Qiang stood utterly dumbfounded. "Senior?" Gong Qiang even thought he had misheard. Chu Shenchen calling this young man before him senior? How could that possibly be? An expression of utter disbelief appeared on his face as he looked at Chu Shenchen and began, "Commander Chu, you?" Before Gong Qiang could finish his sentence, Chu Shenchen's sharp, cold glare silenced him, and he softly snapped, "Silence." At this moment, Chu Shenchen wished he could crush this idiotic fool on the spot.
Within his heart he couldn't help but curse in fury. Truly a destructive imbecile. To want to deal with someone without first investigating their background and strength. This is nothing short of courting death.
Witnessing Chu Shenchen's deathly pale face, Gong Qiang finally realized that something ominous was at hand. He instinctively wanted to retreat and flee, but then discovered his body was bound by an invisible force, unable to move. Chu Xiao slowly walked before the 2 men. He glanced at Chu Shenchen, who was bowing his head and trembling uncontrollably, then shifted his gaze to Gong Qiang, offering a gentle smile. "Commander Chiwa, he wished to obliterate me. Tell me, how should this matter be settled?" Hearing this, Chiwai Shenchen's face twisted into a grimace. His heart pounded wildly. On his coarse face he forced out a smile even uglier than crying, "Senior must be joking. How could this junior possibly dare to lay a hand on Senior?" Chu Xiao appraised Gong Qiang from head to toe. Though a smile still graced his face, it sent a chill down Gong Qiang's spine. Chu Xiao leisurely stated, "Did you hear that clearly? Your backing dares not make a move. What do you intend to do? Or will you take action yourself?" Gong Qiang's entire body trembled incessantly. His heart filled with terror. He stammered, "Senior, this junior was mistaken. I should not have offended Senior." Chu Xiu nodded slightly. He reached out and gently patted Gong Qiang's shoulder, stating with satisfaction, "Not bad. A young man who dares to act, and dares to face the consequences. Very well then. I also do not wish to bully the small with my might. You give me 3 breaths, and I will grant you 3/4 hours of time to flee. Within those 3/4 hours, if you can escape, I will spare your life. How about it?" Hearing this, despair surged within Gong Qiang's heart. He mused, "Even Chu Shenchen is so terrified he calls him senior. How could I possibly escape in 3/4 hours?" Seeing Gong Qiang hesitate, the smile on Chu Xiu's face slowly vanished. He coldly inquired, "Why do you not agree?" Sensing the killing intent radiating from Chu Xiu, Gong Qiang hastily nodded. I agree. Many thanks, Senior, for granting this junior an opportunity." Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes and offered a smile. He again gently patted Gong Qiang's shoulder. That's more like it." No sooner had he spoken, than Gong Qiang felt the oppressive pressure on his body vanish, his limbs regaining their freedom. Without the slightest hesitation, he instantly transformed into a streak of light, wildly bolting towards Wei City. Within his heart, Gong Qiang incessantly roared, "I must find my elder sister. Qingyang Taoist will surely save me. I still have a chance. I will not die. My ambitions remain unfulfilled. How could I perish here?" Chu Xiu merely curled his lip into a sneer. He casually picked up a small stone from the ground. He held it between 2 fingers, then flicked it gently. Whoosh! The stone tore through the air with unimaginable speed, generating blood-red shockwaves that violently shook the very space around it. Gong Qiang had fled for barely 100 lies, when his body abruptly stiffened. Thwack! In that same instant, the stone pierced straight through Gong Qiang's chest, severing his heart meridian. Gong Qiang laboriously turned his head to gaze at Chu Xiu, who stood amidst the desert. His eyes rapidly clouded over. "Senior, why?" Chu Xiu shrugged. He narrowed his eyes, displaying a gentle smile, and casually stated, "Because I changed my mind." Before Gong Qiang could finish his sentence, his entire body exploded into a mist of blood, and his soul dissipated along with it. Chu Xiu clutched his forehead, letting out a helpless sigh. "Sigh, I told you, don't cackle. Did you think you were a Soul Palace elder?" With that, Chu Laoliu turned to Chu Shenchen, offering a friendly smile. "I know Commander Chu is quite busy. I am a kind-hearted person, and I hate nothing more than wasting other people's time. Now, I shall send you on your way to meet him. Chao Shenshen's face turned ashen, his entire body trembling uncontrollably as he stammered, Lord Chu Xiu, spare me! Please, spare my life! Chu Xiu subtly shook his head, raising a single finger to his lips, a faint smile playing on his face as he uttered, Spare you? Spare you? Did you spare my 2 juniors? If not, then I shall personally send you off. The moment his words ended, Chu Xiu slowly extended his index finger, aiming it precisely at Chao Shenshen's glabella. Chao Shenshen's pupils constricted, his face twisting into an expression of utter dread. No! Stop! Just as Chu Xiu prepared to dispatch Chao Shenshen to the gates of King Yama, an aged voice reverberated from afar. Taoist friend Chu Xiu, I implore you to halt. Chu Xiu subtly shifted his gaze toward the source of the voice, contemplating inwardly. The protector of the Tianyuan Great Wall, Qingyang Taoist. And? So what? You command me to halt? Utterly absurd. Who do you presume to be? The Grand Tutor of Zuolu Academy? Do you truly believe your word alone can make me cease? Although Chu Xiu and Qingyang Taoist had never formally encountered each other, both were intimately aware of the other's existence.
In this age, the Saint King realm stood as the absolute pinnacle of power. 2 Saint Kings, Chu Xiu and Su Wangqiwei, whose names shook the heavens, had both converged upon the Tianyuan Great Wall. To claim no one secretly observed their movements was a lie even Chu Xiu himself would not believe. Thus, Qingyang Taoist's sudden appearance now caused him no surprise whatsoever. The instant Qingyang Taoist's voice reached his ears, a flicker of hope ignited on Chao Shenshen's face. He inwardly heaved a sigh of profound relief, thinking, It's Qingyang Taoist. I am saved. I am truly saved.
Chu Xiao's face remained utterly impassive, completely ignoring Qingyang Taoist's interjection. His index finger plunged directly into the center of Chao Shenshen's glabella. Chao Shenshen's frozen smile shattered, his eyes slowly growing lifeless, vacant, and devoid of spirit.
You, how could you? Chao Shenshen's desperate plea was abruptly silenced.
Boom!
His head detonated like an overripe fruit, erupting into a crimson mist. His physical form and very soul dissipated into nothingness. Around Chu Xiu, a transparent, 3-foot aura of light materialized, instantly repelling the splattering blood mist, ensuring his robes remained pristine. Not far away, the siblings Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing watched the horrific scene unfold, their eyes bulging in utter disbelief. Their faces were etched with a profound shock as they both thought, He's gone! The esteemed Vice Legion commander, a figure of immense power and high authority, was casually snuffed out by Uncle Chu Xiu, like crushing a mere ant. So Uncle Chu Xiu, he is truly this formidable.
Precisely at that moment, a furious roar tore through the air. Chu Xiu, you have gone too far. As the words died down, 2 figures, one ancient and one youthful, slowly materialized from the void, 100 meters distant. The ancient elder, clutching a whisk, possessed a robust physique despite his advanced years. Clad in a white and purple Taoist robe, his eyes sparkled like distant stars, his entire being radiating an ethereal, Taoist aura. A single glance was enough to reveal him as a powerhouse of unparalleled might. This was Qingyang Taoist.
Beside him stood a woman, barely in her early 20s. Her figure graceful and lithe, her skin flawlessly smooth and pale. Her face was a delicate oval, her brows as fine as willow leaves, her nose high and straight, and her lips a vibrant crimson, like a blooming flower. Alas, her exquisite features were now marred by a profound gloom, her beautiful eyes brimming with venomous hatred, considerably detracting from her unparalleled beauty. This was Gong Ruyu, Gong Qiang's elder sister. Having just witnessed her own brother perish before her very eyes, how could she not harbor a boundless hatred for Chu Xiu, the architect of his demise? Even if he was a Saint King, she yearned to devour his flesh and drink his blood, to quell the raging inferno within her. Chu Xiu, however, subtly raised his right hand to his ear, feigning a sudden inability to hear. A look of feigned exasperation crossed his face as he spoke to Qingyang Taoist. Taoist friend, Qingyang, what was that? My apologies. I've recently been cultivating a profound divine ability, and my hearing has become somewhat impaired.
Qingyang Taoist was so incandescent with rage that he nearly spat out a mouthful of fresh blood.
What divine ability could a Saint King possibly cultivate that would impair his hearing? Even if it were true, is your divine sense also rendered useless? This audacious scoundrel is clearly inventing excuses,
treating this old man as nothing more than a senile fool. Chu Xiu merely shrugged, a placid smile gracing his lips as he asked, Taoist friend Qingyang, why such unrestrained fury?
Qingyang Taoist's blood truly boiled.
He raised his right hand,
leveling a direct, accusatory finger at Chu Xiu, and bellowed,
You slew the Vice Legion commander of the Tianyuan Great Wall Guard. Even if you wield the power of a Saint King, you will provide me with an explanation. Otherwise, I shall personally report this transgression to all the Holy Lands and ancient desolate clans tasked with defending the Tianyuan Great Wall. Your strength is indeed formidable. But do you truly believe you can stand alone against all the dominant powers of this realm? Qingyang Taoist's voice was as cutting as a honed blade, betraying the zenith of his fury. In truth, what truly inflamed him was not merely Chu Xiu's slaying of the Vice Legion commander, but the utter disrespect this junior, Chu Xiu, had shown him. Who was he? He was Qingyang Taoist, a revered saint king from the Taiyi Holy Land, and simultaneously one of the foremost guardians of the Tianyuan Great Wall. Wherever he traveled, he was unfailingly greeted with profound reverence. Never before had he endured such blatant disregard and utter contempt as he did this very day. How could he possibly restrain his thunderous wrath? Within Qingyang Taoist's heart, a scorching inferno raged. He silently resolved that this time he would deliver Chu Xiu a lesson he would never forget, one that would etch into his very soul the meaning of respecting his elders. Upon hearing Qingyang Taoist's veiled threats, Chu Xiu's gentle smile slowly vanished, replaced by an unsettling, glacial indifference. He calmly crossed his arms over his chest and disdainfully uttered, "Do not attempt to lay such grave accusations upon my head. Do you truly believe you can represent all the dominant powers of this world? That is, without doubt, the most ludicrous assertion I have ever heard." The instant these words escaped his lips, Qingyang Taoist's face, already flushed crimson with indignation, instantly shifted from crimson to an unsightly shade of green and black, his expression becoming utterly ghastly. Gong Ruyu's delicate brows knitted tightly. Her voice, brimming with outrage, shrilled, "How utterly insolent! Master, you are a mere guardian of the Tianyuan Great Wall. You cannot possibly represent the dominant powers. So what makes you think you can?" The instant Gong Ruyu's furious outburst ended, Chu Xiu's head snapped around, his gaze piercing her. His pupils, like 2 drops of fresh blood, flashed with an icy glint. Chu Xiu then raised his right hand, unleashing a remote, air-splitting slap. Qingyang Taoist's expression dramatically shifted. He roared, "Chu Xiu, you are going too far!" He had never once conceived that Chu Xiu would possess such outrageous arrogance, daring to strike his disciple directly before his very eyes. This was an undeniable declaration of absolute defiance. He moved to intercept, but tragically, it was already far too late. Smack! A resounding slap echoed through the air, and instantly, a vivid, crimson handprint bloomed upon Gong Ruyu's right cheek. Her delicate form was sent hurtling backward for hundreds of meters, slamming violently into the earth with a deafening crash, then tumbling for dozens more, carving a long crimson furrow in the sand. Chu Xiu cast an indifferent glance at Gong Ruyu, then stated with an unsettling calm, "And who, precisely, are you?" "Merely a great saint. Nothing more." "I am speaking with your master. Do you possess the standing to interject?" "Out of consideration for your master, I shall consider this a mere lesson. Should there be a next time, I will not hesitate to snuff out your life." Qingyang Taoist's face darkened like a storm cloud. Chu Xiu had not only sent his disciple flying, but had audaciously reprimanded her directly before her own master, even proclaiming he would crush Gong Ruyu if she dared to defy him again. This was a naked, utterly disgraceful humiliation. An inferno of wrath surged within Qingyang Taoist's chest. He fixed Chu Xiu with a frigid stare, grinding his teeth as he spat. "Good. Very good. Excellent, young man. Your arrogance knows no bounds, and your domineering nature is truly unparalleled." Chu Xiao's lips curved into a faint, mocking smile. He met Qingyang Taoist's gaze directly, and stated with chilling indifference, "You speak no falsehood. A young man should indeed be arrogant and brimming with spirit. Unlike some decrepit old men who have lived for far too long, their fiery spirit eroded by the relentless march of time. Such men allowed the demonic ink tribe to storm their very gates, challenging them, and stood idly by, watching their own kind be mercilessly slaughtered, utterly devoid of courage to even utter a sound." Chu Xiu's words struck home with undeniable truth. Indeed, when Shenya Taoist had brazenly challenged them at their doorstep, Lin Jianyuan of the Boundless Sword Domain had stepped forth to meet him, only to tragically perish. Faced with Shenya Taoist's rampant and outrageous provocation, the two remaining guardians not only lacked the courage to engage him in battle, but dared not even utter a single word of defiance. Had Su Wangqi not ultimately made her appearance, who knew to what abysmal depths Shenya Taoist would have dragged the human race's dignity through humiliation. Chu Xiu's words plunged like venomous daggers directly into Qingyang Taoist's heart, every single one a mortal blow. "You!" Qingyang Taoist's qi and blood surged uncontrollably with furious indignation. He could no longer suppress it, and with a gasp, he spat out a mouthful of fresh, crimson blood. Chu Xiu observed Qingyang Daoist's entire form, trembling uncontrollably with fury. He offered a faint sardonic smile, his voice laced with biting mockery as he uttered, "Me, you ask? If you truly possess such unparalleled might, why did you not challenge Shenya Daoist to a duel back then? What formidable ability is there in merely bullying those of your own kind?"
Qingyang Daoist was so overwhelmed by fury that words failed him, his chest heaving violently with indignant rage. It took a prolonged moment for him to grudgingly regain his composure. He then let out a chilling, sardonic laugh. "Do not attempt to deflect. Regarding your slaying of the Vice Legion commander of the Tianyuan Great Wall, you will provide an explanation, no matter the cost. Otherwise, prepare for the combined might of all the dominant powers to hunt you down."
Chu Xiao's face remained utterly devoid of expression. He enunciated each word with chilling precision. "Explanation? You dare to demand an explanation from me?" Gongchang, utterly devoid of humanity, colluded with this so-called Vice Legion commander, and together they sought to kill my juniors. They even intended to strike down me. How do you find that explanation?
Upon hearing this, Qingyang Daoist's expression flickered through a myriad of emotions. He quickly cast a glance at the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, who stood calmly behind Chu Xiu.
He genuinely possessed no knowledge of this affair.
Qingyang Daoist immediately sent a private spiritual message to Gong Ruyu, demanding, "Disciple, what in the heavens truly transpired? Your brother, what was he thinking? He dared to lay hands on Chu Xiu? Does he harbor a death wish?" Gong Ruyu's heart abruptly clenched. She gritted her teeth, her voice strained as she retorted, "Impossible, master. You have met my brother before. He is so obedient, how could he possibly commit such an atrocity? This Chu Xiu is utterly malicious, not only slaughtering people, but now brazenly slandering my brother. He is truly detestable." Qingyang Daoist subtly narrowed his gaze,
intently scrutinizing Gong Ruyu. Perceiving that she did not appear to be fabricating a lie, he turned his head to face Chu Xiu, and spoke with a chilling tone. "If one wishes to condemn, there is never a shortage of reasons. Your strength is so immense. Is it truly conceivable that Gongqiang's mind was addled by a kick from a donkey, causing him to actively seek trouble with you?" Chu Xiu slowly shook his head, his face etched with unconcealed disdain. He let out a faint sigh, and spoke with glacial indifference. "Fool!" Once more subjected to Chu Xiu's blatant insult, Qingyang Daoist's rage was so profound that his hair bristled. He glared, roaring furiously. "What did you just say?" Chu Xiao let out a cold, derisive laugh. "I said you are a fool. Do you genuinely believe I would stoop to lying over such an insignificant matter? A mere stinking ant. Is such a creature even worthy of my effort to maliciously fabricate lies against? Young man, your arrogance has reached an intolerable peak." Qingyang Daoist could no longer contain his fury before such a multitude, first branded an old dog, and now openly mocked as a fool. Even a Buddha would struggle to maintain composure. He violently swung the whisk in his hand, and immediately, the very winds and clouds in the heavens shifted dramatically. Innumerable, razor-thin threads of luminous, multicolored light descended from the heavens, shrouding the entire world, surging relentlessly toward Chu Xiu. Each individual thread was impossibly sharp. Wherever it traversed, the very fabric of space was rent into countless fragments. Chu Xiu's eyes flickered imperceptibly. With a casual wave of his hand, he unleashed the profound divine ability, Universe in the Sleeve, effortlessly drawing the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, into its depths. Immediately thereafter, crimson Taoist runes erupted beneath Chu Xiu's feet. He executed the movement secret art, and in a mere flash, his form vanished from its previous location, leaving only a lingering afterimage. Qingyang Daoist's bright eyes narrowed slightly. He was already aware that Chu Xiu possessed the Nine Secrets movement secret art. Thus his deployment of this profound footwork came as no surprise. Qingyang Daoist clenched his fist, once more brandishing his whisk, and the myriad threads of luminous power that blanketed the heavens instantly altered their trajectory. They moved, as if imbued with their own sentience, relentlessly locking onto Chu Xiu's precise trajectory. Chu Xiu's imposing figure rematerialized in mid-air. A fleeting spark of genuine surprise flickered within his deep-set eyes as he mused, "This Qingyang Daoist. He truly possesses considerable skill to actually pinpoint my movements so precisely." Gazing upon the countless, densely packed threads of light converging upon him from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, Chu Xiu's expression remained as serene as an unruffled lake, his eyes utterly devoid of fear. If evasion is impossible, then I shall shatter all techniques with sheer, overwhelming power. As this conviction solidified, Chu Xiu's long, black hair whipped wildly in the tempestuous winds. The sacred blood within his veins surged and roared, and holy flames erupted, blazing crimson around his entire form. He extended a hand, and within a 10,000-mile radius, swirling mists converged with terrifying speed, rapidly coalescing into a colossal, crimson greatsword, over 1,000 zang in length. Chu Xiu, wielding this monstrous blade in one hand, swept it across all 8 directions. Chu Xiu's face remained utterly impassive. His voice, an icy roar, thundered. 10,000 swords returned to one.
A fearsome hum erupted, as a blood-red swordlight, centered on Chu Xiu, cleaved out in all directions. This single strike transcended mere sharpness. It was the embodiment of a supreme, transcendent Tao. With the manifestation of the Afia, 10,000 swords unification, all things and myriad phenomena converged into one. The very yuan qi of heaven and earth was devoured, and even the Tao laws that couldn't evade were forcibly assimilated by this singular sword.
Each vibrant ray summoned by Qingyang Taoist, the instant it met the swordlight, was instantly devoured and assimilated, becoming a part of the sword's overwhelming power. As the devouring intensified, the swordlight's might surged, growing stronger and stronger without end. 2 opposing sources of power violently clashed, simultaneously repelling and nullifying each other in a cataclysmic struggle. A cataclysmic roar tore through creation. The very void collapsed. Space itself shattered, and the heavens dimmed, losing all their luster. An immense, terrifying suction force erupted, as if an invisible eraser had utterly scoured the void for tens of thousands of miles. Everything within its grasp was swallowed whole, utterly vanishing into nothingness. Witnessing this cataclysmic display, the Qingyang Taoist couldn't help but be utterly horrified. His right hand brandished his whisk, while his left continuously formed profound, intricate incantation gestures. From between his brows, a magnificent 5 suns golden bell instantly soared forth, expanding massively with the wind. In a mere flash, it eclipsed the entire firmament. It descended, enveloping Chu Xiu's potent sword momentum, attempting to suppress it. Dong! A deep, majestic bell toll reverberated, shaking the very fabric of heaven and earth. The 5 suns golden bell vibrated with terrifying violence, as wild, destructive energy surged outwards, sweeping across all 4 directions. The very earth, for hundreds of thousands of miles, violently quaked, as if a colossal earth dragon were stirring from its slumber. Boulders and earth churned into towering waves thousands of feet high, mountains continuously crumbled, and countless wild beasts prostrated themselves upon the ground, trembling uncontrollably beneath the oppressive might. Upon Chu Xiu's handsome face, an expression of fierce, unyielding ruthlessness emerged. In his right hand, he wielded a colossal sword, 1,000 zang long, his bearing that of a peerless sword immortal, inspiring profound awe and terror in all who beheld him. The 5 suns golden bell was the Qingyang Taoists' natal Saint King armament, their divine souls intrinsically linked. The moment the Saint King armament violently vibrated, Qingyang Taoist's face instantly turned ashen white, utterly devoid of color. He opened his mouth and spewed forth a mouthful of fresh blood, recoiling over 1,000 meters, before barely stabilizing his ravaged form. Qingyang Taoist's face was deathly pale, his aura in utter disarray. He had clearly sustained grievous injuries. He looked at Chu Xiu, his voice trembling, and declared, "Young man, I concede you are immensely powerful. This aged frame of mine is simply no match for you." Chu Xiu's true strength had far exceeded Qingyang Taoist's wildest imagination. Of course, the old Taoist could not have known that throughout 100 years of secluded cultivation, Chu Xiu had frequently discussed the Tao with Su Wan. While his cultivation could not further advance, his profound comprehension of the way of unification had already attained a completely new and unfathomable realm. His current strength, compared to a century ago, was not merely twice as potent. Should he return to his own era, he was utterly confident he could, in the shortest possible time, achieve a breakthrough to the formidable 7th layer of the Saint King realm. Chu Xiu took a decisive step forward, then threw his head back in a resonant, mocking laugh. "Ha, young man, old man, I find these forms of address utterly distasteful. In the grand world of cultivation, the strong are supreme, and those who attain higher accomplishments are honored as true seniors. Yet, you repeatedly address me as, young man. Do you presume to leverage your mere age to assert superiority over me? You wish to assert your age in my presence? You are not remotely worthy." Having uttered these chilling words, Chu Xiu slowly raised his right foot. From his entire being, golden true essence, taking the formidable form of coiling, roaring dragons, surged forth like a primordial tempest. It then condensed into a gigantic, blood-red foot, spanning over 10 miles in diameter,
eclipsing the entire firmament as it descended, stomping straight down towards Qingyang Taoist with apocalyptic force.
The very void beneath this colossal foot shattered like fragile, delicate glass, collapsing layer upon destructive layer, unleashing devastating shockwaves that cascaded downwards with pulverizing force. Even before the colossal foot fully descended, the very ground below, with Qingyang Taoist at its precise center, had already caved in, forming a massive, indelible foot-shaped crater. This single, cataclysmic stomp carried an earth-shattering might, capable of obliterating heaven and earth themselves. Such overwhelming power caused the cultivator soldiers standing atop the Tianyuan Great Wall to cry out in startled horror. Which two mighty experts are clashing with such ferocity? They gasped. It's the Qingyang Taoist and Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu? The Qingyang Taoist is actually no match for him? Whew, one gasped. Another replied, I perceive Chu Xiu is still holding back. The Qingyang Taoist is the revered guardian of the Tianyuan Great Wall, a true powerhouse of the late-stage Saint King realm. To slay him would undoubtedly invite immense, complicated trouble. Back in the thick of this cataclysmic battle, the terrifying, oppressive pressure forced Qingyang Taoist to hunch over, then collapse to his knees upon the very ground. His entire body groaned with the creaking of bones, as if poised to shatter into a million fragments at any given moment. Qingyang Taoist desperately wanted to evade, but his body was tightly locked, utterly unable to move even a single inch. He could only watch helplessly, his eyes wide with horror, as the colossal foot descended from the heavens above, an undeniable harbinger of doom. Blood vessels visibly burst in Qingyang Taoist's pupils, his eyes now crimson with desperation. He let out a guttural, defiant roar as searing flames erupted around his entire body. He was recklessly burning his vital blood essence, sacrificing everything to resist Chu Xiu's earth-shattering stomp. Boom! The earth violently heaved and shifted, sending terrifying shockwaves propagating in all four cardinal directions. Even the colossal Tianyuan Great Wall, millions of miles distant, was violently affected. Bloodstains splattered across its ancient battlements, as countless restrictions and talismans continuously flickered, brightening, then dimming, wavering erratically under the immense, destructive strain. The cultivator soldiers, witnessing this apocalyptic scene, exchanged wide-eyed glances, their eyes filled with utter horror and disbelief. Their divine senses swiftly spread out, desperately attempting to ascertain if Qingyang Taoist had truly been obliterated by Chu Xiu's devastating stomp. Instantly, everyone could clearly perceive a deep, human-shaped pit, seemingly bottomless, precisely in the very center of the colossal foot-shaped crater. A faint, lingering wisp of life's aura emanated from within the pit. Qingyang Taoist is still not dead, quote, one cried out in astonishment. As expected of the revered Qingyang Taoist? To be able to directly withstand such a terrifying, world-shattering stomp and still cling to life, this is truly a testament to his power. Another scoffed, nonsense. The Qingyang Taoist is the venerable guardian of the Tianyuan Great Wall. How could such a mighty figure be so easily slain? Gong Ruyu, his horrified disciple, cried out in choked distress and transformed into a blazing streak of light, plunging directly into the abyssal pit. Her heart was seized with extreme, paralyzing panic, and she fundamentally dared not even glance at Chu Xiu, that terrifying being who seemed like a descent of a god or demon. Gong Ruyu flew tens of thousands of meters down into the pit, finally discovering Qingyang Taoist, barely clinging to life, prostrate at the very bottom. His aura was now fragile, flickering like an oil lamp on the very verge of extinguishing. He had clearly sustained devastating, life-threatening injuries. Gong Ruyu, his distraught disciple, let out a soft, choked cry, and swiftly flew to help the fallen Qingyang Taoist. The Qingyang Taoist was drenched in his own blood, a ghastly sight. He slowly, painstakingly opened his eyes, his gaze unfocused, his mind hazy and disoriented. With immense, agonizing difficulty, he managed to gasp, "Ruyu, quickly, take me back." Gong Ruyu lowered her head, her eyes now burning with a cold, venomous resentment. She gritted her teeth, silently swearing a chilling oath in her heart. "The day I achieve the illustrious Saint King realm, I will most certainly avenge this profound, unforgettable humiliation today. Remember, do not, under any circumstances, reveal murderous intent towards that absolute monster. He is an unparalleled madman." Having delivered this stark, chilling warning, Qingyang Taoist immediately lost consciousness, slumping lifelessly into the pit, a venerable, righteous Saint King, beaten into utter unconsciousness. One could only fathom the horrific, irreparable severity of his injuries. Seeing this, Gong Ruyu cried out in frantic, desperate alarm, "Master! Master! Wake up, please! We must leave this place at once." Having said this, she hoisted the grievously wounded Qingyang Taoist onto her back, and swiftly, desperately flew out of the abyssal pit. Transforming into a blazing streak of light, she sped towards the distant Tianyuan Great Wall, not daring to pause for even a fleeting moment. Not only had her master issued a dire warning, but even without such a caution, Gong Ruyu would never have dared to provoke Chu Xiu again. He acted with utter ruthlessness, and without any scruples, a true force of nature. If he truly desired to kill her, he would absolutely not show mercy just because of her comparatively low cultivation, or the fact that she was a mere woman. Chu Xiu remained standing motionless in mid-air, his face utterly expressionless, his presence a chilling testament to his power. He coldly watched the direction where the two vanished, with no intention of stopping them. Chu Xiu curled his lips into a smile, thinking to himself, teaching Qingyang Taoist a lesson is enough. To truly kill him would bring 100 disadvantages and no benefits. It's simply not worth it. As for Gong Ruyu, I naturally sensed her murderous intent towards me. I am not a magnanimous person. How could I easily let her off? Just before I struck Gong Ruyu away with a palm, I secretly planted a rare and potent poison within her body. Before long, Gong Ruyu will discover that no matter how she cultivates in seclusion, her cultivation will be unable to advance. As time passes, her cultivation will continuously decline, until she completely transforms into a mortal. For a cultivator, this is perhaps the cruelest form of torture. At this moment, Chu Xiu gently waved his right hand, and a strange spatio-temporal fluctuation, centered around him, swiftly spread in all directions. Within a 1,000,000-mile radius, the ravaged earth, mountains, and rivers, originally destroyed by the aftershocks of battle, rapidly restored to their pristine state under the influence of the Tao of spacetime. Witnessing this scene, the cultivators standing upon the Great Wall were utterly shaken. Such a vast divine ability of space and time, yet this esteemed individual casually unleashed it. Truly terrifying. Qingyang Taoist's defeat was no injustice. Tell me, will those hegemonic powers dare to provoke this esteemed one? I think not. Clearly, Gongqiang provoked him first. With the strength of this great lord, how could he lower himself to deal with a small fry like that? As everyone was still discussing, Chu Xiu extended his hand and released the two siblings, Chu Tianshong and Chu Tianxing. Seeing no trace of Qingyang Taoist, both siblings secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Their gazes towards Chu Xiu were filled with exhilaration. They never imagined their uncle could be so overwhelmingly powerful, capable of rendering even a Saint King realm expert utterly helpless. Chu Xiu's gaze swept across his surroundings, and he declared in a resonant voice, "Esteemed scattered cultivators, I understand clearly that without backing or a powerful background, traversing the world makes it all too easy to be bullied by others. I once suffered severe grievances because of this, and thus, I do not wish for my descendants to endure similar bullying. Of course, I will not interfere in conflicts between those of the same generation." Yet, as he spoke, Chu Xiu's eyes subtly shifted, and a crimson wave of murderous intent instantly materialized, enveloping the entire world. Who dares to use their might to oppress the weak? I, Chu, will not hesitate to wield my overwhelming power to oppress the oppressors. If you deal with my juniors, I will deal with yours. Let us see who slays faster, who slays more ruthlessly. Chu Xiu's chilling voice echoed between heaven and earth. Hearing these words, the cultivators below couldn't help but feel a cold dread creeping down their spines. They knew Chu Xiu was not joking. With his ruthless methods and temperament, once he made such a declaration, he would undoubtedly fulfill it. Perhaps after this day, no one would dare secretly scheme against the siblings Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing ever again. The two siblings, Chu Tianchong and Chu Tianxing, cupped their hands and bowed deeply towards Chu Xiu, saying, "Many thanks, Uncle Chu Xiu. For over 100 years of cultivation, we had no one to support us. Our lives were truly arduous." At this moment, for Uncle Chu Xiu to unreservedly stand up for us, domineeringly declaring it to the entire world, both of our hearts are deeply moved. Chu Xiu nodded slightly, his profound gaze fixed forward as he spoke sternly to the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing. Having a backer does not mean you can abuse your power to bully others. In conflicts between those of the same generation, even if you are defeated or slain, I will not intervene. Do you understand? However, if someone dares to use their superior power to oppress you, I will certainly make them pay a painful price. But the two siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, responded in unison, "Yes, uncle." Just then, Chu Xiu sensed something. He turned his head, his gaze piercing through the starlit void, directly towards the beams of light beyond the sky dome continent. Old Chu smiled faintly, thinking to himself, "It's finally over." Old Su, your progress over the past 100 years is truly terrifying. At this moment, on the Sky Dome continent, even though it was daytime, all living beings could clearly witness the spectacle in the endless, starry sky. Amidst the boundless heavens, a sea of azure light, overflowing with infinite vitality, violently clashed with a sky-blazing ocean of fire,
creating a scene both grand and ethereal. 10 golden crows exploded one after another, their divine cries echoing across heaven and earth. After the earth-shattering collision between the figure enveloped in azure light and the figure immersed in blazing flames,
both were repelled in opposite directions. One flew towards the demon barbarian territory, the other returned towards the heaven abyss Great Wall. The life and death battle, which had raged for 100 years, had finally concluded. Su Wangqi had successfully repelled Shenya Taoist. Witnessing this outcome, the Saint Kings of the three races who had been secretly observing the battle were utterly shaken. Su Wangqi had actually defeated Shenya Taoist. She had not even reached the peak of the Saint King realm, yet her combat power was already so formidable. If she were to achieve a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor stage in the future, the entire landscape of the Sky Dome continent would likely be completely reshaped. Su Wangqiu, Su Wangqiu, Su Wangqiu. Countless human cultivators at the Heaven Abyss Great Wall cheered with unbridled joy. Triumphant roars of celebration echoed everywhere. They thunderously chanted the victor's name.
That joy and exhilaration were so intense that they could be felt even across millions of miles. At this moment, a streak of azure light descended from the heavens. It hovered above the Heaven Abyss Great Wall for a brief instant, then immediately shifted direction, soaring towards Chu Xiu. The figure within the azure light gradually became distinct. A slender, graceful woman of unparalleled beauty, none other than Su Wangqi herself. She executed a movement's secret art, appearing beside Chu Xiu in a mere blink. Chu Xiu's eyes swept over her from head to toe, and he subtly curled his lips into a smile, asking, "How was your harvest?"
Su Wangqi nodded slightly, her radiant smile gracing her lips as she replied, "Indeed, clashing with powerful experts truly is a shortcut to verifying the Grand Dabio. This battle has yielded me a great harvest."
However, Shenya Taoist is incredibly strong. Although I repelled him this time, I can clearly sense that he is not far from the quasi-emperor realm. As for who truly benefits from this encounter, it is still difficult to say.
Chu Xiu raised a hand to stroke his chin,
a smile playing on his lips as he said, "As long as you achieve a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor stage before him, then he will be the one who truly benefits you."
After speaking, Chu Xiu's gaze subtly shifted to the two siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing. Sensing Chu Xiu's gaze, the siblings immediately snapped out of their astonishment and hastily stepped forward to pay their respects. Chu Tianhong bowed. "Greetings, senior." Chu Tianxing bowed. "Greetings, senior."
Su Wangqi's gaze subtly swept over the two siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, scrutinizing them.
"These two are," she began.
Simultaneously, an image of Chu Xiu, his eyes narrowed, a radiant smile gracing his face, holding two children in his arms, flashed in Su Wangqi's mind. Her voice tinged with doubt, she mused.
"They are all surnamed Chu."
As this thought crossed her mind, Su Wangqi's willow-like brows furrowed, an expression of disbelief dawned upon her face. She pointed directly at Chu Xiu and questioned,
"During my battle with Shenya Taoist, you didn't by chance bring back two children, did you?"
Hearing this, Chu Xiu waved his hand dismissively, stating calmly,
"It's not what you're thinking. This is a long story. Let me explain it to you."
"And what about you? What are your plans next?" Chu Xiao, of course, inwardly hoped that Su Wangqi would grow ever stronger. Only then, in the future, when facing the celestial slaves, would their chances of victory be greater.
Su Wangqi pondered for a moment, then spoke softly. "First, I will enter secluded cultivation to digest the insights gained from this battle, then proceed to the demonic savage region to continue challenging formidable experts. And you?" Chu Xiao offered a subtle smile and responded, "I will continue to mentor the cultivation of the two siblings, Chu Tianshang and Chu Tianxing, and when the time is right, lead them to the Heavenly Abyss Great Wall battlefield for tempering."
Time flowed silently, and half a year vanished in an instant. This place was a picturesque mountain valley, brimming with vitality. Towering peaks pierced the clouds. Verdant trees cast deep, cooling shadows. And across the azure expanse, flocks of celestial cranes gracefully spiraled. Below, amidst emerald meadows, playful spirit beasts frolicked, painting a scene of breathtaking serenity.
Chu Tianzhong and Chu Tianxing now blazed across the heavens as twin streaks of azure light, streaking towards Xingfeng Peak. Both had, in unison, shattered the shackles and broken through to the minor saint realm.
Within her streak of cerulean light, Chu Tianxing subtly tilted her head. Her luminous eyes, brimming with curiosity, turned to Chu Tianhong. "Brother, can you guess why Uncle summoned us?" Since her breakthrough to the minor saint realm, her demeanor had grown far calmer. Her vibrant, youthful mischievousness had begun to recede, replaced by a profound maturity and poised grace. Chu Tianchong, however, seemed utterly unchanged, his face a mask of cold stoicism, his emotions rarely betrayed. Upon hearing his sister Chu Tianxing's question, he deliberated for a long moment before responding.
We shattered the minor saint barrier half a month ago. Uncle's summons now likely portends our next trial training in the wider world. Chu Tianxing nodded subtly, her fists clenching, her eyes blazing with fierce resolve as she declared, Uncle has always taught us, only by spreading their wings and soaring can young eagles truly become supreme powerhouses. As she spoke, Chu Tianxing swore an inner vow. I will become a supreme expert. I will never bring even an ounce of shame to Uncle. A rare, subtle smile touched Chu Tianhong's lips. And hops. My sister has truly matured, he mused.
High upon the peak, nestled beneath an ancient, gnarled pine, Chu Xiu sat in silent contemplation beside a rustic stone tea table. His back was ramrod straight, as if he had merged with the very fabric of heaven and earth, the natural Tao rhythm flowing around him, like the grand Tao itself had manifested. The moment Chu Tianchong and Chu Tianxing touched down, they immediately performed a respectful salutation, hands clasped, their gazes brimming with profound reverence. Uncle! A gentle smile graced Chu Xiu's handsome features as he spoke. You're here, come, sit.
Chu Tianchong and Chu Tianxing respectfully took their seats on the stone benches opposite Chu Xiu. With a practiced motion, Chu Xiu lifted the teapot from the brazier, pouring 2 steaming cups. The emerald tea, like divine nectar, mingled with a pure, ethereal fragrance that suffused the air. A single, gentle breath was enough to make both Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing feel their souls yearn to transcend and ascend. Chu Xiu gestured subtly, inviting them to drink, and spoke softly to Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing. This is the Spirit Insight Divine Tea, a gift from a Saint King of the Ye clan. It possesses the unique property of calming the heart and clarifying the mind. Do taste it.
Both Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing carefully raised their cups, taking a delicate sip of the fragrant, jade-smooth tea, its lingering taste caressing their tongues, before flowing gently down their throats. Instantly, a profound warmth spread through their dantians, and their spiritual consciousness became remarkably clear and lucid.
Chu Xiu gently closed his eyes, his expression grave, and spoke slowly.
A day will come when I must depart. I cannot shield you eternally. You must forge your own path to strength. For only then can you truly protect yourselves in the future. At his words, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing froze, their eyes wide with a mixture of confusion, anxiety, and a chilling sense of dread. To the siblings, Chu Xiu was more than a benefactor who had nurtured and taught them. He was the greatest pillar of support in their entire lives. The prospect of separation from the one they revered so deeply weighed heavily upon their hearts. With a voice tinged with deep reluctance, Chu Tianxing quavered,
Uncle, are you casting us out?
We wish to follow you, always, forever, by your side.
A gentle yet unwavering smile touched Chu Xiu's lips, his gaze firm as he addressed the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, softly stating, There is no feast in this mortal realm that does not eventually end. After today, you must venture forth into the vast wilderness of the world. Walk your own paths, for I have no more to teach you. A blend of reluctance and profound gratitude crossed Chu Tianhong's stern face. He respectfully clasped his hands in a deep bow towards Chu Xiu, and spoke with unwavering sincerity. For all these years, we are deeply grateful for Uncle's constant care and guidance. We vow that in the future we will not betray your teachings, and we will forge a magnificent legacy. With their words concluded, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing turned, transforming into twin streaks of azure light, and soared towards the distant horizon. As the receding figures of the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, vanished from sight, a fleeting hint of wistfulness flickered in Chu Xiu's eyes. He mused to himself, a silent sigh escaping him. It has already been over 200 years since I arrived in this era. During this period of cultivation, neither brief nor eternal, I have accepted 3 disciples, Qin Yi, Chu Tianhong, and Chu Tianxing. Qin Yi, a descendant of an old acquaintance, was my first disciple, yet she rarely received my direct, personal guidance.
Conversely, the siblings, Chu Tianhong and Chu Tianxing, have remained by my side the longest.
Whatever heights they may reach in the future, it shall be solely by their own hands.
At this thought, Chu Xiu lifted his teacup, shaking his head with a faint, self-deprecating smile. The Chu clan of the southern region. So I am truly their old ancestor. To think I once cursed myself all those years ago? Truly ludicrous.
Draining the teacup in a single draught, Chu Xiu mused inwardly. Since arriving in this era, reflecting with a tranquil heart, I realize my cultivation advanced too rapidly. In merely 2 centuries, I ascended to the Saint King realm.
Though my Dabio heart stands firm as bedrock, it remains incomplete, requiring further tempering. Gathering the tea set from the stone table, he seamlessly stored it within his spatial ring.
Chu Xiu began a leisurely descent along the mountainside. He inhaled deeply, feeling the crisp, pure essence of the air invigorate his spiritual light. At last I comprehend why a formidable expert like Big Sister Hua chose to enter the mortal realm for such tempering.
The mortal realm refines the spirit. What is truly forged there is the Tao heart. A faint, knowing smile played on Chu Xiu's lips. In this era, it seems my cultivation has reached its zenith. Further advancement is impossible. If that is the case, why not venture into the mortal realm for a period of tempering, to hone my Dao heart while awaiting the old ancestors' breakthrough to the quasi-emperor realm? Then, together, we shall journey to the Taiji ancient star.
With this thought, Chu Xiu produced a blood-red sound transmission talisman, holding it delicately, a flicker of divine sense, and the talisman instantly transformed into a streak of lightning. It shot forth into the heavens, vanishing amidst the rolling clouds. With all preparations complete, Chu Xiu resumed his unhurried descent down the mountainside.
The black robes he wore gradually shimmered, transforming into the simple blue scholar's robes of a common mortal. His aura and bearing underwent a simultaneous transformation. In a mere blink, the supreme Saint King vanished, replaced by an unassuming mortal scholar.
Transitioning now to the Great Qin dynasty, one of the 4 mortal empires dominating the Central Plains. Its might comparable to the Qing-Feng Empire. In Shenyang City, the Great Qin capital, the imperial examinations were currently underway. Scholars from every corner of the realm had converged to vie for glory. Chu, now fully embodying a mortal, was among the hopeful examinees.
When the results were finally posted, Chu Xiu's name stood proudly at the very top of the golden roster. Amidst the clamoring crowd, Chu Xiu's lips curved into a faint, supremely confident smile. His gaze, calm yet piercing, exuded the effortless grace of one who had already foreseen the outcome.
Chu Xiu formally entered the Great Qin imperial court as an official. His exceptional talents quickly earned him the profound esteem of the Great Qin Emperor. He was dispatched to Qingcheng Prefecture as its prefect, a strategic move to temper and nurture his abilities during his governance there. Chu Xiu poured his heart into governance, diligently overseeing state affairs. His orderly and systematic administration of the district allowed the common people to live in peace and thrive. Such exceptional administrative achievements brought immense satisfaction to the emperor. 4 years later, Chu Xiu was summoned back to the capital and appointed as the vice minister of personnel. Chu Xiao's utterly selfless and impartial conduct, his unwavering devotion to the nation and its people, earned him profound reverence from both the imperial court and the common folk. 5 years hence, Chu Xiao was elevated to the Grand Minister of Personnel, holding a rank of the 2nd official grade.
Another 5 years passed, and Chu Xiu was further appointed as the left prime minister. His status now placed him beneath but one person, yet above 10,000, his power effectively swaying the entire court and realm.
In the imperial gardens, beside a serene lotus pond, stood 3 figures, 2 men
and 1 woman. To the right stood a young man in azure robes, none other than Chu Xiu himself. To the left, an elder draped in resplendent golden dragon robes, radiated the majestic aura of a true emperor, the very sovereign of Great Qin. The emperor extended his right hand, gesturing towards the young woman standing between them, and addressed Chu Xiu directly.
"My esteemed Chu Aiqing, we wish to bestow our imperial princess upon you in marriage." The Great Qin princess, barely 18, possessed a perfectly balanced figure, skin like pristine jade, and a captivating oval face. Her graceful willow eyebrows, a noble, straight nose, and alluring cherry lips, rosy cheeks, and a demure smile radiated an aura of ethereal gentleness. She resembled a celestial maiden amidst a sea of blossoms, emanating an aura of noble yet approachable grace.